All right, guys. So here we go. This is a conversation. Listen, this is a conversation with Destiny, Fresh, Fit, and Sneako. Okay. Um, I'm hesitant about doing this because Fresh and Fit love to DMCA everything that's attached to them. However, after they got called out, it seems like maybe they hopefully stopped. I also saw them react to an entire H3H3 stream and their stream. And also, this is on Destiny's channel, not Fresh and Fit's, but he did go to Fresh and Fit. So hopefully we can react to this and not be screwed over, okay? I'm interested in the conversation. It's a red pill debate with all of them. I'm excited for it. Again, I just hope that they don't... I hope they don't try to pull it down. That'll be very upsetting.
Red pillars will make some observations that are true, and then they get wild with it. And they go off into these crazy places where it's like, I understand where you're starting from, but the places that you could go in such a better direction. That's
fair. That's fair. Destiny looks very small compared to Sneako here. Wow. Do you think they gave him a shorter chair, or do you think that Destiny's just like a leprechaun? I don't know. No, that's body shaming. Sorry.
Back then, online only existed to augment your real life.
Yes.
The reason why you got social media is because it helped you connect with friends more. Because back then, like, a lot of us weren't using cell phones as much yet. It wasn't a requirement to text everybody.
Yep.
Like,
MySpace.
Yeah. And people use these things to make the real life better. But at some point, past 15 years, it became real life. Yeah. Women have stepped into more and more traditionally masculine roles. They're earning more money. They're handling their shit. They're stable. There's more to them than just looking pretty. This is what women have done. But men are not allowed to step in traditionally feminine roles. If you were black and you wanted to buy houses in certain areas, you literally couldn't do it. Yeah, which is, and again, not to make excuses, because today is today, and you can't go into the past to change anything. You have to work as hard as you can today. But it pisses me off when you get some of these white motherfuckers that have had houses that have been in their families for fucking generations. Looking at
whoa.
Welcome to the Fresh Fit Podcast. Well, Sneako, not you so much. Yeah, we're tired of you.
Bro.
Yeah, he's about to be our neighbor here soon. So you guys are about to see him pop up. Like, it's gonna be crazy.
I think it's interesting because I think they all live in like the same area. In general. So I wonder if this will be a normal thing.
You'll see him in the chat 1 minute, like, yo, this bitch is annoying, and he's just gonna pull up and just like shit on them. But I guess we'll start with you, Sneako, and then Destiny can introduce himself.
Sneako, my second channel. You know me. I've had a lot of debates with Destiny recently, and shout out to Act for calling me stupid for the last debate with Destiny. Stupid. Come on, man.
Okay, so this is Destiny or whatever the fuck his name is. Basically, he's making him look fucking stupid.
I didn't know that DJ Academics did a review on it.
Thought we were cool, man.
AK.
I'm gonna pull up and hang.
He'll probably be here sometime this summer. So yeah. Well, summer's almost over, but in the fall maybe. Anything else?
Nah, that's why I don't give a fuck. Yeah,
fantastic. Destiny, welcome to the Fresh Fit Podcast, man.
Thanks for having me on. Destiny,
I can't. I'm sorry.
not stupid one in that debate. Thank you very much, Ak. I don't know anything about you, but I appreciate the compliments. So, yeah, you can find me on youtube.com/Destiny. I do politics, philosophy, video games, whatever. Awesome. Some would call me blue-pilled, maybe.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So, can you tell people why you're... Because I did not know that you were banned off Twitch until right before we started the stream.
What happened, bro?
Yeah, if you could talk about it.
Sure. Just basically, I've always had kind of like a center-left political position, which like 5 years ago in the gaming space was pretty far left.
Yeah.
But the scene has changed a lot over time.
Yes, it has.
And stuff has gotten way farther left. So I think the ban was because I had a position that I didn't believe that trans women should be competing in the same leagues as cisgender women.
Real women.
How dare you? Oh, you bigot?
Yeah, basically. And then I got
real women. Isn't that unfortunate though? Because here's the thing, like I tend to agree. I don't like the idea. I don't think that there's not a single trans person that wants to transition just to be more competitive in sports. Trans people are just trying to live their lives. Unfortunately, all the data tells us very strongly that like a trans woman, specifically one who's gone through a male puberty, has a biological advantage that's maintained. It's not really just in hormone levels. It's like your skeletal structure, your bone density, your muscle mass, right? It's just the reality, and I don't like saying it because, like, of course you don't want to deny somebody the ability to be happy, but that's just the unfortunate matter of fact. And the reality is if like we allow trans women into like sports, they're going to displace cisgender women based on like the data. There might not be, it's not like no cisgender woman could like play anymore, but realistically speaking, all trans women are going to float to the top. Specifically, once you go through a male puberty. If they don't go through a male puberty, maybe it wouldn't be an issue. Yeah, I do believe trans women are women, though. Trans men are men. I think that, like, when it comes down to this conversation, I don't think that most trans people care about sports because, like, trans people are still trying to get, access to basic medical care, like gender-affirming care. So, What's unfortunate though is that like this is one of those things where transphobic people are always going to be anti-trans regardless of what it is, and they happen to be right in this instance. But I think what happened is maybe there might have been like a lot of people kind of gravitating around Destiny that were conservative, like Sneako, for instance. So yes, you're not real women, making snarky comments might have looked bad for Destiny, that kind of thing. I don't know if it's more complicated than that. Because I feel like a lot of people have that take, and they didn't get banned on Twitter. So I wonder if that's really everything, or if there's more to it. But you know,
sexist, bro. Maybe, but they all they do is they tell you that they ban you for hate speech, and they don't actually tell you what it was for. But I don't say like any hateful slurs or anything on my stream, so that's my guess.
He says the R slur all the time, dude. It makes me so upset as an R slur myself.
That's very big.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, let's just let guys compete with girls and just continue to beat the crap out of them and let them know that they're inferior physically. All right, cool. So I'll read these chats real quick.
I do wish that Destiny just made a quick point that he thinks trans women are women, but he didn't want to have the conversation, which I understand not wanting to get into the conversation of it, but it would have been nice. But I'm saying.
We already got 12,000 you guys in.
What about local sports? Oh, yeah. Okay, so let me clarify. Like competitive sports. Because high school competitive sports, like it gets competitive, man. High school competitive sport, it gets complicated, and that's where you start to kind of get watched for scholarships and whatnot, and it can deny some cisgender women the ability to get scholarships. So
here, so do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to both their YouTube channels, Destiny, Sneako, and Sneako. Okay, and their links are all below as well, guys. Check them out. First and foremost, Destiny, I want to say thank you for getting our side when all the bullshit happened with L3.
Yeah, dude. That really bothers me when it came to age 3. That one was really bad. That was Ethan Klein leveraging a false sexual assault accusation against Myron here, Fit. And I don't like Fresh and Fit. I don't particularly care for the red pill stuff. But that was bad. So a quick recap, and you could look through my recap on it, because I watched the entire response. I watched everything. I watched Ethan platform that girl, where she talked about her story, right? There were some inconsistencies, and I'll get to the why, but she made this story where she never really wanted to hang out with him, or she just wanted to hang out with him so she could troll him. She had no interest in him, etc., etc. Ethan never apologized. He doubled down. And Ethan said it was a sexual assault. It sounds like you were assaulted. And she was like, no, I don't think so. There were a few key things. To me, upon watching her take, it sounded like to me that this was like an instance of where casual like dating culture kind of comes into play, because they were at bar dating. This is what a lot of people do. Like they go to bars, they hook up culture, and it's one of the things in hookup culture you don't really get like very express consent. So you're kind of working off of the way that people feel or like different cues. So she called him at 5 a.m. to pick her up from a bar or a club, and they did that. They went back to his house and. Then they kissed, and then he's like, "Oh, your breath smells like alcohol, so go mouthwash." She did the mouthwash, and she went and sat on the bed with him. Then he went for a move and kissed her, and then he made like a really inappropriate comment about her body, which I think really upset her. And then she's like, "I want to leave and take me home." And what I find interesting is like, if you really are afraid of him, you shouldn't want him to take you home. So it seemed like he was really disrespectful to her and made fun of her body, which I totally understand. And then she kind of made it seem her story made it seem like he was kind of like a loser, which I get it. And then Ethan extrapolated that he was some kind of a predator. However, they responded, and I watched the full 6-hour stream because I do commentary, and this is the one responsibility you have doing commentary on videos is to watch videos. And I watched the video. And they debunked her whole narrative where she was like, they debunked the whole narrative where she was completely uninterested in him through text messages. They showed the text. So it debunks her narrative and her framing of the situation, which hurts her credibility in the situation. We have to understand that because it is he said, she said. But that's the problem. She was like, I didn't want to hang out with him. I only wanted to own him, but I wasn't really interested in him. And like, he made me give him my number by by like holding my wallet hostage until I gave him my number. Turns out she texted him first. It was very friendly. They were flirtatious, etc., etc. And then instead of Ethan watching it, and I get it 6 hours, but you are a millionaire, you can pay someone else to watch it, and it's your job as a commentary content creator to do. Instead of watching it, he just doubled down and said that Myron Gaines only engages in the word he used. What was the word he used? Coercive sex, which is rape. You have to understand something. And like I talk about this a lot, but when we talk about these types of topics, I like to try to educate young men. Hey guys, here's what you could do to put women mostly, and women need this advice too, but mostly it happens with men. Put women in a situation where they feel comfortable saying no. Make sure that they know that. Hey, we can stop at any time kind of a thing. when you do stuff like this and you basically try to weaponize a false accusation against somebody, it makes a lot of people tune out, and it's harder to educate young guys about this stuff. So this was really dangerous from Ethan. I'm sorry for going into like an in-depth on that, but it was really dangerous from Ethan, and it's really dangerous. It's really dangerous. It's going to cause people to tune out and not listen to the message, which is going to cause more situations like this to happen. Because a lot of times when boundaries are violated, it's because as a society, you know, most of the time people get their sexual education through like porn, and then people aren't educated on consent and boundaries properly enough. And so like that's what you really need to do. I guarantee you a lot of sexual assault in America would be avoided if we could educate, especially young men, on making creating spaces that feel more comfortable for young women to say no, so that it wasn't this like boundary push back and forth. And that's the biggest thing that we're talking about here. And Ethan caused people to tune out of that conversation, which I think is really disingenuous,
making those dumbass allegations.
Or it's really dangerous. Excuse me.
That's when I reached out to you, actually. You know, giving an objective look on it. Obviously, that girl made some bullshit allegations that weren't true, and like her story just fell apart when we pulled out all.
Again, I don't know if well, I guess she did a little bit, but I think it was mostly because she even said it wasn't like assault. It was mostly Ethan kind of, you know, pulling that out. But okay, let me just move on.
And you know, Ethan, of course, trying to make it worse than it really is.
Of course, yeah. They call him Ethan Decline for a reason.
Decline. That's liberals. All they got is cancel culture. They're not really good at arguing. You guys
we don't have as many nicknames as you guys have. I'll say that for sure. Jesus Christ. I'm like relearning every YouTuber when I step in here as like a new nickname.
I'll tell you one thing. This is it. Destiny's never going to talk to Ethan now. He's ruined it. Because I remember he made a comment about that.
For you guys.
Oh, yeah. We have a bunch of nicknames. But yes, Lasan and L3 are definitely our favorites ones.
Very clever.
And, you know,
I wonder where it comes from.
They're the ones that like they made so many videos talking shit about us, like, oh, we'll debate you guys, blah blah blah. And I was like, all right, cool, let's debate. Matter of fact, me and Andrew will gladly debate you two in person. All of a sudden, oh no, we got family. Oh no.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is that Ethan was like, they don't want to debate us. They're afraid. They showed the DMs to Ethan where they were ready to just go and meet with them in person or do it on stream, not in person, and they dodged it. Like, I mean, like fresh and fit. Like Ethan and Hassan dodged it. They showed the screenshots of it, and Ethan's still like, they're afraid to talk to us. It's just like kind of embarrassing. Very embarrassing, really.
Debate. It's like, are you guys even relevant anymore? Well, Andrew Tate's the most searched person on Google, and we get way more views than y'all, and we have 1/3 of the audience. So what's your excuse, bro? What's your excuse? Like, you're gonna say we're not relevant? What the fuck?
You know what it is, bro? They're our biggest supporters. That's what it really is.
I think it's one of those things where Hassan, I don't think he likes to spread his clout, as that's what the way he looks at it. So he doesn't want to talk to them because he doesn't want to spread the clout, I guess. I think that's really what his take is.
All right. So I guess I'll turn it to you guys. Like, what do you guys disagree with on Fresh and Fit that we typically talk about?
I want to start with this just for you guys, because you guys are definitely icons in the space as well. How'd you find the RP, and what's your thoughts on RP?
Okay.
And
I'm sitting here thinking they're talking about role playing.
Start, I guess, Destiny. Yeah.
So I've been doing like the political space probably for like since like 2016, and then red pill stuff is kind of like it rose like in the early Trump days, and then it kind of like receded for a while, and then I see over the past like year or two, especially last year, it's like picked up again a lot. And I guess the way that I see it is that you've kind of got like this progressive establishment that has basically, through all of these kind of like academic terms, have like built up this idea that you can say like men, white people, the Mayo side, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But like every other racial minority is super protected. Can't make fun of black people. Can't make fun of Hispanic people. Can't, right? And then if you're white, there's like 50 million things you got to worry about. When you have that type of attitude, and then it becomes pervasive on your side, then, I mean, invariably, there's going to be other people that will start to speak to the disaffected people that you're pushing out. And I think that part of the red pill has been that there are people on, I'll say the right, I don't know if you guys would consider yourselves to be the right, there are people on the right that are willing to speak some uneasy truths that people on the left just won't acknowledge.
Yeah.
You know?
So I know a lot of people are going to interpret that as like, oh my God, white people are the victim. That's not really what he's saying. What he's saying is like online, not in public, but online. It's socially acceptable to shit on white people, but it's not socially acceptable for the reverse to happen. And I understand it comes from like systemic racism and all that, and like, you know, there's a frustration with like white people generally being like the ruling class. But it like, considering like most people don't know, but we didn't create the system. It's like we're all living in it. I happen to benefit from it as a white dude. But it's one of those things where like it gets annoying when it's like, you know, you could shit on white people, but you can't shit on anybody else. And it's just like, it's generally kind of like an unfair dynamic, and people will be like, yeah, but historically I get it, I get what you're saying, but like it's one of those things where, you know, you realize that it does create let's just not even call it racism, because I know a lot of you guys don't think you can be racist to white people. It creates a prejudice, and it's annoying right? That's pretty much it. It is what it is. I don't really care personally because I don't really receive like the white hatred and all that, and I don't really care about the TikTok bullshit anymore. But that's where it does come from, and then it just kind of creates more racism because then white people are like, see, I knew I was the victim, and to an extent, you can make a little bit of an argument online, not in person, you know. And you know that's where these things kind of take off.
And as long as you're not willing to acknowledge something that's true, you're going to lose to the people that are willing to acknowledge what's true. And I think that red pillars will make some observations that are true, and then they get wild with it. And they go off into these crazy places where it's like, I understand where you're starting from, but the places that you go, you could go in such a better direction. And that's kind of what arguing about my engagement has been with like the red pill. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I agree with that. Like, I mean, I've talked about it. That's a big reason why we get dragged so much is because I've said it a million times. The public enemy number one is the white male. It's how you galvanize the left is you need a common enemy. It's what Hitler did to unite Germany. White man bad. They came here, colonized, and they enslave everybody, etc. But if you're like a woman, you're a colored person, whatever it may be, you're considered a protected class, and you can say whatever you want. It's only racism, right, if it's on a protected class. But if you make fun of a Caucasian guy, talk shit about him, even a white girl. We've had girls come on this podcast to say derogatory terms about white people, and no one bats an eye. And my thing is just this. We talked about this with Sneako the other day. You know, we'll have people run around saying Black Lives Matter and Black Power, and we need to have Black-owned businesses, and you need to marry a Black woman. You should need to be with your kind. We need to keep our roots strong.
I don't disagree with like the Black-owned business thing, right? It's like that's a good way to spread like money into the Black community for sure. But I understand what they're saying.
Black lives, right? Black Power. Could you imagine if we reversed it around? What?
Well, yeah, but we also understand that, like, okay, but see, this is where it gets like a little out of control. So they were making a good point before about how people take it too far and they're like disparaging to white people, right? And they're like, yeah, fuck white people kind of a thing. And it's like, it's only racism when it's against white people. Yeah, like we're even redefining the term racism or trying to, just so that we can exclude white people from being the targets of it. So that it can be justifiable to be prejudiced towards white people, right? But then he takes it's like, oh, people are like Black Lives Matter. Like that's not racist. It's more of like historically Black people obviously have faced some shit, and it's more just about like it's more just about trying to like I guess you'd say rebalance things. Like yeah, Black Lives Matter because it's more Black Lives Matter really just means like Black Lives Matter as well, right? So that's really all it is.
Power. Yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, no. KKK. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you guys are racist, blah, blah, blah. But it's only racism when white people do it. It's not racist the other way around. And it goes back to that logic thing that I talked about. If you put it on the other side, it doesn't make sense. And it does not in this case.
I will say, let me represent the other side a little bit. I think there are reasons for that. I think there are reasons why, and everybody at this table knows, if you hear a guy say Black Power, it's whatever. But if you hear a dude say white power, you're like, hold on.
Yeah, usually when we used to say white power, my brothers and I, it was to be incredibly racist. Not my brothers, but it was to be incredibly racist. Nowadays, playing Black Power is more about like, hey, black, like just kind of Black people just saying like, hey, we should be represented too. It's really not the same the way that people use it.
What do you mean by that? Right? It's like, and it's one of those things where, different people, represent groups for different reasons. But the problem is that I can give you that answer for that, and I can give you that answer for everything else. But when you take all of it collectively, at some point it doesn't matter anymore. It just sounds like, you fucking hate white people. That's what it sounds like. So yeah, they're like, I think everybody here knows when you hear somebody say white power, there's something else going on there as opposed to like Black power or Hispanic power. But I agree that like when you have that excuse for every single issue, like why is it okay to say fucking kill all white people?
Yeah,
but I can't do it with Black people. When you have that excuse for every reason, it looks bad. And I think that's where the left's kind of like lost control of the narrative and the optics and everything.
Yeah, I just look at it like if you want to end racism, then everyone's got to be held to the same standards. Sure. My thing, like you can't sit there and say Black Power, then a white dude goes ahead and says white power, and you're like, oh, well, you're a racist.
Oh, again, like that one I don't agree with. Like, I think it's fine if Black people say Black Power because it's just not the same. But like being antagonistic towards white people, that's where like, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be setting it to like the same standard, okay? Like that's this is a little bit different.
Racist when you're pretty much saying the same shit. I've heard them say terrible things like, oh, yeah, we need to attack white people, take the shit back, and no one really bats an eye. It's crazy to me that like Black Lives Matter is not designated as a domestic terrorist organization because they.
All right, well, I think it's a little too far. I mean, there are people who weaponize Black Lives Matter to like cause violence. To be honest with you, it seems more like those are white people who do that. More than anything else. mean, like, really, to be honest with you, it seems more like white people are the ones weaponizing Black Lives Matter to cause violence in some capacity, like Antifa kids. But okay.
Fit the profile 100% according to FBI definition, but if you have like a white militia group, they're definitely going to go on that FBI list. So I look at it like, listen, you look at the Justice Department, what does Lady Justice have, right? She has a blindfold and she has the 2 scales. Justice is supposed to be blind. That's what they say. So I look at it like, listen, if you're going to go ahead and say this is racist on one side, it's got to be racist on the other side too. That's all I'm saying. The way to defeat racism is through equality, but it can't be selective.
Yeah, Twitch went through that a couple months ago. There was a huge ordeal where some people wanted to defend calling white people cracker, and it blew up into a huge thing. And like, I was surprised Twitch actually started banning people for it. It's like, this is a little.
Yeah, me too. Because it's kind of dumb. It's one of those things where like there's no historical context to it, but people are trying to say it to piss white people off. And it's one of those things where like I can make up a word, I can call it schmibbler. I hope that's not a real word. And I just start calling like if I started calling like fucking Hispanic people schmibblers, and it was derogatory, all of a sudden you're like, that's a racist term now. Yeah, that's kind of how like language works, right? So you shouldn't be trying to antagonize white people. It is kind of funny though. Personally, I would prefer if you said it with an A though. Kraka, it's more respectable to my people.
Little bit wild, but yeah, not a good look, I would say.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it's just wild to me how like you can be racist to white people, but if they say anything about like a protected class, it's considered you're racist.
Because you're punching down and you're systemically oppressing somebody and blah blah. Yeah, there's like all these reasons why you can't make fun of somebody else, but these people will like go after your throat for everything.
Exactly.
They'll try to they'll go after your job, they'll go after your income, they'll go after like your online presence, they'll get you banned, kicked out of your apartment, whatever.
Yeah, seriously, they did it. They try to do it to us, and it's like because and we're colored, so it's like then they'll say, oh well, you guys are black, like you can't make comments on the black community because you guys aren't black. And it's like, okay, bro, we were gonna use this fucking example again.
Could you imagine if we were white saying what we're saying now?
Oh yeah, we would have been canceled. It would have been
and it's funny because like yes, the white man's common enemy now, but like it's just our turn because what happens is right, like no one's safe. Like now it's white man, it could be the Spanish man next. It just depends, bro. So nobody's safe.
Yeah. Well, and it's gonna I've always said it, the left continues to eat itself. So it starts with Caucasian men. It's gonna start to progress and it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be like, all men are trash, only women, and you need to.
I mean, I don't know if it'll get that far, but they have maybe they have a point. I don't know if I agree with it, but I get what they're saying. It's like, okay, so once we take down white people, what on the scale of oppression? Who's next? Okay, let's say it's Asian people. So now, like, let's start targeting Asian people because and then what's next? Oh, then it's like maybe it's Hispanic people. I don't know how like the oppression scale would work. That's the argument they're making. Maybe it's possible. I don't know if I believe it. I see what they're saying. I don't know if I believe it though. Or if I'd go that far with it.
Purple haired and 300 pounds, and you need to be the most woke, etc. Like as the years pass, becoming left becomes more and more extreme. So
it's like there's like the comic with there's the guy standing with like 10 people in front of him, and then there's the not the bulldozer. What's the flattening thing?
The steamer, like it's like a roller. It's like a roller,
behind him, and it's like just crush the last person. It's like, okay, I think we've gone far enough now, because it's coming for him next.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what happened to me, I guess. Yeah, so that's basically I'm one of the flattened dudes.
I mean, I shout out to Tim Pool. I always use him as an example. 10 years ago, right? 10, 12 years ago, around 2010ish, he would be considered like a flaming liberal. Now it's like,
who would have ever said a flaming liberal?
Like he's a raging conservative, and that's just goes to show you just in the span of 10 years.
Well, I think that Tim Pool kind of went into a more conservative space. I think what Fit is trying to say is that Tim Pool remained consistently like progressive, and then his ideas became more conservative as time went on. I don't know if I listen. I don't watch enough Tim Pool, but from the very limited I've seen, he seems to be a more conservative individual. He's probably pissed off with people on the left, so he's less sensitive, which is something that happens. It happened to me for a little bit on TikTok. I get it, but I don't know if I would say that, like, I don't know if I would call him like I wouldn't say that he is kind of conservative. No, maybe I just don't know enough about Tim Pool, but
how much we've like went off the fucking rails as far as like being woke and being politically correct and people's feelings and all this other crazy shit. So
yeah, it's funny because like the three of us, like did you vote for Trump?
I didn't vote.
You didn't vote, but you would consider yourself a Trump supporter?
Bro, he don't even watch American movies.
Well, it's just funny that we're at the same now. If you were a Trump voter, you'd immediately be labeled alt-right. But Myron and I both voted for Trump, and like they can't use the same terminology.
I will admit, I didn't vote, but if I could.
Oh, you didn't vote?
I didn't vote, but if I could, I will vote for him. And if he runs again, if they don't pull some bullshit,
why couldn't you vote? Because you work for the government?
Well, in 2016, where was I in 2016? I was I was registered to vote in Connecticut.
Also didn't matter.
My vote is useless.
Okay,
yes, yes. In 2016, I was registered in Connecticut. So that's a big yeah.
So the elephant in the room, is Andrew Tate good for the guys or not, in your opinion, and why?
I don't think so. I think that, like, you know, Andrew Tate's philosophy comes down, it's a very survival of the fittest type thing, and then even at best, it's very, like, the problem with the red pill is that it's founded on being, like, sexist towards women and forcing women into a particular category. It's one thing to be like, yeah, there are traditional women who might want to do a thing. I think that's perfectly fine. Everybody should be able to do anything. It's different than saying that, like, basically being disrespectful towards women fundamentally. That's like the problem more than anything else. Is where it gets sexist. I don't like, as long, to be a good man, I don't think you need to try to make it. I mean, you should try to be as successful as possible without stepping on people. You know, a lot of these guys like Sneako and Andrew Tate are selling like a multi-level marketing scheme. That is what it is, where they try to take money, like siphon it to the top. But it should be about like having good values. Trying to, if you want to fuck a bunch of girls, be my guest. You know, do your thing. But like, I don't think that's what makes a good man. I think what makes a good man is trying to find somebody that you want to be with. I went through my hoe phase. I don't think it's a bad thing to go through, but that's not the goal, you know? That shouldn't be the goal, is to like be like that for the rest of your life. It should be to try to find like meaningful relationships and be as successful as you possibly can. That's what I'd say. So
I'd say absolutely not.
Okay.
Why is that?
I think that the idea of masculinity and success and fulfillment that's being sold by a lot of people on the right, I think leads to the same type of spiritual wasteland that you're trying to like pull these young men out of, I would say. Like when I look at somebody like Andrew Tate, or even like for you guys, or anybody that talks about red pill stuff, it always feels like your big markers for success are how many women can you get, how much money can you make, what kind of cars do you drive. And at the end of the day, I don't know how old you guys are, but like when I think back to the things I've had in my life, like I don't like remember the third, new iPhone I got. I don't remember like when I got my new car, like how it was cool for like a week, but like there are memories that you make with other people. There are things that you achieve or accomplish in your life. For me, maybe stuff related to music, maybe stuff related to gaming when I was in esports.
yeah, it's fair, man. I think that when I would chase, listen, I still have the urges to chase women sometimes. I'm not gonna pretend that it goes away. But it was never fulfilling. It was cool when you fucking, you fuck that new girl, yada yada, but then you get bored of them after a couple weeks and it gets like boring. But the things that I do like a lot is having time to focus on myself, my career. Chasing women is a lot of work, and I think it makes it difficult for you to really like focus on like your career and shit. More than that, like developing like a relationship with my wife is like an incredible experience. I really can't explain it, but like that deep kind of connection is like a very positive thing, I think. And it's something that really cannot be replaced. And it's something that I think everybody should try to develop meaningful relationships. It doesn't always have to be with a partner, but it's a good idea to try to explore those, because you're not going to be fully happy just fucking. Like, you should get it out of your system if you feel like you need to, but you're not going to be like fully happy, you know?
Like these are the standout memories that I have, but I never hear anybody in like the red pill society building towards that. It always feels like they're building towards like the most hollowed existence that you possibly could have as a man that gets like signed off by mainstream consumer society.
You've applied that a lot to me, but I've never even really talked about that. And even if I do, I want the ability to buy those
Well, he talks about it a lot, actually, but okay.
things. It's not those things are going to make me happy. I just want to have the power to not be restricted by anything.
Yeah, but I guess the argument that I always make is if you spend all of your life trying to get the capability to have everything, right? Like a man who spends his whole life on the mission, once that mission is fulfilled, he has nothing. Because your whole life you've just spent trying to get stuff, right? And you haven't worked on building relationships, building friendships, accomplishing something real. Like the best type of advice you get from red pills is at least working out. As long as you're doing it for yourself and not to impress a chick, but like because building your body means something.
Hey, so
Get money.
I don't know. I don't think that's that important. I think that there are like upgrades
you should try to be as successful as possible, but there's a difference between like getting money and trying to be as successful as possible. Because like when Sneako says try to make money, he's trying to get you to buy crypto. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be gravitating towards the jobs that are desirable, that'll last for a while. Trades are really good. HVAC, mechanics, plumbers, these are really good things. They're very difficult to automate away. You'll be secure for a very long time in your life. But Sneako shits on people. Like I watched him talk to ABBA, and he shits on people who try to like gravitate towards that. That's a good idea to do, right? So like, yeah, that's one of the problems.
the life you can make. If you're making $15,000 a year and you live with your mom and dad, yeah, you need to up your money, of course. But like if you've got a decent job, and I've seen this as a millennial, there's a lot of people from my generation who are sitting in their apartment making $140,000 a year doing work from home who fucking hate themselves. They have no friends except for the ones that they see light up on Discord. They have no hobbies except for the 4,000th game of League of Legends they play for the day. And they have like no fulfillment in their life. They have nothing. And then these are the types of people that go online like, how do I meet girls? How do I meet friends? Like, why is it that I've hit every big marker in my life, but I'm fucking miserable? And I think that that void isn't being answered by anybody, I think, right now.
Would you admit, right, that life is about experiences?
Yeah, for sure.
So if I'm a guy living in this world today, when they want the best experience possible.
Absolutely.
So if I'm telling guys to be better and become better themselves and experience more things in life, I want to have the best in life. For example, nicest cars, nicest lifestyle, because that does breed experiences.
It breeds experiences. I wonder how Destiny's going to articulate that. Like, if those are the things you want, that's fine, but those are fundamentally material, and they're not going to actually make you happy. Having like getting a new car will be cool, but it's not going to be as good as developing a strong relationship. Like, I know people memed on me, was like, have you ever loved before, when I asked that question to Dennis? And people like, because it's a bunch of immature kids that have never experienced genuine It's really hard to express like how important these relationships are to you, unless you've lived through them and you've done your best to develop them, and you've learned to develop them by never compromising, being the best version of yourself, and giving all you can to the other person, and not giving less just because they give you less, but then also recognizing that they are giving you less and moving on to somebody who like deserves you, right? It's very difficult to develop, to like really find and develop those types of relationships, right? That, like, I get what he's saying. Like, new experiences are cool, but like happiness, and everybody could be different, but most people want those types of relationships. They really do. They want like intimate relationships that are good, right? Like that are like very comparable. They're very on the same page. Like, have the same like physical chemistry, sexual chemistry, emotional chemistry. Yeah.
Now, I get what you're saying. Most guys may not get to that marker, and they may be miserable on the journey. But we're just saying, look, if you live on this earth right now, how do you improve? How do you become better? Because that is the only way you can actually have purpose in life, becoming better.
I agree with you, but we're almost begging the question. Having the best experiences, the best type of life. Well, what are those experiences? Like, I wish we had somebody older here who was like wealthy, but like, I guarantee you, if you pull like a 40, 50, 60-year-old dude, I'm 33, I'm decently wealthy, millionaire before 35, I've like got my shit together, traveled the world. Yeah. When I think back about the things that mean the most to me, it's never the new expensive computer I got. It's never the new expensive car I got to drive. It's never like it's always going to be like the experiences I've had with other people, especially people I love. So like the experience I've had with my wife, ex-girlfriends, like never like the car that I drove or like the newest cell phone I have. Like, it's the memories you make with other people, I think. And to some extent, money can help you do that. But to another extent, money can help you do that. I have my family on my mom's side all came from Cuba, and I watch my Cuban family is so divided. Yeah. On one end, I've got God bless them, I love them. My parents are amazing people. I love them. They love me. But oh my God, do they run the rat race? They're in a huge house. They're both on Social Security. My dad works full time. He collects disability and retirement from the Air Force, and they're going to work till they die. They've already got like one foot in the grave, and they're walking down working full time. And like, where's the happiness in that? Whereas if I look at the other part of my Cuban family, half these people live in Hialeah. They live in these dog shit apartments that flood. Yeah, every time it fucking rains, you've got cockroaches around. But man, every Friday, Saturday, they're having these huge parties. They're having barbecues. People are going over. They don't have expensive shit. Half these motherfuckers don't have phones, but they're all having fun times. They love each other. They're having like an amazing time every weekend. They've got friends, relationships. And I look at like both of these worlds, and I'm like, fuck, like, well, who's winning at the end of the day? Because on one end, I see the American dream, which is chasing the houses, the money, the pools, the big lifestyle. And then on the other hand, I see like these like dumb Hispanic people, but like these guys are so much happier. Like,
it's interesting because I would say that like, if you're chasing the dream with with a partner, I think that's totally fine too. Like that, it's not just like don't chase. I think the biggest issue I have with the red pill is that it founded on thinking women are less than and they should be forced into a role. My wife cooks for me. She cleans for me. She also works a full-time job, right? Like my wife is in a more traditional role, but also works. That's what I want in a relationship. Doesn't mean that I think all women should have to be that thing. It's okay to set personal boundaries. But that's like the problem with, and I help my wife, of course. Like, I'm not a total asshole. But like, it's about boundary. But if somebody was like, "What do you think women should do?" Nothing. I don't care. Like, women shouldn't have to do anything. People should do what they want to do as long as it's legal and as long as like they're contributing to society. That's all I care about. If you want to be a fucking stay-at-home dad and a woman makes a ton of money, good. I don't care. But I don't disrespect people who do that as long as they handle their shit. Right? And that's what it comes down to. Like, not forced. Like, yes, I acknowledge that there are ways that men are superior to women. There's probably ways that women are superior to men. But I don't care. It's irrelevant. We have jobs or things that are required to be done. And if you can satisfy that, then we're good. That's it.
What the fuck? And I think even you guys are clued into that to some extent, because I hear it in your rhetoric, and I know it's stripped down, this idea of like Western women and Western lifestyles. They have it more figured out in these other parts of the world. And in these other parts of the world, they're not running the same race that we run in the West, where we're obsessed about getting like cars and houses and bitches.
So I'll just make one more point on this. So recently, right, I just bought a 2022 Rolls-Royce Colonial truck, right?
Yeah, I saw the story, yeah.
Not to flex or anything, but like that experience there, you know what I'm gonna do? Everyone that I care about that watched me on the journey up, I'm taking it for a ride in it. and like my mom is like decided to come see it, whatever. I'm just saying like, yes, you're right.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, dude, I get what he's saying. He's like, I was able to earn this really cool thing and I get to share that with my family. Absolutely. Like, I'm hoping to hit my $1 million year next year. You know, or I'm hoping I hit the blow up. And you know what I want to do? I want to take out some of the family, especially the ones who took care of me when I was younger. I want to take care of them. But if you ask me what was more important, was it trying to get $1 million or developing like a deep relationship with my wife? I'm going to tell you that it was the deep relationship with my wife. I'd rather be like middle class or even like fucking hovering poor. Like, I don't, nobody wants to be poor, but I'd rather be like middle class or poor and like with my wife than like rich with now being able to develop that experience, especially since I think a big problem, this is something that I think is super difficult to communicate to some people. I think one of the biggest problems is like the reason my relationship is going to last forever is because I gained my money with my wife. My wife was a direct positive contribution to it. And I've recognized how absolutely incredible and supportive she has been, and like how she's vital to my success as a person and as a man. And I feel like one of the problems is if like you chase all that money first and then you look for somebody, I feel like it's difficult to develop. It's hard to develop that. I don't know, man. There's something about being kind of poor and struggling really hard that really pulls people together. I don't know. Maybe you probably don't need that. I get that, but that's something for me that's been like really positive.
Chasing things like material stuff is kind of dumb. However, when you understand why you're doing it, it makes sense. So, for example, giving people you care about, your family, your mom, your dad, your son, whatever, giving them those experiences will change your life. And also, as well, let's say they get sick. My guy and I was sick a couple of years ago, right? And if I didn't have money to pay for his stuff, he'd be dead right now. So having the money, you need it, no matter what. It's like breathing, bro. Without money, you can't survive. So we're just saying, look, get as much money as possible to help your family, but as well, you know.
But that's not what they're saying. It's also on the backs of being disrespectful to women. So that's the problem. Is like they think women are like less than an inferior. This is like a very nicety game that they're playing here.
Experiences too. Traveling, meeting people. Without money, you can't do much in this world. It's sad, but it's what it is.
I don't think the red pill is as materialistic as you're making it out to be.
It's super materialistic.
I don't understand why they play this like game where it's like no, I don't think. Yes, it is. Why are you guys like misinterpreting yourselves? You have women on, and you're like. Like you think women should be relegated to like a traditional role. These guys are like pretending. There's like this is insane. It's a very disingenuous game when they'll get on and be like no. Like they know what to say to not get like kind of slammed, but they know what's worth slamming for them, you know.
But Myron's not materialistic at all. For example,
he's opposite.
Yeah, so
I'm not even that materialistic.
I was gonna say, my thing is, I always heard this quote, and I love to quote. It's money doesn't buy happiness, but it's a damn good down payment. And what I mean by that is, for us, when we talk about money and becoming successful, we always say, you know, you got to get in shape, you got to get your money up, and then you got to understand female nature so that you can become a complete.
See, that's what it is, understanding female nature, and then it gets to like, but the females, the women that they engage with, are always younger girls that are immature, that are material driven, and then they think all women are just like that, and this is where the problem comes in.
Package, not to get women, but so that women are a byproduct of your success, so that you project yourself in the world in a certain way. And we're really big on guys having like a purpose, because if you have a purpose, then you're gonna every purpose. You have a direction, and when you have a direction, you have a destination. When you have a destination, you have something to work towards. So my thing is, I always tell guys, your value is not determined by the amount of girls you can get. Your value is determined by how much value do you create for the world, and then the women are going to be attracted to that. So we tell guys like, yo, don't chase girls, chase success, and then the girls will follow after that, right? So that's one thing. And then like my thing also is that me, myself, I'm a hardcore minimalist. I mean, I just brought back my 2002 Honda. You know, I don't really own anything nice except for like one Rolex that's a plain Jane. I don't spend really any money except for like in the studio and then my real estate investments. But I think it's important for guys to have the capability to have these experiences you're talking about. So I agree with you 100% that life is built upon experiences, not materialistic things. Now, for some people, those experiences are centered around material things. It depends on the person. But my thing is, I look at it like you need to have that money so that you have the capability to provide those experiences in the first place. And I know what you're saying, like with Tate and everything else like that, that he might not be a good example because it's hollow. He's telling guys get Bugattis or whatever. So I see your perspective on it. But what I would say is that if he teaches a guy how to make money, right, and that guy just need a kick in the ass to tell him, hey, get out there, make some money, start a side hustle, etc. Well, then that person could decide what they want to do with the money, you know, because everyone makes money for different motivations. Some people do it for financial freedom. Some do it to flex. Some people do it to buy clothes or whatever it may be. And I think materialistic things in general are stupid. But if it makes them happy, even for temporary, then hey, man, do what you want to do. But I think it's important to have that money so you have the opportunity. It's a down payment towards that happiness to some degree is my thing. But I'm a big firm believer that you make the money not for girls, but so that you can go ahead and walk away from girls if they do some bullshit. It gives you an extra air of confidence because, you know, competence leads to accomplishments, which then leads to confidence. And that's the end product a lot of times for making the money. So I want the end product from making the money, not necessarily making the money to chase after the girls, if that makes sense.
Sure. And I guess we'll probably get to more of this in later topics.
Yeah.
If that is the case, I think that's a good message, right? The goal isn't to get certain things; it's to build yourself up to a position that those things come to you naturally. That's what you
absolutely.
want,
That's
right?
what we say.
And it's a better way to get those things too, because then you really deserve them, you really earn them, and you're going to keep them because you're not playing stupid games to get a hold of them. I do agree with that. And like I think that there are things you can spend money on to get good experiences, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have been a podcast for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
You have an amazing studio. You've had a lot of success. Like every dollar that you pour into this is a sense of fulfillment, right? You're not just buying shit to have shit, right? But you're like actively improving on something that I imagine you guys both probably feel, everybody here probably feels really strongly about. So that's cool. I support that. I think that's a good idea. But you got to admit, when you look at like the plethora, especially around the Tate stuff, when I see all of the advertising for the Red Pill stuff, it doesn't feel like I hear about that chasing of fulfillment very much. It all feels very materialistic.
Tate always says that a dork who gets rich, like money just amplifies what you have. So a dork that gets super rich, that's why Bill Gates' wife ends up leaving and take half of his money. Because you're just a dork with a bunch of money. It doesn't make you a better man to have a shit ton of money. You need to be a better man overall, or else you're just a rich dork and everybody looks down at you.
But then the only worry is when you're tracking the metric, like, are you a better man because you have money? Or like you were saying, do you get more money because you end up being a better man? And the second one I think is okay. There are ways you can improve yourself to improve your life to get more money. But if the goal is the money, that's always going to be the goal. And when you attain it, like you're going to be lost.
I think foundationally, if your drive is going to be outside of money, you're going to win, because at that point, you're right. For example, we have a goal board in our rooms, at least in my room. And when I hit each goal, it's like, okay, cool, I feel happy. But then I'm like, what's next? If you hit all your goals, then what do you do? So in that sense, I get what you're saying. But if you're coming from it, you know what? I enjoy the journey to get to where I'm at. Then it makes sense.
Yeah, another thing too is why I tell guys all the time, like, I went on a whole huge rant on this as far as like guys like attributing their value to their notch counter getting girls, is that it's a fleeting win, because once you hit, let's say 50 girls. Oh, now I need 100. Once you hit 100, now I need 200. And then you're never going to be satisfied, because you're always going to want more girls. You're like, I always say the male thirst for, sexuality from women is insatiable. You're always going to want more and more girls. So the only way that you can really satisfy that like drive to conquer is through accomplishing things and then letting women be the byproduct. Because if you're going to go ahead and chase after women, you're going to be a very angry, bitter guy, because you're going to be dealing. Chicks are fickle and flaky from the rip. That's just how they are.
I mean, I genuinely wonder if this is like actually how they feel. And we're somehow all getting it wrong through the way that they express it, or if like they just know the right thing to say. I do wonder, like, are we all getting it wrong? Because like everything I've seen from them, from what they say is always like not even close to this. Like, but are they saying that just to get flashy? I guess I just don't know. I don't know, man. Because my first instinct to say is that they're like being disingenuous about the way that they frame it. Like, I know Sneako is being, because I've seen what we've literally seen. I literally said, like, he literally said to me that women are not, like, aren't equal to men. So, like, I know he's sexist. Like, so I don't have to, but like, Fresh and Fit, have we been getting it wrong? I don't know.
Emotionally erratic creatures.
I guess we'll find out.
I always tell guys, you go after the success, because at least that's in your control, and then the girls are going to come after. I always use Drake as an example, right? So when Drake comes, they're fickle and flaky. Because if you're going to go ahead and chase after women, you're going to be a very angry, bitter guy, because you're going to be dealing. Chicks are fickle and flaky from the rip. That's just how they are. They're emotionally erratic creatures. So I always tell guys, you go after the
like
success,
that. Like women are emotionally, like women and men express their emotions differently. But I find like that women, when they get more emotional, I guess they cry more, and when men get emotional, they get angry. And for some reason, we don't think that anger is an emotion or something. But like women and men are very similar in a lot of ways as the way that they engage in relationships. Men are flaky as well. I understand that women tend to have more like sexual selection, right? Because men want to fuck more, and women have the ability to withhold that in some capacity and use it as a bartering chip. But then men are the ones that really get to decide whether they want to be in a relationship or not. And like these things do kind of balance them out, and they kind of manifest themselves in different ways. We're starting to see it slip out though.
Control, and then the girls are going to come after. I always use Drake as an example, right? So when Drake comes here to Miami, right?
Drake,
what he'll do is he'll have a party, right? And he'll have like 50 to 100 girls show up, and he doesn't pay none of them attention, even though all of them are trying to go talk to him, right? And that's a perfect example, right? Obviously, like on a higher scale, right? But my thing is, I want guys to have that mindset where you're so successful that your work speaks for itself, and then girls want to get to come and meet you because he's already created value to the world, and the byproduct of that is the women naturally come to him. So I want guys to strive to be at that level, whether you're the top guy.
That's a cool idea. I think that's great. I think that's awesome. I would say that's not super realistic though, right? For men to kind of do that. For the most part, if you want to get a girl, you're gonna have to approach a girl. Like the thing is not everybody's gonna be able to be so like crazy rich that you're not gonna have to approach women, which is basically what they're saying. You're gonna have to learn how to like talk to girls and be like, hey, what's up? And like, interact with them as people, whether you want to or not. So I think it's a cool idea. I'm not shitting on that, but it is like a little bit unrealistic, generally speaking. So it's one of those things where like the message isn't always going to work for everybody, I guess you would say.
Your firm, you're the top guy on YouTube, you're the top guy in your office, whatever it may be. Like if you look at like sales, right? Like people that work in sales, a lot of times the top salesman guy gets a bunch of the chicks, and it comes from like women naturally being attracted to dominance hierarchy. So my thing is, be the best guy that you can be, and then the women are going to come as a part of that. But when you chase after ass all day, which a lot of guys do, that's where you get that hollowed out feeling that you're talking about, which I agree with. And I said that explicitly many times. You got to become the best version of yourself, and that comes from going to the gym, making money, and then becoming that guy. Because the other thing too that Sneako was saying, as far as like, you know, these guys that are like losers that make money quickly, maybe they just, you know, hedged on a good ass coin and then they made the money and they blew up.
Dorks.
They didn't learn,
Dorks.
they didn't get the discipline, the hardship of getting it. Yeah, and they didn't go through the, you know, the trials and errors of like becoming that guy. Like anyone ever
I think I'm a little confused by that.
a good ass coin. And the other thing too that Sneako was saying, as far as like, you know, these guys that are like losers that make money quickly, maybe they just, you know, hedged on a good ass coin and then they made.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that's what. Okay, I get what you're saying. They didn't really develop like the sense of like a work ethic. I get that. You can develop work ethic without necessarily getting rich. I mean, I will say one thing. You guys are gonna laugh at it, but like being in the Boy Scouts did teach me work ethic. I think you need to learn good work ethic before you know you kind of get to that point. I suppose I would say, but okay, I get what they're saying. I'm just trying to like interpret what they're saying and trying to like make sense of it. Because obviously, at the end of the day, regardless of whether I agree or disagree, like we're coming from like a different background, so like you know, different thing. We could be saying the same thing in a different way and just not understanding it. You know,
made the money and they blew up.
Right.
They didn't learn. They didn't get the discipline,
the hardship of getting it.
Yeah, and they didn't go through the, you know, the trials and errors of like becoming that guy. Like anyone ever play Pokemon? You do the fucking rare candy trick where you get like 99 rare candy, and you take 2 Pokemon. You take one that's a level like 5, another one level 5.
True,
you train one by going to the Elite Four multiple times, having him get his ass whooped or whatever it may be, and leveling him up. And then you take the other Pokemon, you just give him rare candies to level 100. That Pokemon that you give the rare candy.
Yeah, I used to catch the missing node as well.
He's gonna be weak as fuck. His attack is gonna be weak. His defense is gonna be weak. His special is gonna be weak. It's gonna be terrible when you look at him. But when you go to the other Pokemon that actually went through the fights and fought the Elite Four 120 times, his stats are gonna be way better. So
well, that's not true in the original Pokemon. I don't really know how the Pokemon meta works now, but what you're saying isn't really true. Because like it doesn't change anything. I don't think that it changes anything at all. Not in the old game. I don't think that changes anything. In the originals, it changes it. I don't think that that's true at all. It's always been like, what are you talking about? Is he right? There are things called EVs. Yeah, but were there EVs originally? Really? Wow. Well, he got me. Was it in Generation 1? Wow. So how does that work? Interesting. Huh. Wow. Damn. I didn't know Fresh and Fit were on their fucking Pokemon meta. God damn. Shit. Wow. Wouldn't you be able to beat them, though, after you leveled the Pokemon up to max level? And couldn't you get EVs after? I don't know. Let's just move on. It doesn't matter.
So that's kind of what it's like with like fast money leads to slow problems. But if you get the money in a way where you had to build yourself up, then you're somebody. This is why women like, right? There's so many trust fund babies here in Miami, and I'm sure you guys know this.
Holy shit. I will say that coming to, because my wife wanted to move to Miami, she wanted to be down here. And I've never seen so many, I was talking to Sneako about this, but I might not see the same crowds of people, but I see so many people, and I'm like, what do you guys do for work? I'm like, oh, you know, never. I was like, we're in South Beach. This place is fucking expensive, okay?
Yeah,
like one bedroom apartment is like $5,000 a month. What do you mean you don't fucking work? Like, no. And I'm like, everybody here, like, it's coming from money.
Yeah, the New York money or South American money. So like those people, right? Like perfect example. Like I can't tell you how many girls have come on this pod and like deal with those guys, right? And they just tolerate them because they have money, because they didn't go through the work to become a man to make that money. So those guys are not like inherently attractive to them. They're just tolerating them because they have money. Versus a guy that made the money, he becomes a fucking somebody. That guy had to learn certain characteristics and had to build character to make that money. That's what's attractive. I've always said it. Women aren't attracted to money. They're attracted to the characteristics it takes to make a lot of money.
This is one of the reasons why, and I'm only bringing up things you said, not to rag on you, but I don't know how much like trickles down from everything else. But like, there's one of the reasons why I rag on like the crypto bros so much. Like there are people that build businesses, provide a value service to the world, or even build YouTube channels. Yours is really good. You've done a really good job of that. And like, I respect that. But I don't want to hear financial advice from some fucking loser that bought like some shit coin and made like $2 million. You got lucky. No, I know you're not. No, you do good content. You've made your shit. Like you've proven yourself even from an early age. But like, yeah, like hearing some like 21-year-old like crypto millionaires like, oh, I'm going to tell you what the future of Web3 is. Like, bro, you don't know fucking anything about anything.
Yeah,
okay, you put 3 weeks of allowance on some bullshit doggy coin and somehow you're a millionaire today. Like you're going to lose that shit in 2 weeks, and it always happens.
And they have the money to keep just keep that up too. Like they can make a really bad investment. It's like, oh, I still have more money, so of course they're going to be able to make like even if you're a millionaire, but if you make like a couple $100,000. And you just can invest. You can just dump money into shit and fail, and it won't matter for you at all. You know.
Yeah. And the test is like, if you took that person's money now, would they be able to make it back?
No.
And that's there you go. That's a litmus test.
Because the question that they'll always. Do you guys say your age?
Yeah, I'm 32.
Okay, I think we agree on this. If you could go back to being 20, and you could either have all your money now or all your knowledge now, what would you have?
I would take the knowledge.
Yeah, without even a second thought. But if you take a crypto millionaire and you go back 5 years, you have the money or the knowledge, but they didn't fucking learn anything, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're literally thinking, like, well, what can I predict the future? It's like, what did you learn investing in some coin? Like, you're not reading white papers, okay? You don't even know how the fucking technology works.
Yeah.
Man,
and I have crypto too, so it's like I definitely understand how people can like pump a coin or whatever and get lucky. It is what it is. But like, I would definitely take the knowledge of how to make money
for sure
over getting lucky and getting the money. So
Destiny, do you believe in the hero's journey?
Like the Greek archetype or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it's a story, and to some extent, it's applicable to our lives. Yeah, of course.
So to me, from what I see Andrew doing, he's giving you the hero story. He's been through hardship. He was poor, not successful. He worked his way up. He's saying, you know what? If I can do it, on some level, you can too as well. Would you agree on that or no?
I say that. He always disagrees. I said everybody can get rich now, and he doesn't like that.
Here's the problem, okay? With these guys, okay? These guys are on the Titanic, and there's one lifeboat that can hold 400 people, and there's 10,000 people on the deck, and they're like, everybody can get in this boat. That's not true. Anybody could get in the boat, but not all 10,000 of them are getting in, okay? When you've got like a podcast where guys are talking about here's how you become a millionaire doing this or that or that, yeah, maybe there's like some percentage of your audience could do it, but 98% of these guys are going to fail. And everybody knows that from the dawn of any multi-level marketing, any online type of advertising, any like encouragement to like get rich doing these things. Like these goals are for 98% of people totally unattainable. Can anybody do it? Probably. Can everybody do it? Absolutely not.
Would you agree though that if I work on myself every day for the rest of my life, I will improve on some level?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sure. So that's what we're saying here on the podcast. We want guys to improve. You may not become a multimillionaire per se, but you can do the best that you can do. For example, maybe top guys for sales in your area. Maybe like, you're the guy that has like the most, like I want to say, influence in your society. We're just saying like, as a guy, if you can improve every single day, you win because on that level, you have purpose, you have drive, and people see you as, the top G in that sense.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, because if you shoot for the stars, and you fall a little bit short, you're still up high. So that's what it comes down to.
Do you think you've been blindsided a little bit by just seeing like the Bugatti and seeing TikToks and stuff like that?
Well, but that's always like the thing is that's always like the pull in, and I think that's what a lot of the people are after. Because when people start evaluating if they're successful or not, and I'm going to be honest, it happens even in my audience, right? I'll say like, hey guys, like we should think about these political issues like this or that. Some people will just bite like a political opinion, and they don't actually copy any of the underlying thought process. I'm like, well, fuck. Like now I'm kind of disappointed.
Isn't that exactly what happened to you with the red pill space?
No, what do you mean?
Like, don't you think you just took the bite-sized level?
No. What I'm saying is I think a lot of people take the bite-sized stuff. Because like I said, and I admitted at the beginning, and I'll say it again, I think there's a lot of stuff that red pill people do get right? I think that a lot of people on the left, for whatever dumb fucking reason, are really scared of self-improvement. Like I'm reading articles from the New York Times saying that like, workout culture has been taken over by the right. Why the fuck is that the case? Why the fuck would the right have a monopoly on improving your body? What a stupid thing. Meanwhile, I go to the left and I'm seeing like health at every size shit. I'm like, oh, well, that's why fuck me, I guess, So yeah, I mean like there are things on the red pill that they acknowledge that are true.
Yeah, you're going to come to the good side eventually, I'm telling you. Man.
There's a quote, just because one side errs too far, does it really follow that the other side couldn't be erring too far as well? And that's kind of how I view it. Like the left is fucking ran away for sure, but that doesn't mean that the right has the correct answer on everything.
So you're in the middle.
I'm definitely on the left, more on the left. So I'll say center left. I'll give you that. Okay.
Right,
if I reach really far, I can touch the middle. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and we talked about body positivity before too. I mean, I that's one thing that I have like I've made girls like literally get very mad or cry or whatever on the panel. Like, I genuinely, wholeheartedly believe if you're fat, it's your fucking fault and you deserve zero sympathy. Because at the end of the
day, listen, I'm a fat guy. I'm not offended by anything that he's saying. Because if you absorb that ideology and it means that you don't become fat, you're ahead of the game because it is so bad being fat. I think that a lot of people who talk about being fat are young people, okay? Are young people who haven't experienced the negative health impacts yet, okay? When you hit 25, 26, 27, your body goes down drastically, okay? So you don't want to be fat. Now, there are some underlying issues. Some people just have self-control issues. Some people cope eat. It's not healthy, right? They have bad relationships with food. I don't think shaming people specifically it will never help people lose weight. Some people will take to it. There are some issues, but ultimately what needs to be understood is that it is 100% in your control. The way I like to approach it is it's 100% in your control. If you're overweight, you 100% have the ability to not be overweight. But you have to apply yourself. You have to take small steps, one by one, to do it. And like, of course, it's going to be harder than somebody who's never been fat in their life. They're never going to understand that it's going to be difficult to lose weight because they've never had a bad relationship with food. But you kind of just have to deal with it, and you just kind of have to do better. Because at the end of the day, sulking and being up on your own shit and crying about it, it's not going to make you any. It's not going to change you. You're not going to benefit. Right. So like, I get it. It's like there are different things in life that have happened that maybe make you like cope eat or stress eat. But if you want to change, like you ultimately have the ability to change, and you just need to do better. Even if your journey is harder to lose weight than somebody who's never been overweight, you just have to suck it up and you have to get it done because you're the only one that's losing out. You're the only one who's losing out. Start with small changes. Start drinking water instead of soda. You know what I mean? Start by like just forcing yourself to have couple of maybe 1, 2, or 3 servings of like broccoli every meal before you eat to fill your stomach up a little bit with like good macronutrients or micronutrients. You know, make these small steps, and then eventually, because you have to do this forever, so you don't need to crash diet because you're not going to succeed. Small steps: water, vegetables before you eat your food. Understanding you don't have to eat everything on your plate, right? Because I was always told you have to eat everything on your plate or else you get in a lot of trouble. So part of it's like, I got to finish eating this. You can put it in the refrigerator and you can save it for later. I know these are stupid to some people, but these are things that you need to do. And eventually, you should, if you really need to, work up to like tracking your calories because all losing weight is calories in and calories out. Go for a 20-minute walk every day. These are the things that you really want to do, you know?
As a human being, especially in a first world country like the United States, you control every morsel of food that goes into your mouth. Controlling calories and going to the gym is not that difficult. If you go to you can build a pretty damn good physique going to the gym only 3 times per week for about an hour and a half.
That's
and
true.
people will waste that time playing video games or eating shitty ass food or doing a bunch of bullshit on their phone, scrolling through TikTok. So like obesity is just something that's unacceptable. But yes, I agree with you. Like that's like considered like on the left, they're like, oh, body positivity, accept you at any size, love your curves. But with the conservatives, they tend to be like, well, being fat is not correct because conservatives tend to be a little bit more.
Well, that's not what conservatives say. Like, let's be honest. Conservatives will shame you for being fat, and it doesn't work. A lot of times when it comes to like telling people to not be fat, a lot of people will just like to be hateful towards people, and they feel justified in being hateful towards fat people, and then they say, I just don't want you to be fat anymore. But they don't actually care. They just think you look disgusting. And that's the reality. Because you want to know what? I'm fucking 350 pounds. You guess what? When I watch my 600-pound life, disgusting. I don't care if you think that's shitty. I understand why people think fat people are gross. I'm not trying to be an asshole. You know, it's more about just keeping it to yourself. You know, you don't have to tell them that they're gross. You know what I mean? It's about kind of like keeping it to yourself. You can have the thought, but just keep it to yourself kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Based in reality. Does that mean that, are all conservatives right? No. But that's one thing I agree with you, that the left is definitely on some bullshit with this body positivity, which I think is cancer.
Well, and then like the thing, and I'll push back a little, the thing is that like the core of that messaging is correct. You can, just because you're fat, doesn't mean you can't try to improve your health in some ways, because something that'll happen sometimes is once somebody gets a little fat, they'll just lose it. Like, fuck it. Like, I'm overweight, I'm obese, I'm gonna eat whatever, I'm not gonna exercise, my life's over me. No, like you should love your body. And that should be the big drive to improve it. Even if you are overweight, you can still love yourself. You don't have to hate yourself. And that should be like the big drive that's pushing you back towards being a healthy person. But somehow, somewhere along the way, that got convoluted or warped into, well, you're healthy and you love yourself, and we can't be having any problems with ourselves, so we love ourselves. So if you love yourself, nothing can be wrong with you, therefore you're perfect the way you are, and then don't work on anything. So that's always the issue, is that like, and that's what's happened with some of these left-leaning narratives, is that they start off, I guess, kind of like the right ones, where like the central idea, I think, is good. Like if we talk about like BLM, we talk about like black issues in the United States, there is truth that things like slavery or Jim Crow fuck with the position of black people today. Yeah, but those reasons for why people are in the areas they are suddenly become justifications or rationalizations to never improve anything.
Agreed.
And now the explainer for why you are where you are has become the handicap or the crutch that's preventing you from succeeding. And that's the thing that drives me fucking crazy.
Agreed. I mean, we 100%, like we talk about this all the time, like the victim mindset is extremely strong in the black communities. They continuously complain and cry about laws that don't necessarily affect them right now. And honestly, they might be not even in a situation where their family wasn't negatively affected by it, but they will sit there and be like, I need reparations or whatever it may be. And my thing is like, how is it that foreigners come to this country that don't even speak the language, don't have an education, are able to come here and build a business or make a 6 figures or whatever it may be, or rise up the ranks faster than people that are born here, raised here, have an American citizenship and speak the language and have all the opportunities? There's people that, as you guys know, I don't know if you know, Destiny, I was an agent for Homeland Security Investigations, and one of the crimes I investigated was human smuggling, and I would see people.
Bro, yeah, cooking is a big deal. People don't learn to cook. That's a huge deal. People don't know how to cook anymore. I know that sounds crazy. We should force boys and girls to take like economic, like home ec classes. I genuinely believe that. That's a good point.
Trying to come into the United States all the time from all different parts of the world, dying from, getting left in the brush, in the desert, getting crammed in vehicles, dying from heat exhaustion. I mean, in San Antonio about a month ago, they recovered like 50 aliens that died in the back of a truck. So seeing that with my own 2 eyes, seeing dead children, dead families, etc., coming here struggling to try to get a better life, I have zero excuse for anyone that make excuses about systemic racism or whatever, whether it's black, Chinese, green, I don't give a fuck. If you're in the United States and you're poor, it's your fucking fault. It really is, because this is the land of opportunity.
Okay, well, that's obviously a little too far. Like, I was with him a little bit, you know, but like, if you're poor, and it's not, it doesn't mean it's your fault. This country is richer than other countries. And being poor in America isn't the same as being poor in a lot of other places. Let's be absolutely honest, though. But there's a lot of instances where you're born into an area, you don't get access to education. There isn't a lot of job availability. You don't have the money to just simply move to a new job. A lot of jobs may not want to hire you because you didn't get that education. It's more complicated than like everything is your own fault. We have a lot of issues, even if you don't want to look at it from like a systemic issue from race. You can absolutely look at it from a systemic issue when it comes to like wealth. Definitely, like poor people, you absolutely like marginalized, right? That's something to keep in mind, okay?
And this is something that, so I'll throw on both sides here. It'll piss me off on the left because, like, if you want to find some of the most anti-immigrant or sometimes racist people in the United States, it's going to be from those newer immigrant communities, because these are the guys that are coming over. They're busting their ass. They're working as hard as they can, and they don't make excuses for anything.
They don't.
But then I'll see it on the right where conservatives will utter this shit. We're like, I don't want these lazy fucking Mexicans coming to my country, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, are you serious?
Yeah,
like, go
really
drive anywhere in the fucking summer and look who's on the roofs, like putting everything up. Like, look who's out there busting their ass, driving, getting where, however the fuck they can do it. Like, some of these people can't even fucking read, and they're showing up working like 12-hour days. Like, you can't call these people lazy. They're not. They work harder than any other motherfucker. That's why they're taking your jobs.
Yeah, at my old job, right? It was a tech company as well. I had a guy, one of my best friends on the team, Mexican, right? Me and him worked overtime. We did the most hours in the office. We started making more than our boss. And you know what it was? It was drive. Both immigrants want to be successful. Hey, you know, everyone's like, you know what? Let's go get a beer. Let's go drink. Let's go party after work. We're like, bro, we need to make money, bro. Like, we're not going to be here 40 years plus. They're like, you know what? We'll get a retirement. We'll get a pension, whatever. We'll get like retirement, whatever. I'm like, bro, we're here to make money and be successful. So we worked harder than everybody else. And we're immigrants. So it's like, it just depends on your mindset, bro.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't just the black community. This is any community where they're making excuses for where they're. It tends to, if people have been here for generations, a lot of times they'll just like not value the opportunity that they have living in the United States. Whereas like people will like fucking try to die to get here. You know, even people from first world countries.
I just want to say, like, let's just be clear. Like, black people have only been equal in America for like 60 years, like on paper, like Jim Crow laws getting, or you know, the Civil Rights Act getting passed. So I just want to bring that up. Okay, I don't want to get too bogged down into the like, oh, it's your own fault kind of bullshit, because I don't think that it's like purely your fault. I mean, there's a lot there, but of course, you should do the best to like improve your situation. Like, I think that's a great message, of course.
Try to come here. You know how many Canadians sneak into the United States to try to get opportunities here, or overstay their visas, especially here in fucking Miami, to get opportunities? Like, even people from first world countries that want to be here in the United States. So I look at it like, if you piss that away, man, and you're poor, no fucking excuse. Just like with fat people, if you're broke or you're fat, it's always your fault. Because I know someone that probably has one arm that wishes he could fucking go to the gym and train, and I know someone else that's in a third world country that would kill somebody to be able to come in here. Meanwhile, your dumb ass is sitting there whacking off, watching porn all day, wondering why you're a fat fucking loser.
You know what it is? Comfort. Yeah, and convenience, honestly.
So, Desi, I want to know, like, where do you?
I was going to say real quick on that, because oh my god, and then you go. Sorry, this kills me the most. Being 33 years old, when I hear somebody who's 19 or 20, they tell me their life is over and they're hopeless. I'm like, dude, I would. Those
are left-leaning people.
No, there's a lot of people, a lot of lost people. I'm like, bro, you're 20 years old. You haven't even started to live yet. You can do anything. Like, the whole world is.
The idea that there aren't like conservative-leaning people doing the same thing as well is a little silly. I think we have a generation of people who have just kind of like given up and they're feeling hopeless. Just because of like everything going on. I think that's what it is. They just feel hopeless because of just the state of the society, the new world, how like, you know, the media is kind of driving up our frustrations and antagonizing the shit out of us, shit like that. Honestly, I don't think it's not just progressives. I mean, come on, that's a little, you know, that's the same as like it's all men or it's all women. You know what I mean? It's the same bullshit.
Of you. Or when you see people, even people that are overweight, like if you are a healthy individual, if you can get out of bed on your own support, you don't have a wheelchair, you're already in an amazing starting spot. You can be a dude that's 5'11" and you weigh 280, 290, 300 pounds. That starting spot, assuming you're healthy, no chronic conditions, you're still in an amazing place to start. Absolutely. You have such an amazing road ahead of you if you just like put in a little bit of work. And on the second thing, just as like a self-improvement thing, you have no idea how much time you have in the day. You shit away so much time looking at your phone, do whatever. You block out just fucking 30 minutes or 1 hour, you could become like a world expert at anything in like 1 year. It could be an instrument, it could be fucking gym, it could be whatever. Just 60 minutes a day. It's an unimaginable amount of time.
You haven't said any of this in our debates. I'm wondering where you draw the line between being complacent and like toxic hustle culture. Because I've always said like anyone can get rich, and like, well, it's hard for people. Not everybody has the same circumstances. And left-leaning people make a lot of excuses for the reason they encourage.
Well, okay, so anybody can get rich. I think Sneako struggled to like kind of express that the way that people understood. But then again, he's saying that under the guise of pushing like some kind of a crypto multi-level marketing like thing, like Andrew Andrew Tate does that he just like announced. So it's like when you say anybody can, for sure, but in the way that you're doing it, you know that you require people to fail in like your basically like your industry in some capacity in order for like your success to come, because you're basically trying to poach some money from them, right? So that's what Destiny's talking about when they're talking about that.
Complacency way more than people on the right. So I'm wondering where you stand on that.
Okay, so you analyze on the very highest level. When I'm analyzing things, I'm the most progressive motherfucker in the world. We need to talk about systems. We need to talk about like the structures of racism, oppression, like things that affect wide groups of people, because these systems are real. They do affect people. But if you get me down to an individual, I'm talking one-on-one to somebody, I'm the most like libertarian anarcho person in the world. Nobody's going to do shit for you. You're the only one that cares about yourself. You need to do whatever the fuck you can to improve your position, because nobody else is going to care about you like you do.
So are you left-leaning just because you're a streamer?
No, it's just there's a different level. First of all, I'm already banned for not being left-leaning enough, so nice try. Okay. Secondly, I've got the perfect story for being a fucking conservative. Okay, lived on my own since I was basically 17. Okay, self-made fucking millionaire, self-made. Nobody in my family helped for shit. Okay, so I got a good conservative spirit if I wanted to be. But no, I just think that the problem is that people on the right won't acknowledge like real issues that exist. Right? People on the right will say some stupid shit like, "Yeah, I think family is really important," and you know, like my grandpa, my great grandpa, and shit. Like, you know, the contributions they made to my parents that really helped me in life. And then they'll turn around and say some shit like, "I don't think Jim Crow matters. That was in the '60s." It's like, bro, this family doesn't have a fucking house because they weren't allowed to live in this part of the city.
But we're not saying that.
That's fine if you don't say that.
What people in the red pill space
I'm not saying it exactly, but I'm saying that there are truths on both sides that have to be, you have to take them together and synergize them to get a good view of the world. If you just look at everybody as you haven't accomplished this, you're a fucking failure, and then you come on the left over here and you say like, oh well, nothing is your fault, you have no responsibility. Both sides of these
acknowledges the inadequacies.
Yeah,
I understand.
I see what
he's saying. He acknowledges the inadequacies. It's not an excuse, but you acknowledge it.
Yeah, you acknowledge it so that you can overcome it.
Yeah.
That's the point. But like, here's something I'll say, right? A middle class person, and I don't mean to come down on anybody here, but like, if you were born middle class and you're middle class your whole life, you didn't accomplish shit. You showed up to life every day and you did fine. You went to school, you went to college, and you got a job. And that's great. But those same people that started, okay, middle class and ended up middle class will look at people that are lower class, and these people will stay lower class and they'll look down on them. And it's like, wait, hold on. You didn't improve your lot in life at all. You stayed the same the whole fucking time. Why would you look down at a guy, you know, who's making 24K a year, who came from a family of people making 24K a year? It's not like you're a millionaire now, and you had every right to be, right? Because if you were born middle class in America, the United States of America, the fucking world is at your fingertips, right? There are people that are 14 becoming YouTube stars. There are people that are learning computer programming, all sorts of shit, right? You showed up every day, you're going to make fun of the guy beneath you who didn't have half the opportunities you did. That's the issue that I have when I talk about them on the right.
That's a disagreement with the conservatives. But what's your overall disagreement with the red pill space? Because the only thing you brought up was the materialism, and we kind of, you know, showed that.
I think it's the materialism, and I think it's the hyperfixation on the individual sometimes, without acknowledging that, like, yeah, there are structures that like fuck with people that are going to make it harder. And I think there's a fine line to balance it. Not all red people are as bad as all other red pill people. Like, I've seen some that are okay. Assuming, Myron, your positions are as you say they are, I'll probably agree with you on quite a bit. But then there are other people that are true. Yeah, I grab a $40,000 car that I like, and I don't want to buy it anymore.
My thing is like $2,000 if that. I mean, yeah, and I you know, I brought my car back because I had it in college. I drove it across the country when I was an agent. I drove it from Connecticut to Georgia, from Georgia to Texas, then back to Florida, and it keeps me grounded. Has good memories, and I will never get rid of it. And you know, yeah, I mean, my thing is like, I'm really big into real estate. I take all my earned income and dump it into that. So that's what like makes me happy, like building like kind of like an empire, real estate empire. So for me, it's like not really the materialism. It's just that I'm accruing money so that I can help my family in times of need. Like we had some stuff going on. I pay all my parents' bills and take care of them as well. So, or a majority of their main bills. But I think that's the most important thing. And that goes back to what you were saying as far as like experiences and being able to help the people that you love versus like, I'm just going to spend my money like a retard on stupid shit. But if that makes you happy, right? It is what it is. I think a lot of people at some point, once they buy enough materialistic things, they start to get tired of it. And it'll help them at least realize, okay, this is not what I wanted. And then that might drive them to go ahead and formulate those relationships or create those experiences, or maybe that materialistic stuff help them create an experience. Everyone is different, but I'm a firm believer that money does not buy happiness, but it really is a good down payment.
I think we're pushing more so than anything else to freedom, because freedom means, for example, you have the power to make change. If I just say at my desk all day, right, I do my job, I'm the same, I could talk about change, I could want change, I can't really do much. If I have money now, I can actually make a change either in my life or other people's lives. We're just saying, look, if you're going to be on this earth, at least have the capability to make a change.
Yeah, 100%. If money, I mean, it's like money's not everything, but not having it is, right? Yeah. If you're broke as fuck, of course. And this is why, and it's hard to flip the switch on this because I was a carpet cleaner before I got into streaming, and my life was falling apart on my house payments. Girlfriend was pregnant, everything. I got fired from my casino job, working as a carpet cleaner, and everything is fucked. And in that position, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. Hearing people say shit like, "Oh, money isn't everything." Money's like, motherfucker, money would solve like 80% of my problems. Okay, fuck you. All right, money is everything when you don't have it. And I empathize with that position. But something that you don't learn it until you're on the other side is there are a lot of, and you guys should see this if you're in this I'll say this medium, right? There are a lot of people with a lot of money that are fucking miserable. And that's wild to see. 100%. I would have thought that was impossible. And I know so many influencers, so much talent, so many Instagram girls, like, damn, dude, you must be doing crazy shit, fucking like mad, like you gotta have the best life, and they're fucking miserable. A lot of these people aren't even fucking as much as you think they would be.
Hold on,
and I'm like, are you serious? Yeah, go.
On the other end, I know many people with money that are very happy and successful.
There are probably, there.
So it's all about the mindset. Because, for example, right? You know what makes me really happy? being able to say, you know what, my mom is retired in her own house, in her own car. That for me makes me happy. So, but after that, buying cars, doing stupid shit, that's because I want to. But having that capability to do that made me super happy. We're just saying, look, at the end of the day, you have freedom to do whatever you want, and people are happy regardless. It's a mindset. I can be poor happy or rich happy. It's a mindset. So, if you had a choice to make, would you be poor?
Well, what he's trying to say here is that, like, when you push the primary motivation, and he's already conceded that. I mean, I guess maybe we just don't. Maybe I really just don't know Fresh and Fit's actual take, but. When you're always pushing as like money number one and not really developing robust relationships with people that, like, you know, which is probably not really is number one, you're going to be very empty in your life. That's what he's saying. He's not like I guess that's the problem here. I don't know if I've ever seen Fresh and Fit actually talk about that, but maybe it's just what I'm seeing. You know, maybe we got it wrong with Fresh and Fit. I don't know. Maybe they're not as bad as we think. I don't know. I don't know.
Happy or rich happy? Me rich happy all the time. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can agree. I think so. I would say that the comparison might be like fighting, right? You're probably not going to be a good fighter if you don't spend any time in the gym. But going to the gym all fucking day is going to make you a good fighter, right? It's two totally separate things you have to work on. So like getting your money up, making yourself a better person, that's good. I just feel like I don't hear enough people talk about the other side of, like, and maybe you guys do, and I just miss it because I don't watch much of anything.
You see the TikToks and then you read the
yeah. People just don't talk about that building the.
Well, that's what they're putting out there is TikTok. That's one of those things. It's like that's kind of what they're putting out into the world. Is like, hey, here's your TikToks. Like, yeah, that's what you're putting out to represent yourself. So you can't get too mad if people do misrepresent what you say and what you think. I haven't watched a lot of Fresh and Fit, but you know.
Life fulfillment part as much. It just feels like it's always the focus on.
That's why we're so big on like having a purpose and like creating something. You know, I think with men, if you know, depression really hits and you get sad when you're not like building towards something and building something. I remember when I was on the job with law enforcement, one of the biggest ways that guys die besides like getting shot at for being complacent was after they retired from the job. It's a very stressful job, but it keeps you on your toes, etc. They don't have anything to live for anymore, and a lot of times they die a few years after retiring. And I think that kind of plays into the man's innate need to be able to create something or having some kind of purpose. And that's why I'm so big on not chasing girls, because it's a fleeting purpose. You're never going to feel accomplished doing it.
It's interesting because I've heard stuff like that before, where people like retire and then they pass away very quickly. I tend to believe that. Maybe it's not true, but I tend to believe that. But like, does that happen with women too, you think? Or I know this is just like weird. I'm just exploring my ideas. So if you think this is fucking stupid, that's totally fine. But like, men are taught by society, and I think there's obviously some biological aspects of it, but to provide, but that like they get value by like providing to society, right? But women are taught that like their value is stay at home and cook and clean. So like, if you don't really, you know, retire from that, so you never really lose your purpose because you're always like, yeah, I gotta cook, I gotta clean, I gotta do this. So is that because I know women live longer than men? Do you think that's a factor in it? And that might just been like way too like fucking out there of a take. So like, don't, you know, listen. If you think that was stupid as fuck, I get it. But I'm just wondering.
Versus if you can, you know, create a dent and change someone's life or help people out or create value to the world, that's going to be way more fulfilling. Then the bitches come after that.
Yeah. So I will say I got to commend Destiny. You're definitely more open-minded than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. Yeah. I've seen a lot of sides of a lot of things. So yeah.
Well, I already knew because I watched this content before. I was prepared. I already knew we were going to grab most of the stuff.
Part with Sneako, we talked about your daughter. But yeah, we'll come on to that. What I said? No. Was it? I forgot who it was.
I didn't talk about that.
No. The question was brought up.
Would you let your daughter date somebody?
Yeah. That had me dying.
What did I answer about that? I said yes.
You said yes.
You said yes after a long pause. You were like, yes.
Would you? I don't want to be the one to answer that question.
We answered it, remember? Yes.
Yeah, better than having a weak man. I'd rather have like a strong man who could provide.
But I think the long pause was the issue.
I should answer quickly.
Well, the answer, okay, but if you were like, would you? Okay, so the question was, would you want to be with somebody that had 20 girlfriends? Okay, no, of course not. Like that I wouldn't want my daughter to be with somebody like that because they wouldn't respect them or treat them the right way. A 35-year-old man trying to date with my 18-year-old daughter is not happening, right? And a strong man will prevent that. If you said, would you rather your daughter date somebody with 20 girlfriends or some fucking loser that can't provide anything for them and just like cries all day? Yes, I'm going to pick the guy that has 19 other girlfriends. But luckily, there's more than just those two choices. So that's not really a good answer, right? I wouldn't take either extreme because most time, like pretty much every scenario, extremes are dog shit. So, no.
Sure. I mean, if you want.
No, the pause is good. It shows thoughtfuless, reflectfulness. That's good. Don't listen to these fucking guys.
You're stupid. You're stupid.
Yeah, you don't want to be the butt. Okay, you're thinking.
They type the pause, not an answer.
All right, we'll read this real quick. Mary goes, Sneako, saludos de Mexico. Did you get threats after exposing idiots from Twitter after you made clear about your makeup?
I'm not Mexican, and yes, I did.
Damn. Fresh to BBC. Apologies for being late, fellas. Had to bust one on this super thick Latina shorty. We've been lucky that we here right now. Shorty cheeks was moving, but glad we could make it. Fresh, make it quick though. I'm trying to get busy again. This nigga, bro. She was not Latina, guys. European. $50 from Alvin Sam.
Why are you ratting on him, man.
What the fuck, bro? Yo, this nigga. Yo, dog.
Allegedly, man.
And she's annoying as fuck. But anyway, that's all.
What?
Alvin Sam, $50 goes. Pro Blacks complain.
Nigga, bro.
He's tight that you're late, man.
You want to get on your ass right now?
No, man, chill. All right, Alvin Sam, pro Blacks complain about blackface, but in 2004, the Wayans brothers did whiteface in the movie White Chicks. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Jason Fredrickson, this one goes for all the men out there, Spartans, and that's ARS. I think that's Argentinian, right?
Is that $100?
Yeah, I think that's $100, man. Yeah. So
Marco?
thank you so much, my friend.
Jason.
Chris, you got to hit Don DeMarco, my friend.
I can't handle the fucking things like that. They kill me. It's too much for me. It's too much. It's just so weird. I don't know. I think it's because I have like a sensitivity to it. But that's
You back there?
Yeah, I'm dealing with the girlfriend now.
Oh, okay. All right, Maverick S. Destiny is right because the world right now has becoming mega beta feminized to the point that being masculine like Andrew Tate is no longer needed for modern men. Can't for the giant meteor to come. Can't wait for the giant meteor to come. I think it's really
Asteroid.
Yeah. And then we got $50 from Jay DeWallo. I see Destiny is criticizing Tate based on viral clips instead of watching entire interviews because his message is the same that Myron has stated. He talks about becoming a better person and that life is best when you have a woman.
I listen, I've seen him have conversations with like women and like he's a bit sexist. So like that's not entirely true. It's not all smoke and mirrors where like, oh, none of it's represented well. I saw him talk to like, you know, he thinks less of women. He thinks that they should be forced in a particular role. He thinks men should have like basically like some kind of ownership over, and which I agree with, but women should also have the same level of ownership. He thinks that like he should be able to go out with his friends on a vacation, but his wife or girlfriend can't go out with their friends on a vacation without him. There's like a profound double standard that shows an inequality. And if you want that in a partner, be my guest. But it's very clear that like there is a focus that women are less than to him, and of course he's going to feel that way because he's dating mostly younger girls, legal age. I'm not making like that thing. I'm not saying anything like that, but he's dating mostly like younger girls. So of course he's going to have like that type of a perspective on the situation, right? But yeah, so let's not pretend that like it's all innocent, all this, all that. I've watched a lot of Andrew Tate. Obviously, Destiny probably didn't. I don't really know though. You know, I don't think that that's like a lot of his content. He's obviously does see as more important things to do. I get it. But it's not just like a magical like, oh, you guys are just getting it wrong. No, you guys are not framing it the accurate way. Whether it's intentional or not, it's that you aren't. So let's just keep that in mind.
That cares for you. Yeah, he does talk about that.
Women.
I will say the long form content I've seen is him debating. I've got kind of a friend called XQC, and those are the long form conversations I've seen with him. I haven't.
Oh
seen
yeah, and then the whole the whole women can't drive, are bad drivers based on his anecdotal experience. We know statistically women seem to be better drivers. I don't think that it really matters as long as the individuals drive well. I don't really think it matters. But like the biggest thing is like I remember the comparison he made, and I always remember this. So like why his personal experience is not the best way to operate on life, you know, generally as because he's like, yeah, if it was a snowstorm, I wouldn't let an 18-year-old girl drive. I'd rather drive. Well, of course not. I'd never let an 18-year-old anybody drive because 18-year-olds generally are worthless drivers, right? Older people tend to make better drivers. They're safer drivers, right? And that's the whole point. Yeah, when it comes to like professional NASCAR, men tend to be better drivers because they have like they have better reaction time, etc. I don't know how much of that is like social or how much of that is biological. Don't think it necessarily matters, but that's not the goal. The goal when you're driving in real life is to get to point A to point B the safest, not to as the fastest possible. Men tend to drink, blah 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 blah. And you know he compares himself to younger girls that he dates, and I get it, but like that's not like if you're 35, compare yourself to a 35-year-old woman. Women drive just fine, okay? I mean, I like to make jokes about how women are fucking horrible drivers because it's funny, but like realistically speaking, you know, women are fine drivers. It's fine. It really doesn't. There's no real fucking difference. Okay, so let's just be honest here.
too much else besides that. Just
what were your thoughts on that conversation?
That XQC performed not too well. Well, hey, listen, he's from Quebec. Okay, so they talk up there.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
Not a wanderer. If you all had a flat fee for advertisement on your channel, what would it be? DM. Fresh.
Myron.
No, have him DM you.
I get too many, bro.
All right, DM Unplugged Fit on Instagram and just type in promo in all caps and I'll answer you. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. It's not gonna be cheap. It's not gonna be cheap at all. So, Yvette Morris goes $50. Destiny, who's at fault for the destruction of a two-parent household in today's society? The right or the left? That's actually a good question.
Whoa, that's a cool question. Wait, I think I want to think about that one. That's such a good question. I want to do this one first before Destiny ends. I'm gonna pee before I do this. I'm gonna actually take a second to reflect. Let me quickly re-listen to the question, okay?
Destiny, who's at fault for the destruction of a two-parent household in today's society? The right or the left? That's actually a good question.
Okay, I like that question a lot. I think it's a really interesting thing to sit on and think about. Okay, so to be honest with you, there's probably a mixture of both in different ways. But let me start at the beginning. Marriage is obviously a religious thing. We're seeing a reduction in religion in our society. A lot of people would probably contribute that to being to the left. But I don't. Not fully. And the reason is because if you look at it, especially more historically, like even 50 years ago, religion hated gay people. I know this. I know you guys are going to cry about this, some of you, but religion didn't like gay people. And then a lot of people had gay friends and they were like, they're not bad people. Maybe they should have human rights and we shouldn't shit on their existence. And I think that's what pushed people away. There's also like a lot of regressive like sexism in it as well. I think that there was a big movement of women wanting to be able to like work and earn their own shit because like that fundamental power dynamic of men always being in control. I don't think it was always abusive for women, but I think in a lot of instances it was. If I can look back and a lot of the women I've dated, and maybe this is a coincidence, they had a lot of grandfathers who were kind of abusive to their grandmothers. You know, it's just kind of been, I think that there's an aspect of it like that right leaning, honestly, or I think religion hurts that because religion kind of nay-nayed itself from being shitty, right? I don't think that a reduction of religion is necessarily bad. I think we obviously have to come and figure out a moral focal point. We have to discover new ones as religion becomes less of like a priority in people's lives. And then there's an argument to be made, though, that there's an aspect of it that is the left, though. And that is the way that welfare works nowadays. I believe in strong, robust welfare systems, but you cannot deny that a welfare system that says if you are a single mother, you get more money isn't incentivizing single motherhood. There are people who aren't getting married to maintain welfare benefits if they're poorer. I think that poverty, especially in our system, the richest country in the world, is a failure of the way that we are creating the system. And so when you have a bunch of poor people and you're like, if you're poor and you're a single mom, we'll give you more money. Well, what's your incentive to get married? And then if you don't get married, you don't have that psychological, I'm with this person, which is a very real thing. And then what's happening? It's a very complex thing. I think we need to reform welfare, but I think our current welfare is advocating for particular metrics that we're trying to prevent. So I think that there's a little bit in both sides. That's my answer to it. Okay, that's my answer to it. You have disability and you can't get married or you lose your benefits. See, there you go. Right? We got to reform welfare. We should make it less conditional. Right? We should make it less conditional.
Question. The answer.
That's complicated as fuck. So it seems like, and there's a ton of writing, ton of research, nothing's going on this, but it seems like right now there's like two big issues at play. One that you guys will probably like to hear is women given the opportunity to pursue education and careers will put off having a family a little bit more because who wants to stop their life at 21 to like have a kid? That's a big thing. And the second thing is people are having harder times getting the economic freedom, getting your money up, to move out and have their own house because everybody wants to live in these like huge cities that are getting more and more expensive. Yeah. And nobody wants to start a family when you're living in the basement with your mom and dad. So I think those are like the two big things. I don't know which one's a bigger factor. Everybody argues back and forth on it, but when people have the money to like move out, it seems like they're more likely to live in their own place and start families, and both of those things are playing a big factor right now.
There's many. It's a multivariate issue. You know, it's
interesting because I'm surprised I just fucked up and like rewinded it. Where was I?
But it seems like right now there's like two big issues at play. One that you guys will probably like to hear is women given the opportunity to pursue education and careers will put off having a family a little bit more because who wants to stop their life at 21 to like have a kid? That's a big thing. And the second thing is people are having harder times getting the economic freedom, getting your money up, to move out and have their own house because everybody wants to live in these like huge cities that are getting more and more expensive. Yeah. And nobody wants to start a family when you're living in the basement with your mom and dad. So I think those are like the two big things. I don't know which one's a bigger factor. Everybody argues back and forth on it. But when people have the money to like move out, it seems like they're more likely to live in their own place and start families. And both of those things are playing a big factor right now.
There's many. It's a multivariate issue. You know, you got feminism, you got birth control, you got the feminization of men while simultaneously the masculinization of women, putting off the women chasing education. You know, women dominate college campuses nowadays and women are starting to out-earn men in a lot of cities.
On college campuses.
Yeah, and they're starting to out-earn men in a lot of cities as well. I predict in the next 10 to 15 years, women are going to start out-earning.
I like how he says multifaceted, and then he completely did, like, he kind of went with more, like, right-leaning red pill talking points and didn't really acknowledge the aspect of it that was... like financially motivated, which I think is a big part of it. Like, it's true that women tend to gravitate towards men that make more money. Like, let's not deny that. But like, I don't like if you're having a masculinization of women and then a feminization of men, those should equal out to those more masculine women gravitating towards more feminine men, et cetera, So I don't think that like I'm sure that those are aspects of it. I think that like religion is a big aspect of it, and the fact that it's like not as big in our society anymore. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way that religion like expresses itself, and historically has been very oppressive to people. And we've kind of learned that these people aren't so bad. Like I don't want to be hateful. It's one of the things that's turned me away from religion. Maybe it's just too anecdotal, but I used to be very religious. Like I used to go to church every Sunday. I never really talk about it, but I used to go to church every Sunday. My mother used to be my religion teacher. My mom was like very active in a lot of stuff. So like it's a big part of it.
Men pretty much all across the United States.
Yeah.
On average, but not the extremes.
Yeah. Yes. On average. Men are still going to probably the highest earning people are still, just like with everything in life, like women tend to, congregate in average. They tend to be better than most guys.
But the best
and the worst are almost always men on the bell curve, right? So the smartest people.
I think that oh fuck, dude. I'm pissed. I think, like I was gonna say, I think that when it boils down to it, I think that I'm pretty sure that the smartest woman, the smartest person in the world, highest IQ has been a woman. We looked at this as a woman. So yeah, so it's 2228. Marilyn Voss Savant, I guess. So I'm just saying, it's something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind, motherfuckers. You got to keep in mind.
People are men, then the dumbest people are also men. But when it comes to like average, you take average chick and average dude, that woman is more than likely going to be smarter than him to some degree.
My boss babes out there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's a multivariate thing. So you would, okay. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, agreed. Zentians, that's the fact that
I didn't necessarily agree 100%. He kind of misdirected a little bit there, but I get what you're saying. 80%
of men are sexually invisible to most women. Coupled with high likelihood of coming from a single mother home, men have minimal reasons to improve. The RP is a stark message amidst male subversion and stop the self-deletion rates. Thank you so much for that, Zentia. What's your thoughts? Yeah, please, go ahead.
So I think here's one of the issues that I have with, again, fuck, people on the left and right. I sound like a fucking centrist. But the issue, I think, is a lot of stuff has changed in the world with regard to technology. Okay. And I think everybody on the left wants to blame like the patriarchy and racism, and then people on the right want to blame feminization of men or feminism or whatever. But I think that a lot of our lives have fundamentally changed in ways that people aren't even aware of in an incredibly short amount of time. When I was in school and Facebook came out, originally there were like 4 things on Facebook. It was like DMing, it was checking in for like group events, and it was like posting your fucking wall. Yep. That's all that Facebook had. You even needed a .edu
address. Call it the wall, not even the timeline.
The wall. Yeah. Oh yeah, because it wasn't a timeline back then. Yeah. Back then, online shit only existed to augment your real life.
Yes.
The reason why you got social media is because it helped you connect with friends more. Because back then, like a lot of us weren't using cell phones as much yet. It wasn't a requirement to fucking text everybody.
Yep.
Like
MySpace.
And people use these things to make their real life better. But at some point, past 15 years,
it became real life.
Yeah. I don't use Facebook or Discord to connect with real life friends. I use Facebook and Discord to get friends. And that's not the same thing. There is something that is fundamentally lost in human interaction when you are living, and I say this as somebody that fucking lives in front of his computer 14 hours a day, but I still understand the importance of like face-to-face interaction, right? Like seeing you in person, seeing you guys in person, there's a reason why you do this podcast in person and you don't do it on a fucking Zoom screen, right? It's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
And people are losing that, and it's getting more and more extreme, but because it plays into these like really bad, I would say evolutionary traps to make us feel good, we keep pursuing it even more. A really good example of this, a lot of people get triggered me when I say this, I think work from home is probably a really bad idea, because for a lot of people, the only face-to-face interaction they might get a day is like saying hi to the barista at Starbucks or seeing their coworkers. And now you've got, I'm sure there are some people that like, they don't have to commute, they work out more, they say something like, that's great. But you got a lot of motherfuckers now that haven't left their front door in 12 fucking months except to pick up like a DoorDash or an Uber Eats.
Ain't that you?
No, I get out. I'm fucking here right now. What the fuck?
That's fair. I personally love working from home, and I just go out. And I don't really, I never really like hang out too much, but I'm personally pretty happy. But I could see why it would be very destructive for a lot of people. My wife and I go out all the time. We have a lot of fun. She works a real job. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. People are losing their ability to socialize.
I travel. I stream a lot, but you check out my Instagram. Okay, I travel all over the fucking world. I got friends everywhere. I got people I see. Okay, I do shit. Okay,
he's outside.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm a bit of a nerd, but I do get outside. I see the value of it. But yeah, like that being locked in your room, like doing your work on your computer screen. You wake up, you're fucking working, then you get off and you play fucking League of Legends, and then you talk to people on Discord, and then you go to sleep, and you repeat that for 365 days. That has to rot the fucking mind. More than feminism, more than patriarchy, more than anything else. That atomization where you are like this individual entity, like robot living in a fucking room and not interacting with anybody, is going to do horrible things to who you are.
I agree. I used to work in tech as well, and we had a kind of social network regarding work, because we had like a ping pong table, we had like a coffee table as well, we had a game room, a movie room, and like you have to be social in that environment. And then COVID happened, and you have to go home to work, and it's like, bro, you're in your home 8 hours a day doing nothing. It's like, bro, like you
know what else is interesting too is I never experienced that in COVID. I worked through the entirety of COVID. I worked for a bus company. I was like a manager of a cleaning crew for the bus company. I was in charge of like putting together the protocol of like how like cleaning the buses so that people wouldn't die that needed to use the public transportation. So I only left my job because of COVID, because I blew up on like social media due to COVID, really, because people were home watching and you know, more content. But like I didn't do the stay at home work from home thing because of COVID. I did it well, not in the same way, right? So I didn't really have that experience of like losing out on a big job thing. And also I hated everybody. I didn't hate everybody I worked with, but I fucking hated my job. I'll tell you that.
You start to go crazy. Honestly, it's like.
And everything is so convenient. I can order groceries. I can order anything off fucking Amazon. I don't have to wait in line anywhere. Yeah. I can deposit checks on my fucking phone with my Wells Fargo app. Like, I don't have to see anybody ever if I don't want to, you know?
If I didn't go outside after work, I felt like I was like being like, I don't know, dumbed down. It was weird.
So I would say this with because you made some fantastic points as far as like the internet changing the world, and people are on the internet now to make friends versus augmenting their experiences with their real life friends. And I'm 32, so I'm right there with you. I remember MySpace. I remember Facebook. I remember these apps were used to kind of enhance your situation versus like you need it for a situation nowadays. Yeah. My only thing is that technology it's hurt men and benefited women. And what I mean by this is that a guy, right, like men typically have to be the ones to approach. They have to be the ones to engage in interactions with the opposite gender when I'm talking about the process of courting. And with girls, you know, they're able to get that attention from men. They're able to get opportunities given to them. And what it's basically done is, you know, changed the dating landscape significantly. You know, you had a girl that, you know, 15, 20 years ago, right, she had to go outside to meet a guy, or a guy had to approach her to Starbucks or whatever it may be. Now, with the advent of Instagram, the advent of online dating apps, and all these modern conveniences, women get more opportunities now than ever before. So what happens is, like from what Zentians is saying, is that a majority of men now aren't even considered as suitable candidates. And
okay.
So I understand what he's saying. What he's saying is that there's more women get more positive attention more instantaneously on social media. So social media has been good for women. Yes and no, maybe. I could argue that like it might have gotten good for women because it made it more easy for them to get positive attention. But I don't think that that's everybody's everyday interaction with social media. Most people, when they date online, it's not really through Instagram. They might get hyped up on Instagram. Maybe they think that they're better than they are. But most of the time, online dating goes through online dating apps like Tinder or OkCupid or like Plenty of Fish or Bumble or whatever bullshit. And women might get a lot of guys that are interested in them, but most of them just want to fuck them, and eventually they're like, oh, okay, I guess they would consider it settling. Because I would say on the flip side, it makes it easier for men to date because you don't have to approach a girl anymore. So like the benefit is like a guy doesn't have to approach a girl anymore. You just have to like swipe right on Tinder, and if she says like something, you could be like, hey, what's up? You know, and you have to have a good shot. Yeah, it makes it a little more difficult, I guess, because you can't show it necessarily as charismatic or how charismatic you are. Because it's through a text. But I think that there are benefits. I would say the offset though of social media is probably worse for women, honestly, because social media is so toxic when it comes to the way that you perceive the world in general. It shows the best of the best for some people. It's constantly throwing attractive people in your face. Women in society are generally more valued based on their looks. So when a woman is like, oh, look at this girl, oh man, she's got this, oh, she's got this, I think it impacts women more than men. Like, yeah, when I look at an attractive guy, I go like, I wish I had that too, but it doesn't really matter because society didn't teach me that the beauty was my only fucking factor. When it comes to women though, I think that it's much more intrusive of a thought. So like, I wouldn't even sit here and say that social media has been worse for women necessarily. I think I just did, but I would just say like, I don't think it's fair to say that it's been better for women, because I think social media fundamentally has been so toxic. There are so many people that like compare their lives to other people. I guarantee you, if you're poor, you are going to be less happy with your poverty if you see rich people constantly. And since you're constantly seeing them on social media apps, you're going to be more irritated. A lot of times when people are disgruntled with their situation, it's because they see somebody that's doing better, and social media has blasted that in their face. So I don't know if I agree with this one too much. I think that like a lot of the red pill comes with like a victim mentality for men. And I think a lot of, I'm not saying that women don't have a victim mentality as well when it comes to like the left-leaning bullshit, saying that women are like fundamentally oppressed and everything is horrible for women. Like they can be, but there's problems with men and women. But this is one of those things where like it's funny that Fresh and Fit will be like, well, men are oppressed basically, but then like they'll complain about people making excuses for oppression, I guess. Okay.
So, okay,
Sure.
I'm going to come over here to the ultra retro side for a minute, and I'll explain
I knew it.
what's happening here, okay? So here's what's happened. Women, and I love this, okay? You were complaining about fucking boss girls or whatever. Girl boss. I love girl boss. I love those type of women, okay? I do. But what's happened is women have stepped into more and more traditionally masculine roles. They're earning more money. They're handling their shit. They're stable. There's more to them than just looking pretty. This is what women have done. But men are not allowed to step in traditionally feminine roles. So all of these women who, you know, up until fucking 1970, 1980 maybe, like basically just to show up and they're okay, find a husband and you're decent, right? Yeah. Now they've taken the masculine role of like, hold on, I got a career, I'm working, I'm smart, I can handle my shit. Okay, cool. Well, can I just like be somebody that like take care of the household? Like, let me like cook and clean shit? Fuck no, you're a fucking loser. Wait, hold on, but that's what you did 40 years ago. Because 40 years ago when men were being men, you guys were allowed to like do the feminine roles of like cleaning house and doing all that shit. And that's all you really did. You didn't really bring much to the table besides like controlling a household. But now that women have stepped into the masculine role, they're looking at all these men and, you know, studies show this, women are earning more and more and more and more, but they still won't date down socioeconomically. They still won't date a poor guy. And it's like, well, hold on. And I remember watching a Tommy Lauren video, conservative. She's like, where are all the good men at? Where the blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, a lot of men have kind of become like what the old housewives used to be. They don't really bring much to the table. They could probably run a household, but that's it. But that's not enough for the women that have now like masculinized themselves.
And I was actually going to, well, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, because it's a two-part, it's a compounding issue. Not only do they have more options, but now they're also earning more money. So what's going on now is that women are making more money. They have more options than men. So why the hell are they going to go ahead and look at a guy that makes 40, 50K per year, 5'8", average man? The average man is invisible to a lot of women. As a matter of fact.
So, but the problem here is that like we're not like advocate for that to be appropriate. The problem here with like Fresh and Fit is they're saying like, yeah, see, this is a problem. We talk about it all the time, but like you're a little bit a part of the problem when you are blaming the feminization of men, as to why like society's collapsing in some capacity. You're kind of part of the problem. Like, why can't we advocate? If you tell women, who cares if a guy makes less than you if they can contribute by taking care of your household, then like that socially will change part of the problem, right? Like I'm sure that there's a biological aspect, but like there's probably there's a social aspects as well. Create more comfortable spaces for men to take on more traditionally feminine roles if they want to. Okay, you don't have to date those people, but like you're shaming their existence because you don't value fundamentally. We don't value femininity in society. That's it. So be like, yo, if you want to be the kind of guy that stays, it's like a stay-at-home husband, okay, but you're going to have to put a lot of work in. You're still going to want to like actually work a job, and you're going to want to work on your body a lot. If you want to be a stay-at-home anybody, you got to look good. You got to come to the table with something that's worth arm candy because you're staying at home and you're taking care of like the household and the kids and stuff, which is hard work. But, you know, you might need to show a little bit more if you want to be a piece of fucking arm candy. You know what I mean? So, but they don't do that. They shame men who want to go into that role. So it's like one of those things where they're kind of the contributor to the problem in the first place. Or they're like upholding it. They're upholding it. You know what I mean? Who cares if a guy wants to stay home and fucking do this thing and take care of the house? Who gives a fuck? You know?
You know, we've interviewed now almost 1,500 women. When we tell women, the average guy in the United States is about 5'8", 5'9", making somewhere between 37,000 to 52K per year in the United States, depending on what state they're in. They all go, "Oh, what are you talking about? Ew."
Yeah, but the women that you interview are always like thoughts. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but they're always fucking thoughts, bro. They're always coming in. They're complaining like that. They don't want meaningful relationships. They're immature women. Just like you're immature men a lot of the times. So like, yeah, of course they're going to be fucking dumb and annoying about their shit. But that's because that's the women that you find. Most women, like, yeah, women like taller guys, but not all women care that much. They don't necessarily care, okay? Because if women cared that much, then there would be no Spanish guy would ever be married because Spanish guys are like fucking 2 feet tall. But you see all these Spanish men with these fucking women that are taller than them, okay? Because some people can still figure it out, okay? You know it's true. All right? So, yeah. I'm just saying.
And that's the world that we're in now because women's taste in men has went up. Also with Instagram, they're able to see what's out there.
Yeah. Then you're in Kevin Samuel's world where you've got a woman calling in who's like, I'm 33, I've got 2 kids, I'm single, I want a guy earning 120K a year. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what?
We have a female delusion calculator that we use, and it's hilarious because so many women almost always either score 4 out of 4 or 5 out of 5 cat bags because it's a little cat bag score that we use. And most women are looking for the same archetype of guys. Much as these women say, I'm different and I'm not the same like these other.
I know, but you guys are this is the problem, is you guys are finding women so this is the problem with like the Fresh and Fit thing, is like they'll use sugar baby websites to find some of the women that they pull on into their show. They go out of their way to find women who have bad perspectives of men, and then see, hey, then they'll go like, oh, see, told you. And it's like, did you really tell us, or are you just showing us what aligns with you? That's how a lot of people will operate. They operate in a way that's like kind of disingenuous. Go Like, not all women are like this. I'm just letting you know. They're really just not.
Girls, they're attracted to the same goddamn things. So
they become the men that they want.
And going back to what you were saying, fantastic point as far as like women making more money and not conceding and wanting a guy that's more feminine. The thing is this, I've always said it, men are expected to be masculine all the time while women can pick and choose when they want to be ladies. So if they want to go ahead and enter the workforce and be masculine, we're supposed to accept that. If they want to be a lady, we're supposed to accept that, and we're supposed to augment whatever they want. However, they will not tolerate us switching our roles. So if a guy was to say, you know what, I'll stay at home with the kids or whatever it may be, that might work a little bit, but we know a big predicator on women divorcing a man actually is her earning more money than that guy. And women typically want a guy that makes about 50 to 58% more money than she does.
I don't think you can make that claim. I don't think they. I know. I do. Okay. I think that they're making a false claim here. They're making a very false claim here. They're trying to say that the reason that divorce rates are so high is because they're making more money than
divorcing a man actually is her earning more money than that guy.
That's not true. There's never been a singular metric that's ever said that. Okay, we're gonna look at the factors. I'm looking at the fact because I know that that's not true. Money is a factor, but I've never heard in any statistic that I've ever looked into. I would be fucking shocked if it was true. I've never seen in any statistic where it's like, well, men and women break up because men don't make enough money. You're just not being truthful. Money is absolutely an issue. Let's see. So there's a bunch of factors. We have young age, marriage at a young age, high likeliness of divorce, which makes perfect sense. Less education. Research shows that those with at least some college education versus high school or not have a lower chance of divorce. So more educated people tend to stay together longer. Less income. Having a modest income can help couples avoid stress that may lead to divorce. Okay, less income. They're not saying a man making less than a woman. They're saying income fundamentally, because it drastically increases stresses of life when you are poor, right? So especially if you factor in the fact that like you could in some instances make more money if you are a single mother or a single parent, of course you might gravitate towards divorce. Premarital cohabitation. What does this mean? Couples who live together before marriage appear to have a higher chance of divorce if they marry, but the risk is mostly true for those who have cohabited with multiple partners. Okay. Premarital childbearing and pregnancy. Childbearing and pregnancy prior to marriage significantly increases divorce rates. Okay. No religious affiliation increases divorce rates. That makes sense. And then having parental divorce will increase your chances of getting a divorce, which makes sense because then it's like a more comfortable thing for you. So what they're doing here is they're lying. They're being dishonest. Again, I understand that women tend to like men that make more money. Of course, part of that is social, and when you have a fundamental ideology like Red Pill that shits on feminine men, you're contributing to women, like a society that feels that feminine men are less valuable. A feminine man, a man doing a more feminine role like a stay-at-home dad, there's nothing wrong with that. When you say that there is a problem with that, and you continue that ideology as a society, you're not creating comfortable spaces for people to feel comfortable doing that thing. Shaming people works really well. We've shamed people for a lot for a long time. It's something that needs to change. You're kind of part of the problem as to why this happens, but you're incorrect about your assertion. I've never seen a statistic say that. You'd have to show it to me, but it sounds like you found something that fit your ideology and then you've operated in that capacity. So that was just very dishonest.
And women typically want a guy that makes about 50 to 58% more money than she does. So
that's probably true,
because people get mad. Oh, Myron, you just bring stupid girls on the show that don't understand anything. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I would argue the more educated and the more money a woman makes, the more hypergamous she is, and the more she's less willing to tolerate a guy that's not financially together.
I will say, on back to the loophole, one other thing that factors into this a bit too, is I think when you look at studies, I think it's like 38 or 37% of women are okay being single. They'll remove themselves from dating markets to be okay. And I think on the men's side, it's in the low 20s.
How old are they?
I don't know what the age range was, but I think in general, it's a trend that women are usually more okay being single than men are. I don't mean fucking. I mean just being in a relationship.
Interesting. I've never heard that before. I'll look into it, but I know more women who are fine with being single than men. So I kind of believe it. But isn't that weird? Because I feel like men really do need these relationships, maybe more than women. I just feel like at a certain point. You know what I think? At a certain point, women get older and then they just feel like they age out of dating. Whereas men will get older and they don't really do that as much because men usually will be fine with dating younger women, I guess. And I guess women tend to not like dating younger men. I don't know. It's interesting. I gotta look into that.
being single. So maybe they're fucking whatever. They're not in relationships. And I think one of the reasons why that happens, and this is where I will attack a lot of like the hyper masculine stuff, the red pill sell, is men are horrible fucking friends to each other. When you listen to two women talk, like she might go through some shit and she's like, man, I got this going on. This is how I feel about this. And they're talking to each other, they're bouncing their feelings off. They have like these, they have these really rich and fulfilling friendships with each other.
Women?
Yes, they do.
Shreggy?
They do. Because when you listen to two men talk to each other, okay, this motherfucker might be ready to kill himself. And he's like, John, what's up? He's like, not much, man. How you doing? Yeah, you know. And then like it's like, what the fuck is happening? Guys suck at talking to each other. We do.
That's true.
Like the emotional connection that we have with each other is absolutely fucking abysmal.
Women, I mean, I know what he's saying. Like men tend to not be super open about the way that they feel. Bro, I have some stressors too that I don't like to talk about. I want to talk about with my wife. Would never talk about it with another man. Meanwhile, my wife will come home and say, oh, I talked to my coworker friend about how stressed out I'm feeling. It's like, what? Not a million years would I ever do that. Not a million years would I ever talk to a coworker about how stressed I'm feeling, right? And that's probably regressive, but like my first thought is that's gay. Sorry, but that's how I feel. You shouldn't feel that way. You should find people who you can sit down and develop genuine relationships with, and so you feel comfortable and like coming forward and be like, yeah, I feel like shit. But like, yeah, that makes sense to me. You know, that makes sense to me. I feel like more guys aren't super open about like what they're stressing with. They just kind of bottle it up inside and then they don't let it out. And I think it's one of the reasons why men have a higher rate of killing themselves. So yeah, I believe that.
Lie to each other.
They might say it, but here's another thing too, and it's one of the reasons why men outside of relationships are so miserable. If you are a man and you find a woman, oftentimes this is going to be the first person you can actually connect with on an emotional level in your entire fucking life, because you don't connect like that with your bros. You don't connect like that with guys in your conversations. It usually takes a woman and a man to do it, but for a woman, she doesn't need a man for that emotional connection. She can get a lot of emotional connections from her friend group.
I think that's a misconception of like the liberal world that we live in. I think it's just, as soon as you show a woman weakness, she might like give you empathy in the moment, but she remembers that and she logs it in her brain as a moment.
No, that's just not true. Listen, dude. Okay. This is a really immature perspective from Sneako. If you show anybody, well, let's say if you show a woman the wrong kind of weakness, for sure. Like if you show a woman you can't handle yourself, you can't handle your shit, of course she's gonna think less of you. But if you're a person who has their shit together, but you just need to like get your frustrations out and talk about some deep shit, I've never had a woman ever go, ew. In my entire life, I've been in multiple like long-term relationships. That is just not going to happen. If you show yourself to be a weak man, for sure, but you want to know what? You can cry sometimes to a woman that you're close to, and they won't disrespect you. You shouldn't jump and be like, oh my god. But if you've been showing that like you're a real man that has his shit together, but you're like, listen, babe, I just need to like talk and I need to get my shit out, she'll be okay with that. This is not true, and not to be rude, but like I feel like the people who are constantly saying shit like this have never been in a real relationship. It's always young guys or older guys who can barely put together a 1-year relationship that think that they know women, but you don't really know shit because you don't know how it is to be with somebody for a long time. There's a difference between showing some vulnerability versus being weak or showing a weakness. Those are not the same thing, and this is just not a true thing. Sneako's 23, and being in a 1-year or 2-year relationship really isn't enough, especially when it's a young, immature relationship.
That you're pussy, and it'll come up later because women aren't strong. Women use information to lash at you.
So this is how I view this, and I hear this a lot. That if you show vulnerability to a woman, it's bad. In my worldview, vulnerability is something that you have to earn. If you're a guy and you're a baby bitch and you're crying and all this shit all the fucking time, yeah, people are gonna look at you like you're weak. And then those guys will go online and be like, I was vulnerable by a woman, she left me. Well, because all you are is vulnerable. But if you're a strong, stable person, you got your shit together, right? And like your fucking mom dies or some shit, and you have a rough day, you're crying or whatever, it's fucking happens, it's a shitty day. I think she'll respect you for that, for being able to connect with her on that level. 100%. And you go back to normal. You're not like destroyed.
She'll love it too. She'll love it. She'll appreciate it. She'll eat it up. Women like that shit because they're weird. Okay. But the women like to hear that shit. Seriously.
You're not crying all the time.
You think that women are better friends than men?
I think that women are better friends to men than men are to men. Absolutely.
Oh, but not to each other, because women will end a friendship over a birthday dinner where someone's late.
And I mean,
like that's a funny joke, but I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You say that, but like, there's a reason why the saying "bros before hoes" exists. And it's because men don't put bros before hoes. There are men that will disappear, but they find a girl, they're gone from their friend group for fucking ever. Yeah, everybody's got at least one friend who, where the fuck is, Johnny Ben? Oh, we found another girl. We're not going to see that dude for 6 months. Like, men disappear from their friend groups and shit all the time over dumb reasons. Like, it happens. Like, everybody has problems. I'm just saying that in general, for the vulnerability thing, you can be vulnerable, but it's a moment you have to earn, right? It's like that saying that, like, not to be sexist, but like, mom cries all the time, whatever, but when dad cries, some serious shit has happened. But you don't lose respect for your dad. You just know that, like, if he's that emotionally affected, there's some gravity to that situation. True. If you are upset and you are a strong, stable man and you sold that to your woman, you are that, then then like you can be vulnerable, but it has to be like in a situation with a lot of gravity, I think.
What's the first thing a woman brings up in an argument, in a heated argument where she needs some ammunition that has nothing to
Depends on what you're fighting
It doesn't matter. This isn't the same thing. Okay. I don't know, bro. Dude, I've never been in a situation where a woman has ever brought up like a time that I've gotten upset and cried. If that's something that's happening to Sneako, maybe he's either dating really shitty women, or maybe he's being too vulnerable too constantly with the woman he's with. If this is even an experience he's actually having versus like kind of just manufacturing an experience based on what other people tell him.
About
they bring up the weakest thing to hit you.
I mean, it depends on what you're. I mean, guys do that shit to women too. You're fat. I don't like you, bitch. Like I fucked your sister. I don't know. Men will say crazy. Everybody says crazy shit. Arguments.
I'll say this. I mean, this is like very an anecdotal conversation. But as far as like who lasts longer in friendships, from my experience and what I've seen that men tend to hold friendships longer than women do, because with men we're very simple creatures and we kind of understand. Like I'm still friends with the guys that I went to high school with. We have the same interests. We reconnect on nostalgia, watching Dragon Ball Z or whatever it may be. Because guys, maybe you could be 15 years old watching Goku fucking charge up for a spirit bomb. Then you could be fucking 35 years old watching the same shit 20 years later. With women, they change a lot, and as they change with their friends group a lot as well. And the thing with women, I've always used this funny example that when
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like most people, they have friends. I don't think women have like rapidly evolving. Where did you get this from? I'm really confused. I'm really confused. Am I Myron Games? Yeah, I'm Myron, bro. I'm aware.
Guys meet each other, they say, "Oh, you piece of shit. What's up, man? Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, you're a piece of shit. I hate you. Okay, you're a loser. That's why you get no bitches. Blah blah blah." That guy will walk away, and then they'll say, "Yo, that's a fucking good dude. I love that guy." But with women will walk up and say, "Oh, girl, I love your dress.
You're
you
so
look
pretty.
fantastic.
You're beautiful.
Did you lose weight? Oh my god!" And then as soon as she walks away, she's a fucking whore,
ugly bitch.
Like with women, they're not over in their communication, which you were kind of like alluding to, like when the guy's going through it, like his buddies aren't going to sit there and be like, "Oh, it's okay, bro." They're like, "Ha, you fucking pussy, ha ha ha." And I think that kind of comes where it's kind of on you as a man. You're responsible for your friend group, which is why you got to surround yourself with winners and guys that kind of understand. And my thing also, as far as like being vulnerable, I get what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't even know how to respond to this because I don't know I know that this is like a funny meme that people talk about. I don't think this is the real world. I mean, women tend to be more catty, probably. Sure, I guess. I feel like we're really leaning into like stereotypes to push an idea that's may not be particularly true. All right, that's all I'm saying. I think that's like leaning a little too much onto stereotypes to try to prove a point.
Vulnerability is earned. If you're crying all the time and saying, "Oh my god, I don't know how I'm going to deal with this," but versus a guy that has his shit together and then a tear drops because his mom dies, well, that's understandable. I get it. However, we tell guys, if you're going to be vulnerable, you're going to cry, you're going to be sad, or you're going through some shit, you're better off sharing that with your guy friends because the guys aren't going to use it against you later on in arguments, and it's not going to. It's not like your
bro. I just feel like if you are having this experience where women are using your vulnerable moments against you, you're just not with the right women, and you need to stop settling for shitty women. I guess I would say. This is not like a normal thing that happens. There are probably women who do this. There's probably men who do this as well. I wouldn't doubt it. But like, if you just leave that, why would you want to be with a? Okay, if you feel the need to not be emotionally vulnerable with a woman because you think that they're going to turn around and use your vulnerability against you, break up with that woman. She's worthless. The same thing if it's a man. But what you're saying is fucking unhinged. Like, this isn't normal. That's an immature person you need to distance yourself from. Because what it sounds like you're doing is that, yeah, don't be emotionally vulnerable on the off chance she might weaponize your vulnerability against you. That's unhealthy. You shouldn't be in that relationship. That's crazy, bro. It's fucking crazy.
Guys are going to like lose arousal for you, lose attraction for you. With a woman, it's a toss-up. Some girls respond very favorably to extremely strong guys that are stoic. Some girls like it. But my thing is this. And there's studies that show this as well. Women don't really know what they're aroused by. They know what they're attracted to, allegedly, but they don't really know what they're aroused by. Okay.
What?
And I can go into that study if you want me to. But I would say this: if you have someone that doesn't even know what they're aroused by, why would you open up Pandora's box and cry in front of her, not knowing how it may affect her psyche and attraction for you down the road?
What the fuck does that mean? What do you mean that women don't know what they're aroused by? What's happening? I don't know what that means. What is that? Is this a self? You gotta stop dating 18-year-old girls, bro. You gotta stop dating 18-year-old girls. I just feel like if you stop dating fucking young girls, you wouldn't have these problems anymore. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. I need to know his statistic because I've never heard this and I can't find anything what he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the. I mean, it's part of the game of figuring out relationships. I agree. Like, I mean, there are tons of horror stories like fuck, I don't want to.
And one more thing too, I was going to say, as you come up with that horror story, like we've had girls on the show where they'll say, like, I thought I wanted a vulnerable guy, and I watched my boyfriend cry in front of me, and it made me change my view of him forever. And she just lost respect for him. So like,
oh well, then she's worthless. You shouldn't date that girl. Like, dude. That's a nice anecdote. If you can't have, bro, if your parents are alive, your mom and your dad are going to die before you 99% of the time. If you're with somebody who's going to think less of you if you cry, that person is worthless and you should leave them. That's insane. There's a difference between crying because like it's something that is because of something really important happens versus some pussy that's fucking crying about everything. But dude, if a woman's gonna think less of you because you cry, she's worthless. Same thing for a man, worthless. You're gonna cry, bro. My mom's gonna die one day. I'm gonna fucking cry so hard. If I married a woman who thought that was like embarrassing, bye. I don't need you, bitch. Get the fuck away from me. Why the fuck would I want to be with some worthless person that's gonna make fun of me for crying because my mother died? That's insane. That's insane, bro. That woman is fucking toxic and useless. That woman is a problem. She needs to grow the fuck up. Whatever woman you're talking about. Most women, at least in my experience, dating actual women in long-term relationships, never have had that problem. I don't know what the fuck you're on about. Again, dude, you're like 32. You got to stop dating young girls. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but like you can't really get a good bearing on a relationship when you're constantly talking to 18, 19, 20-year-olds at like 30 years old. It just doesn't work out. You guys aren't on the same wavelength, or you shouldn't be. So you can't really be a relationship fucking aficionado when you're 30-something years old still dating 20-year-old girls. You can't. It's just not practical. You just can't be that guy. I'm sorry to be an asshole. Like, yeah, all these 18-year-old girls that are immature, they're always telling me that this and that and the other thing. All these girls I find at the fucking club, all these girls I find at the bar. It's like, yeah, you live in fucking like Miami, Florida or whatever. Like, of course you're gonna talk to all these girls that are like into like fucking thought culture and hookup culture and bar culture and club culture. Like, step outside of your own sphere. It's crazy.
Girls a lot of the times don't know how they feel about something or how they're aroused by something or how they might even lose attraction for something until they actually experience it. And at that point, it may be
that's how everybody is. People don't know an experience until they have it. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
So I look at it like this. If it's something that's risky, right, where you have a 50-50 chance of it might help you or it might hurt you, I say mitigate the risk, cry in front of your friends, show that vulnerability to them, be that hard rock for your girl, because I know for a fact.
Then you're never going to be able to be vulnerable to this woman, and like that's a waste of a relationship. That's bad advice. It's bad advice. Okay, if your dog dies and you love your dog and you cry a little bit, good. Because then if your girl's like, oh, that's kind of gross, be like, okay, bye, bitch. Like, I don't know, what are you talking about? What's the point of being in a relationship then? You might as well just like fuck dudes or something. Your best friends, like you might as well just go be gay or something. I don't really understand it. Like what are you talking about? What the fuck, bro? This is just bypassing how to like develop relationships with people. Yeah, don't ever be invulnerable to your girlfriend because you know she might leave you. Okay, well, what the fuck happens if my mom dies and I start crying and I can't control it? Yeah, she's gonna leave you. Just you gotta pretend like you don't care. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm set up for failure. What are you talking about? This is impractical. This is unrealistic. It sounds like the only way I can actually develop a relationship is if everybody who's important to me has died. Then you can get a girlfriend because you can't risk being emotional to them. What the fuck's the point? This is insane. I'm mesmerized. This logic is abysmal. This is terrible logic. This is horrible relationship advice. Holy fuck. Holy shit.
That's going to keep you attractive. Now, can you open up and be vulnerable and potentially she might, engage with you and it's going to, oh my God, I love that you were vulnerable with me. That's possible, but is it probable?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't think you have any statistic that shows that in any direction. So we could use like reasonable assumptions. A mature woman will be okay with you crying sometimes and will be okay with you being vulnerable when it's appropriate. Okay, it's not appropriate to cry because your favorite fucking Pokemon card got broke. Okay, but it's okay to cry if like your fucking parent dies or your fucking dog, your dog that you've had for 15 years dies. It's okay to cry a little bit, bro. It's okay to get upset. Okay, you guys are weird. Good luck, man. You're developing any relationship. This is insane.
Yeah, I like to mitigate risk. Sorry,
it would depend on the relationship for sure.
Yeah.
And the types of people you go after, the type of person you are, would hopefully weigh that. I would hope that when it comes to a relationship, you're not like flipping coins in terms of like, fuck, if I do this, I might be fucked. So yeah, I mean, like all things in life, you have to weigh the risks.
Of course.
Like, I know the type of person I am. I know who I sell myself as, and I know how people perceive me. Like if I have moments of vulnerability with a woman, I've never had in my life where they thought I'm a weak person because that's not who I am. And I live my values and everything in every single facet of my life. Yeah. So that's maybe I'll get unlucky one day. Maybe oh shit, well I fucked up. You hear a lot of.
Well, there's Destiny's a little bisexual boy, so of course they're like, yeah, this guy's gonna cry probably all the time. So any woman that's attracted to Destiny is already expecting some little pussy that's gonna cry all the time. I'm just kidding. I'm just busting chops.
stories of,
and we give this advice generally for guys.
Sure, generally, sure.
For guys.
Yeah, and you'll hear horror stories where, to your point, especially about the arousal thing, like, oh, like we tried a threesome, or, you know, my husband wanted me to try pegging, whatever, and then they do it one time, like, I can never see him the same again. I was like, damn, why the fuck did you even agree to do that? What the fuck? That definitely happens. So yeah, you have to be careful with things. I will say one thing, one comment or whatever on the guy friend thing.
See that I can agree with. The crying thing is like, you can't really be in a situation as a man where you're never going to cry, because like somebody you love is going to pass away and you need a woman that's going to be there. Or I mean, if you're gay, whatever, but you need a woman that can be there for you and help you heal emotionally. But I will never, ever, even if I wanted to, let my wife go near my fucking ass, okay? With a strap on or anything, because you know what, that could happen. She might be like, oh, don't see you the same anymore. I ain't fucking with that shit. She's like stalking the door now. She hears me talking about my asshole. She's always talking about how she wants to like fucking do, like she wants to like eat my asshole. I'm never gonna let you do that. I can't let you do that. I can't let you have any dominance in this relationship physically in that capacity. I'm not ruining that dynamic. That's some advice. I mean, if you want to do that, be my guest. If you really like getting fucking railed up the asshole, you do you. Personally though, do that early enough. Okay, I'm not experimenting with that. Like when I'm like 40 or 50, we're just not doing that. Okay, we're just not doing it. It's just not happening. Okay, I ain't fucking with that shit. All right.
That counts, because you mentioned that guys will hold on to friendships longer. That is true. Yeah. But I think the guy definition of friendship is a little different, because there are people that I know right now that I haven't talked to in like fucking 5 or 10 fucking years. And I can message him. I'd be like, bro, what's up? We should play some fucking, squad, or we should play fucking CSGO. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. It's like, yeah, that's my friend. But then other people are like, oh, you haven't talked to my friend for 10 years? How the fuck is it a friend? So I feel like the standards for friendships are a little bit different. But to your point, like, yeah, we can probably hold on for friendships longer. But I think to my point, that's because the level of emotional depth sometimes is so much like more shallow that it's like, yeah, of course, that dude's my best friend. Like we used to play games all the time back in like 2008.
But what would you prefer? Someone you could hit up 2 years later and say, you know what, bro, what's good, and pick up like you never left off, or someone that's like playing a game with you, like back and forth, like, you know what, you're cool today, not cool tomorrow. I prefer somebody I could call 2 years later.
Well, yeah, I prefer that person too, but why are we being so extreme? Why are those the only two types of people that exist to you? Yeah, so do you prefer the extreme that I'm pushing, or the extreme against what I'm saying? Oh, those are both really shitty options. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. No, I would prefer to have like a decent, robust relationship with somebody. I'm a more private guy, so I'm not looking to be super like, crazy or anything. I'm not looking for too much, because I'm a more private guy. But like, yeah, I would prefer the relationship with the person where like I was like regularly hanging out with them and I could confide in them a little bit. But I don't really need that because I have my wife. So,
yo, bro, how you been? Yeah. Oh, good, bro. Let's chop it up. And it's funny because on our show, right, we've been like what, 1,400 plus women on the show,
almost 50.
And we asked them around the table. We're like, who do you prefer as friends, men or women? And you know what's funny? 9 out of 10 times, what do they say? Men. Girls, even themselves, they don't want to be friends with girls because they know they're catty, they back talk, they're very like drama driven. So we're just saying, look, as a guy, for you, and even being vulnerable, if you're with a girl, right? Let's say, for example, she's not sure what she wants.
There are some girls who want to have like friends that are guys. That's totally cool. I also know that they would be like, you shouldn't be friends with girls, blah blah blah. But that I mean, my experience, most women are friends with women, most men are friends with men. I think men and women struggle to be friends with each other strictly. I think because of like some kind of sexual tension that could potentially be there, unless one of them is like just really ugly, the other one could be wrong about that. But for the most part, any woman that I've interacted with has women friends or gay guy friends. Gay guys are basically women, let's be honest here. So they might say, oh, I prefer this. That's so anecdotal. I think you would struggle to find like women in the real world that'd be like, yeah, I'm right on board with that. I don't know, man.
And you have a chance of turning her off by being vulnerable. Why'd you do that to yourself? That's your girlfriend. But
you should do that. You should take that chance. I'm telling you that you should. And the reason I'm telling you that you should take that chance is because you need to find that fucking shit out before it's too late. You need to find that out before something happens. That's all I'm saying. You need to figure that out before like you get to a point in life, because you're gonna need it. You're gonna need that emotional vulnerability. I'm just telling you. And if you can't experiment with it and try to find out, you're fucking SOL, bro. I'm just letting you know that.
Let's say you cry in front of her, you kind of like mess up, whatever, and say, you know what, damn, I thought he was strong. Or she may say, you know what, damn, you know what, I like that. But you never know. You're taking like a huge risk.
Yeah, I mean, it's part. I mean, everything in a real relationship, there's a lot of moments of risk, right? Things can get
But
fucked up.
why jeopardize yourself? Why?
Well, I mean, because you might want that deeper connection with your partner. You might not want to feel like you have to be on guard, right? Like maybe you should never had her, right? If I'm an emotionally stable person. I have my shit together better than most of the people I've ever met. If I show one moment of vulnerability to my partner and she leaves me, fuck that bitch. I'll find somebody else.
Exactly.
Like, you're not gonna find anybody like me. I know you're not. So if you think you can do better, then you're free to go out in the world and find
leaving you with that information. I think it's about using it against you when it comes in.
Everybody uses everything.
Let's not talk about us in particular. Remember that, like, when we dispense this advice, we're saying in general, it's not a good idea or a good practice for guys to be vulnerable for their girl, because we know that a lot of girls are not going to respond favorably to emotional men. So
but you don't know that. Like, there are girls that are going to, but like, if you you're always going to need emotional vulnerability. Like, you really shouldn't stay away from girls that don't be a pussy, but you can be vulnerable. There's my advice to you guys. They have some weird ass fucking advice. Let me tell you, boy. It's a lot of it is just afraid of being feminine in some capacity, or perceived as feminine in some capacity.
I'll meet you halfway. Like, if you don't know, don't do it.
Yeah.
I'll meet you there. I'll meet you halfway. Yeah. If you don't know, don't do it. Sure. Yeah. Also, to that, not to be sexist, but hearing a bunch of girls say, I'd rather have guy friends. Yeah, no fucking shit. You want people that are trying to fuck you constantly that you have like on a fucking string. Yeah, of course you. But that's not because their guys are better friends. That's because they like the attention. Okay, that's a different thing. But I never said that.
That's a good point.
But that's a component. That's a component where like girls enjoy that because they get so many benefits. Like, I've always said it, like, as a guy, you get no benefits from being a platonic friend with a woman versus like when a woman is a platonic friend with you, she gets a lot of benefits. Security. She gets that masculine energy. She gets that security. She has someone that's not going to necessarily judge her, that she doesn't have to compete with. She could look like a fucking scrub and be okay. Versus,
I mean, maybe, I don't know. I've never really been in this situation. I can't really speak too much to it. They might be right. I don't really know though.
When she meets up with her girlfriend, she's got to dress up well and have that silent battle of being attractive. So women are able to, how do I say this? They can be mediocre from a look standpoint, or be mediocre as far as like being engaging or anything like that, but they're around guys, so guys don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? A lot of guys will be happy just to be around a girl, especially if she's attractive. Maybe. Which is why if you look at like a lot of attractive women, they almost always have male, orbiters that just hang around and will be happy to be around her. And I think as a guy, you're selling yourself short. My analogy is like, a girl putting you in the friend zone is like you putting a girl in the sex only zone. If you hit some girl up, like you hit her up at 2 a.m., hey, come over and have sex, and then as soon as y'all fuck, you tell her, all right, get the fuck out of here. She will feel used. She'll be like, what the fuck? And even girls are like, when a girl's like a smash buddy with a guy for some degree, she's gonna tolerate it for a while. She's like, I'm just giving this guy sex.
I just don't know how I feel about this idea, because like when I've been friends with women, I feel like I don't know how I feel about women are like, yeah, I like to have a guy friend because I can get some kind of sexual validation out of them. Because that's kind of the argument that they're making here. I don't know how, I just don't know how much how I feel about that. Only because I feel like women don't necessarily I feel like men are much more prone to perceive a relationship as like more sexual, I guess, than women. I don't know. And women are like weird about dating or being friends with guys because a lot of times they want to fuck them, but they're just looking to some dude to just be normal. I don't know. I guess I haven't explored this enough. I feel like maybe some of this is just not true, but okay.
For nothing, fuck that shit. But guys are so dumb, they'll sit there in the friend zone for decades and give away free attention and get used and not even understand their value.
We had a girl come in the studio, right? Actually, you know her very well. And she had a guy for 20 years as a guy friend, right? And we said, let's do a test. Give him a phone call. See you're horny. Where you at? So she calls the guy. Hey, love, I'm horny. Where you at? He's like, are you good? Are you drunk? He's like, yeah, I just want to be with you. Like, we've been friends for so long. I feel like you're the right one. Whatever.
You hear the car door close. He's already driving over. He's like, 5 minutes.
He's like, where the fuck you at? He pulls up to the studio, live on air, and comes up here.
Yeah.
He would have fucked her if we weren't here.
Yeah, no.
It was like 20 years of waiting for one day to say, maybe one day.
Maybe, but I mean, okay, that experiment shows that a guy will fuck their girlfriend, like a female friend. It doesn't mean that shows that women are looking to find a guy that will fuck them, I guess. Okay, maybe. I mean, like, no strings attached fucking. I don't know, bro. I feel like guys will fuck anything. I'll fuck anything. I don't give a shit. So if somebody, I mean, I'm married now, but if I wasn't, I'd be like, yeah, all right, fuck it. I'll come over. Not that I had the desire, but if you're offering, why the fuck would I turn that down, dude? I'm not turning it, just because I have a lot of money doesn't mean doesn't mean I'm going to turn it down to $20 on the street, So
the most annoying part about that is that it is so socially acceptable to talk about power dynamics in relationships when they benefit the man. Nobody talks about them when they benefit the women. That really fucking bothers me. Like, everybody will talk about the fuck zone, right? Oh, you know that girl wants to date you, and here you are just having sex with you. That's manipulative. That's evil. You're a piece of shit. Yep. And then it's like, oh, okay. Well, you've got this guy that you've got giving you like wake up calls on Saturday, Sunday morning that you wouldn't touch with a 10-foot fucking pole. Okay, and this guy like walks your dog, for work. Like, how are you not abusing the fuck out of this?
That's true. If anything, I get what you're saying. That's fair. That's fair. Like a guy who's like totally simping for a girl and she knows she'll never be with him, but she knows he wants to be she knows he wants to be with her. Yeah, I get that. I get it's true.
At the very least, fuck zone girls are just getting fucked physically. This guy's soul is getting fucked by you. Okay, you are rotting this man from the inside out. Let him go. Okay.
Well, I mean, they're both giving up a part of themselves for the chance at a relationship that'll never happen. I feel like it, you know. So yeah.
This poor man from his like servitude, because holy fuck, man, I did that in high school. I used to do that, like simp fuck when I was like 14, 15 over a girl. Sure. And I see people do this behavior throughout their whole life where it's like, you've got to.
Bro, it's so true. I remember there was a girl, dude, this story is fucked, bro. Can I just tell you the story? It's such an embarrassing story. When I was younger, there used to be this girl, her name was Jen, right? And I liked her a lot. And this is when like AOL was a thing. So I had my AOL instant messenger and I had an alert only for when she came online, and I would watch TV, and when I heard that alert, I would sprint to the fucking computer and I would be like, oh my God, Jen, how are you? And I would talk to her and shit, and I would always fucking like sim for this girl. It was so bad. You have to go through this experience, I feel like, as a child. If you don't go through this experience as a man of being a fucking simp, you know, I feel like everybody has gone through it. And I do whatever this girl would want, basically. I'd always give her attention, this, that, and the other thing, this, and the other thing. Somewhat recently, I want to say like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Not that recent. How old was I? Like 14? I don't know. Maybe like when I was in my early 20s. I messaged her and I was like, hey, listen, like if I ever asked you out, would you have gone out with me? She's like, yeah, I was probably desperate enough. That's what she said to me like 10 years later. I was like, God damn, bro. That's fucking pathetic. You got to be careful to not be that guy. Listen, I needed to hear it because I was like, wow, I got to change my shit. But bro, you know what, Jen? Fuck you. Okay? What are you doing right now? Nobody knows. All right? Listen, I don't like to swing my dick, but listen, fuck you. Who the fuck are you, bro? Look at me now, motherfucker. All right? I'm like a little bit famous and I make good money. So fuck you. But if I never went through that struggle of dealing with her, I wouldn't be here today. So I got to appreciate these moments. Now I'm fat online. Papa got fat online. So you know what? Those moments build character. Those moments build character.
This motherfucker on a string, dude. Like, let him fly away. Let him go.
Isn't that exactly what's happening to all men today because of social media, because of Instagram and OnlyFans?
That's a really big generalization.
It's the same type of dynamic. Guys following girls that are never going to follow them back. Guys subscribing and paying all this money to women online that don't even give a fuck about them.
Sure, but I mean,
yeah, but like OnlyFans isn't just like, listen, when I've subscribed to OnlyFans, because I have before, it wasn't like, oh my God, maybe this girl will notice me. I'm just going to jerk off to somebody. I feel like you're attaching too much emotion to everything that like men do. It's a little bit weird.
Men are so sad.
Girls do it too. There's a lot of girls that'll hop in my DMs or whatever, and it's like, yeah, I'll fuck, but I'm not fucking dating you.
Yeah,
right. So I mean, it'll happen on the same.
You're famous. These are average girls doing this.
Sure, but I'm saying like those girls aren't just looking for sex when they're DMing you. They want something more if they could get it. They want to be that girl that's like dating fucking Sneako or
yeah, but they're not getting miserable over that. They just go into the next guy.
I've seen some girls. Somebody that has I can't fuck. Listen, it happens. Okay, girls will stalk guys and get fucking crazy over.
I think the takeaway here is that the percentage.
It's just so weird that men are such massive victims in the red pill ideologies. When men are fucking pathetic loser victims and women have all the power. And I think that's just as insane as everybody who's saying that women are all these fucking victims of men. Like, you're both fucking annoying. You're both extreme. Shut the fuck up. Like, men and women have issues, but like, stop pretending that you're talking about how people like should be like stronger about their shit, and then you're fucking advocating basically for like weak men. It's a little bit weird, bro.
Of women that are manipulating guys and stringing them along is far greater than the men that even have the capability to string a woman along. So like the thing is that like like female manipulation is 100% accepted, and a matter of fact, I'll say encouraged in today's society. Women finessing guys, but it is not accepted.
I don't think so. I don't know if I believe what.
On the other end, if a guy is able to have sex with a bunch of girls and be a playboy or whatever, he's almost always going to be demonized for that. But if a woman plays guys, etc., it's encouraged. I mean,
no, it's not. Women who play guys for their money usually are considered fucking thoughts and gold diggers. Men who like play women for sex are fucking fuckboys. Nobody encourages either of these behaviors in society. Women will look at women who do that and go like, yeah, see? But then men will do the same thing with fuckboys. Like, yeah, see? It's the same thing. Dude, bro, red pill ideology is literally just like the fucking TikTok 15-year-old man versus women bullshit. What are you talking about? This is what I'm talking about. Everybody thinks that they're the victim. If you're like the leftists think women are fucking fundamental victims and men are evil demons, and red pill think that women are the fucking evil demons and that men are the victims. You guys are the same side. You guys are the different side of the same fucking coin. You guys are sad. You guys are weird. Okay. All right, because then you'll say that, but then you'll go, you know, if a key can open a lot of locks, then it's a good key. But if a lock gets open with a bunch of keys, it's a bad lock. Okay, well, how can you say that and then say society fucking jerks off and comes all over what you're saying now, like all over women doing this? They don't. All right, nobody thinks it's a good thing. Most people just don't care anymore. You're weirdos.
We have sugar daddy, we have a sugar daddy culture openly where women say, yeah, this guy just pays my bills or whatever, and I may or may not fuck him on whatever it may be. But could you imagine if a guy went on air and said,
that is not true. Most sugar baby culture, you are fucking that guy whenever they want, or you're not getting money. What are you talking about? What world do you live in?
I'm smashing these girls, but I'm not going to commit to any of them because they're all dumb hoes. Like versus like, you know, like it'll never work. So
and I like
female manipulation is accepted and encouraged.
It's really fucked up to say, and I know it bothers some people, but like I think that Bill Clinton, fucking Monica Lewinsky, or getting blown by that was wrong. He shouldn't have done it. He was in a position of power over her in terms of employment.
Sure.
But you can't tell me that this woman didn't have any power over the strongest motherfucking man in the world, the most important position in the world. Maybe. He was able to compromise that office.
I don't know if I'd make this take, but maybe. I don't know.
Because of a fucking woman. You can't tell me that she doesn't have some power there. That's unreal, but nobody will ever acknowledge that end of the situation, right? Or these esports players that'll go after these fucking like 17-year-old girls or whatever when they're like 21, or people that'll like cheat on their significant others. Like, yeah, like these guys are in a position of power, they shouldn't do it. But you can't tell me there's no power there because these guys are risking a lot to do this stupid shit. They're risking their whole fucking life. Like even fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger is fucking his mate on her fucking bed. Well, you can't tell me there's no power there. That is power, okay?
Yeah, and not only that, it's we demonize the men that like have sex with these girls, but we like don't put any accountability on the girls for like wanting a guy that's higher status than themselves. Like, let's keep it 1,000. The reason why a lot of those girls fucked Harvey Weinstein, or the girls that fucked you know, that Arnold Schwarzenegger, or the reason that girl sucked Bill Clinton's dick back then in the 90s is because women love a man that is superior to them. It's in their body.
Maybe. I don't know if you could say that about Harvey Weinstein. Listen, I don't know. We're getting a little conflated here. I'm sure that there absolutely are women. Let's just make it fundamental, who will fuck a guy in a position of power as a way to try to climb their way to the top, and they'll like it. I'm sure that women like that exist. On the flip side, there's also men who will take advantage of their position of power in order to fuck somebody, to offer an ability to climb up the ladder. Both of these things can exist, or they do exist, absolutely. The way they were talking, I don't know about Harvey Weinstein so much. That guy's a fucking scumbag piece of shit. Maybe Bill Clinton. I feel like the best way to operate is to not allow it in culture. But okay. All right.
Biology. So it's like we don't hold women accountable for their carnal needs from the opposite gender, but we hold men accountable for it. And I look at it like, are they not two consenting adults?
Sure.
Like, what's going on here? Like, why do we not roast them for that stupidity as well?
There has to be like the conversation has to involve all the parties involved. Like you can't just attack one end because you're missing half the story. And then that's where the red pill or the Jordan Peterson and anybody else could come in like, well, if you're not going to tell the other half, this motherfucker is. And you can't be mad when people follow them because you're not acknowledging what's actually going on. Of course, nobody's listening to what you're saying.
As much as we make fun of Bill Cosby, right? Like he had a chick, right, that literally like was able to file charges on him, and this bitch was buying him Christmas presents. Like, what the hell is going on here, man? Like, the Me Too.
But he drugged and raped women. I feel like losing me here a little bit here. Okay.
Era is like kind of stepped into a point where it's like, come on, dude. Like, I get it. You guys want to say believe all women, which is ridiculous in itself because that assumes that women never lie, which they definitely do. They wear makeup, but that's a whole other story.
It's so weird about the way you talk about things. I mean, like the narrative is mostly believe all potential victims, not believe all women. But okay, I hear what you're saying. Some people take it too far. But then like being like women lie because they wear makeup. All right, men lie because if they have a heel in their shoe. Men lie if they cut their hair. Like this is just beauty standards. Now you're just being a fucking weirdo.
But you're not. I thought feminism was about equality. If we're going to treat both parties equal, then we need to give both parties a fair shot as to hearing both sides of the story. And it's innocent until proven guilty. But in today's day and age, you're guilty until proven innocent, especially if some accusation comes out.
Sure.
It's equal only on their side, bro.
Yeah, which is wild to me.
Sad.
Harvey started a lot of careers.
Destiny, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is freedom to you and why? And then please correlate your answer to why you consider yourself part of the left.
This is a hard one. I don't know how much you want to grab into this, but I don't think freedom is very important to many people at all. I think people like the idea of freedom, but there's an interesting book that was written on this called The Paradox of Choice. But the reality is when you actually put more choices in front of people, they actually get more stressed out about picking the wrong thing.
That's facts. They did that with ice cream.
Yeah, with ice cream.
With ice cream flavors,
and you can even feel that. Like, if you go to a restaurant,
true,
they give you a menu with like 50 things. That's some stressful shit. Like, fuck, I don't know if I want that. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Whereas you get like 3 items or whatever you pick it. I think that
yeah, I tend to agree. People tend to not like too many choices. It gets a little too confusing and overwhelming. But like fundamentally, freedom's still pretty cool.
people want to be able to pursue the things that make them happy. That doesn't always mean you need to be able to choose between 500 things. Sometimes it does, but not usually. I think people just want to be able to carve out paths in their life in ways that make them happy. You don't need the freedom to be able to choose, from 20 million different houses. You need the freedom to be able to choose like the job that you want, or like to be able to have a family, or to raise kids, or that type of thing. So I don't think that having a ton of freedom is necessarily the most important thing, but you have to, at least have to feel like you have the freedom to make the choices you want.
That's a good point.
Elliot goes, $200. I agree with the libertarian white gentleman. There is a lack of drive and victim mentality in the black community. However, another issue in the black community, unlike the Hispanic, Asian, and white community, is we don't pass assets to our children. This is how wealth is passed down. That's true, but that's once again our fault. Yeah, because let's be honest, bro. In the black community, they're more concerned with buying fucking Jordans and buying a bunch of stupid shit, driving Mercedes Benz and having Louis Vuitton bags and having Rolexes and all this other shit versus buying assets.
And that's kind of true. But like, I remember, like you had like the whole Tulsa race riots. You had like the largest, wealthiest black community in the entire United States that was burned to the ground. And then up through Jim Crow, like if you were black and you wanted to buy houses in certain areas, you literally couldn't do it. Yeah, which is, and again, not to make excuses, because today is today, and you can't go into the past and change anything. You have to work as hard as you can today. But man, when you got it pisses me off when you get some of these white motherfuckers that have had houses that have been in their families for fucking generations, looking at people whose grandparents couldn't go to non-segregated schools, saying some shit like, well, why aren't you doing better? Like, well, where's your house? Like, motherfucker, your house was built before my family could even legally live here. Okay, like, what the fuck? It's not the time.
And I get it. Like, that's acknowledging, a handicap. But, at the end of the day, we got to have some accountability as well. Like, a lot of these people in these communities, and this isn't just a black community. This is like, if you look at any inner city, like, lower socioeconomic area, a lot of the times they spend all their money on dumbass liabilities and not assets.
And a simple thing people do, well, I want to say, white people do, they do life insurance. So when their father passes away or grandfather passes away, guess what happens? When they die, then they transfer to the next family, next generation. So it's like, bro, they're constantly thinking about, how can I pass on my legacy to the next generation?
A lot of the time, it's.
I think it's a lot of time that you don't really have the money to be able to do that, or you be able. It costs money to afford life insurance, right? Like, we should acknowledge that. It's not something that you'd be like, yeah, I think I should just get this. So, yeah, I got it now. Like, there are people who are buying status symbols for sure. I've heard that argument before. I can't get too personally invested in that argument because obviously, I'm not fucking black. So, although white people buy bullshit status symbols all the time, a bunch of dumb fucking like poor kids are always buying like the coolest new fucking this, that, and the other. Like, it's usually like dirt bikes or some dumb fucking redneck bullshit. But people don't necessarily have the money to be able to just afford these things all the time, or fundamentally,
It's true that in a way, being poor is a mindset. As fucked as that is, like when you're poor, you make decisions that can make you poor. I
know in New York, there's a lot of free money given out of the pandemic. The stimmy check, all the unemployment checks, that shit all went to rental cars and Amiris.
I mean, like if you work anywhere in traditional markets, the saddest time of the year is in fucking April. Because that's when the tax refunds come and you see how much people throw away on the dumbest fucking things. That's when everybody's getting a TV, everybody's buying huge dinners. Yeah. I'm like, damn, guys, really?
Yeah.
That free money is not free.
Lord Sneak goes, is the reason that Destiny is anti-RP because he says that there is nothing wrong with incest and lets his girlfriend, whom he financially supports, sleep with other men?
Oh my God. I love that question. It's just so crazy. Because I said this before, but like when I talked to Destiny, he's like, yeah, back in the day, we used to have conversations about why incest is wrong. And he's like, because, if you think that it's wrong because they shouldn't have babies, well, now you're into eugenics. And I was like, holy fuck, you guys are insane. You guys are weirdos. So that's just funny because of that.
Damn. Okay.
Some big philosophical arguments. I am in an open relationship. I am an official. That's what I do.
So you let your girl get a
6'4" NBA players, or NFL players,
Okay. I mean, everyone has their lifestyle.
Yasu, love from Morocco, North Africa. Great content, guys. No offense to the guests, but his ideas are based on emotion.
True.
I don't think so.
I think he's talking about in overall, maybe, because right now it's been pretty.
I like that he looks at both sides, though. That's pretty cool.
Okay, Maverick S. I noticed that Destiny mixed up beta males and alpha males as the same character traits, especially when you mentioned about open up feelings.
I think there's like a bad idea that in order to be a man, you have to like disregard, like femininity and masculinity should be balanced in every person, right? Like even in your hormones, like men produce some estrogen, women produce some testosterone. Like it's part of you that you should be able to, as a strong man, have some feminine traits, or as a strong woman, have some masculine traits. Like I think it's good to be balanced. I think when you shut off those things completely, because you think that like being a man means you have to be the most extreme, unemotional person ever, that's how you get people coming back from like fucking Vietnam or Iraq that are like PTSD'd up the fucking brain because they feel like they can't open up or talk to anybody about anything. I think that it is a weakness as a man to be unable to like address or handle or deal with your feelings in an open and honest manner. To not be able to do that and feel like you got to lock everything down and not process those things, I think that's a person that has a weakness that they need to address.
Okay, I agree. I think
for sure, because then what happens is they still get emotional, but their emotion is anger, and they start breaking things. And like a man needs to be able to regulate their feelings. So expressing your feelings is what makes a man in a healthy way, especially with somebody that you're close with, that you can trust and confide in, that won't think less of you for getting experiencing a moment of vulnerability. Like you definitely need those things, but you have to find the right girl. You have to vet girls out and find the right girl for that.
The thing is that you need to open it with other men that understand your struggle and your experience. That's another reason too why I'm not a fan of opening up to women, because men and women live different existences, man. And I would argue in 2022, women have
sympathy and not empathy.
They definitely have sympathy and not empathy because they don't understand the male experience. And not only do they not understand the male experience, they don't give a fuck about the male experience. They've come on this podcast and we've had discussions about this. Most
women don't really care. Men don't care about the women experience either. I mean, fundamentally, people don't care about experiences outside their own shit. So I feel like this is like a little bit of a weird point to make here.
Don't even know that like 1/3 of guys is either a virgin or hasn't had sex in the past year. Like women are grossly unaware about male struggles, and why should they know? Because at the end of the day, they have the privilege of the man approaches them regardless of how they behave. Like I've always said it, like the reason why like girls know how to respond to men, but they don't know what it takes to be attractive as a man to get the girl because they're kind of on the receiving end. They just exist. Guys come to them. But with a guy, you need to not only be attractive in yourself and understand, but you need to know women to be able to attract them. You got to be a step ahead of them to be able to get laid. Any guy that has sex with a lot of women has a very strong knowledge and grasp of female nature. However, the most beautiful women, they'll be 21 and they don't understand men for shit, but they're still able to be around high value men simply because their youth and beauty opens doors for them without them necessarily having to perform.
I think you overestimate the empathy that women have in general.
No. I will acknowledge that you can hear women say some real dumb shit.
Not for nothing. Like fundamentally, if we're generalizing, women are more empathetic creatures than men. Like that's an aspect of like femininity is to be a little bit more empathetic, more sympathetic, more caring about people. This idea that men are now empathetic, I don't think so. There are annoying women who are like, I'm an empath. You're annoying. You're not an empath. You're a fucking idiot. But like women tend to be more empathetic. I don't know. We're kind of just making things up at this point. But okay.
Shit, some hilariously stupid shit. Tonight. When you like, if you tell a woman like, "Hey, you should try approaching a guy," and I've heard women say this multiple times, like, "Why would I approach a guy and say no? Do you know how horrible that would be to get shot down?" It's like, yeah, of course, I'm a guy. I know how horrible it is to get shot down. What the fuck do you mean? That's our everyday existence, depending on what kind of dating market you're in. But I will say on the flip side too, guys are wholly fucking brain dead when it comes to understanding some of the fears or struggles that women have sometimes too. Like, guys will say stupid shit like, "Oh, like I'm meeting for a date. Why can't I just pick you up from your house? Like, why can't you just come back to my place or whatever?" It's like, yo, you weigh 80 pounds heavier than this woman. You could fucking rape and murder this bitch in an instant if you wanted to. This this lovely young lady, right? This queen. Okay, yes. Yeah. Like, there are guys that have no concept of like the fear of like, you know, why won't you go to the bathroom and leave your drink in front of me? Like, I don't even know why that would be a problem as a guy. Like a lot of guys have no idea all of the random shit that women have to kind of navigate in the dating markets too. So I agree that like women definitely lack empathy when it comes to male struggle and male experience a lot. That is absolutely true. And they'll say some dumb shit, but I hear guys say a lot of really fucking stupid shit too.
But here's my point though. Here's my point. For a man to attract a woman, he must understand women to a degree. Any guy that's good with girls understands women very strongly, better than they understand themselves, I would argue. However, with women, they don't have to understand men to attract them.
Maybe, but you need to understand a man to keep a man as a woman. Yeah, I mean, like, you're not going to keep any man if you don't learn to understand at least that man or what they need and their desires. That's about setting boundaries. But I feel like you don't understand women at all. Like, you understand stereotypes of the women that you engage with, which are usually younger girls who are looking to party in Miami, Florida. But in order to like attract and stay with a woman, it helps to know what a woman said. Right? Like you were just saying before, you know, women, they don't have, you're basically trying to say women don't have any fucking issues. And the Destiny's like, yeah, well, women have to be worried about being raped. And you're like, oh yeah, that's a good point. So you don't really understand the fundamentals of what it's like to be a woman. You're having a woman moment right now. What are you talking about? Men and women date each other all the time without knowing shit about dick about each other. That's why you have to explore and learn people.
They have to understand men to keep them.
Yeah, so
not to attract them.
I'll disagree and agree with you at the same time.
Okay.
I don't think it's a man or woman thing. I think a chaser needs to understand a little bit better than the pursued person, than the chasee. And usually men are the chasers.
The pursuer needs to understand the pursuee versus...
Usually the men are the usually the men are the chasers. So in that case, it's probably going to be the case that the chaser needs to have a better understanding of the situation for sure. Because if I'm like hooking up with a girl for the first time, I have to think about everything that I want and everything that I need. But I have to know everything that's going on in her head too. Yes. I need to make sure you feel safe, you feel happy, you're having a good time. It's not, and I've got to get ahead of these things because I can't ask you like, do you feel safe right now? Yeah. I'm gonna look like a fucking creep. Yeah, right? So it has to be planned out really meticulously.
Yeah. I mean, I know Destiny knows it. Like you can, to an extent and to some capacity, do something like that. You know, like when you're dating, you should do that in like the startup, I guess. But you know, something that lets them know that like, hey, you know, if you ever want to stop doing something, you just let me know. You could totally do that with somebody. It's a good thing to advocate to young men to do, is like try to, you know, express themselves like that. But like if you're in the moment, it might be a little weird, sure.
You're kind of like, I hate to say it, but like it's almost like a parent-child. Like, I'm here and we're having a good time, but I'm taking care of you and myself at the same time. Well, I'm trying to fuck you at the same time too. That's a hard role to play as a man sometimes.
Yeah, and
the woman's just along for the ride. Like, I'm gonna fuck up so we can have sex by the end of the night. It's like, I'm trying.
That's what I mean when I say like women really don't understand what it takes to be attractive as a man, because the thing is that it's like sales, right? So like with sales, you have a sales script to handle objections before the objection even comes up. So like as a guy, let's say you're setting up a first date where you're cleaning up your place, you're having it be pristine in a certain way, so that if you do bring her back, she feels comfortable to take her clothes off. A lot of the times, if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. You gotta have a plan with the date, taking her certain places, have ambience set up, whatever. But the woman is unaware of all the works it takes for you as a man to be attractive to that woman. And I've always said, right, the gazelle doesn't understand the perils that the lion has to go through to be able to hunt it. It just knows, oh, lion, and runs. Versus the lion has to study its prey, has to see them when it drinks at the water, and it can even see when it birds a calf, so it can chase a calf because the calf is a weaker one. So men have to understand women to a deep level to be good to have sex with them. However, women don't have to understand men to attract them. I would argue women
just don't think you understand women in any deep capacity in the way that you're kind of professing that you do. You have a very shallow, kind of childish understanding of women. I don't think you need to know all these, like, I don't think you need to know like the absolute like massive depths of women in this capacity. I don't think that you do. You really just know how to like. I don't agree. You're not like the aficionado on women. Like, you know how to talk to girls. Absolutely. You know that a woman, like in Miami, Florida, that's at a bar, probably wants to fuck and somebody to show them some money. But like, that's because that's a very basic understanding of women because you're dating very basic women. But okay, interesting.
Only need to understand men when they want a relationship and keeping the guy.
Sure.
And I think that's a privilege that only women get to experience, which is why my argument always is, especially when it comes to dating. I mean, other things, it is what it is. When it comes to like intersexual dynamics, women lack empathy. They don't understand the male experience whatsoever. However, men, at least the ones that are good with women, definitely understand the female experience because they have to overcome those objections when they come
I don't agree. Most fuckboys don't know shit about dick about women. I don't know what you're talking about. Fuckboys are the people that pose a threat to women. I think that's what I'm just saying. So I don't know if you know what you're. I don't really agree with what you're saying here.
Inevitably when they're on a date. Now, most guys, I agree with you, are retarded and don't have these skills, which is why dating content, self-improvement content, etc., dealing with women, understanding female nature, it's exploded over the past couple of years because guys aren't getting laid. A byproduct of that is like, okay, I have a problem here. I need to fix this problem. How do I figure it out? Then they watch content like this. They're like, whoa, okay. Now they're able to connect the dots on why girls might have flicked on them, why girls didn't want to fuck them, etc. Because now they're realizing, wait, like, you're telling me that girls are different? Yes, my friend. Society's been lying to you. Girls are extremely different, and you need to be able to know what the fuck you're doing so that when that objection comes up, you already got it handled.
And then you've got like the additional problem where like if you ask a woman what women want, she won't tell you what women want. She'll tell you what she wants, and she might not even know what she fucking wants. So it's like, that's a hard conversation. Yeah. Sometimes it's better to ask.
I'll take it a step further. Let's have fun with this. Like I said this earlier, that women don't know what they want, right? And people, oh, that's sexist, that's misogyny. Well, they actually proved this with studies. So what they did was they took a group of men and they took a group of women, right? Okay. And they took lesbian women as well and gay men. But for the purposes of me explaining this and make a sense, I'll just talk about the heterosexual men and the heterosexual women. What they did was they attached electrodes to to the man's genitals and to the woman's genitals to measure blood flow, right? Arousal. And then they gave them a clicker to click the button if they're aroused. And they showed them a bunch of stimulating images, okay? They showed like heterosexual sex, a guy walking down a beach. They showed monkeys banging. They showed a girl getting banged by like a dildo, whatever it may be. A bunch of different erotic things. With the men, right, that were heterosexual, they only pretty much, they clicked on what they liked and obviously the erection was there as well, and that was with the heterosexual sex. So in other words, with men, what they like is extremely narrow, okay? Heterosexual sex, we like girls, everything else, oh, fuck, flaccid, I'm not interested. With the women, however, very interestingly shown, was they only clicked on what was politically correct. However, the electrodes showed otherwise, that they were actually aroused by everything, with the monkeys banging, the heterosexual sex, the guy walking on the beach naked, whatever, and they wouldn't click on that. They only clicked on the things that wouldn't embarrass them. And I say that a lot of times to tell guys,
doesn't mean okay. Your study sounds fucking stupid as shit. I have to look at it because it sounds insane. But all that proves is that women are a little bit more, I guess, humble. Your argument here is that women are much more sexually perverse than men, which I don't even believe that, just based on common sense. It could be wrong. But that just proves that women are like a little bit more embarrassed about what they are attracted to. That doesn't mean that women don't know what they want. That means that they might be less inclined to express that to a fucking random person doing a test or a study on them. What are you talking about? These guys so fucking weird. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay.
What a girl tells you she's attracted to versus what she's aroused by are two different things, which goes back to the vulnerability thing. Why I'm so big on guys not being vulnerable to girls, because she may tell you, open up to me, cry, it's okay, don't worry about it. And then you cry and you don't know if those electrodes are if she's gonna get blood in the vagina or she's gonna be like, this nigga's a pussy. And that's why I tell guys, it's not worth the risk because women don't even know themselves what they're attracted and aroused by. So I don't want to leave it up to chance. So
Listen, man, girls get it. They want you to get it as well. And the funny part is, struggle breeds awareness. Most girls, bro, they just show up and they get whatever they want. Us as guys, bro, we gotta work towards it. So we have to understand, you know what, how girls operate, how to get them on a date, and that right there is struggle, bro. It's tough.
Sure. I mean, and again, I'll to represent the other side of this, especially in regards to that woman thing. That's interesting, but I think that it's easy to look at that and take like kind of like a malicious spin on it, that either women are stupid or they don't understand what's going on. I think for a lot of women, I think that societally, I think there's a lot of repression that goes into like female sexuality too.
I agree.
I think today it's gotten better than it was in the 90s, 80s, 2000s even. Like it's gotten better, but like all fine girls, you know, that like there are women that like have their first orgasm when they're like 21 or 22. Like they've never masturbated, they've never put anything, like they don't even know what the fuck is going on to them sometimes because they're so like worried or disgusted or they've got these kind of feelings or whatever. So it wouldn't surprise me that they're not like as in tune with their sexuality as well. They don't know like the things that would arouse them or wouldn't.
Yeah, no, they're not. Yeah, they may not be in tune because they're repressed or whatever. But I would argue it comes also from like shame. Like there's an enormous amount of pressure on women to like.
That's the same thing. That's what he's saying. That's exactly what Destiny's saying. What are you talking about? You're making the same point.
Not come off as hoes. I mean, we've had porn stars even on here that are scared to say their body count. So it's like women have like an extreme.
Well, yeah, it's because you shit on them if they have a high body count. Do you not realize you're part of the contributing factor as to why women feel this way?
It's an extremely strong sense to conceal their past when it comes to promiscuity, and there's a lot of reason for that. Like if people find out that she's a hoe, well, it's going to limit her opportunity to get land.
There might be a biological reason to that. I think that there probably is a biological aspect to men wanting one with a low body count because it's like, oh, this is something that hasn't been conquered before, and I think that men like to conquer, right? I think that's totally true. I also think that there's a Jesus, I'm slurring my words. I also think that there is a social factor to this as well. Okay? Absolutely. If we always leaned into our biological predispositions, I'm going to be honest with you, men would be raping a lot more women because there's probably some biological aspect that's like, I want to breed, I want to fuck. It doesn't matter if it's consensual. You see animals rape each other all the time. But we're human beings with a conscience that understand consent. So just because there might be a biological predisposition for something doesn't mean that it's always a good thing to do or that we should force people to lean into it. Okay? So I'm just saying, all right? I'm just saying. I think that you could socially change the stigma around women having higher body counts. I don't think anybody should really have like a high body count. I think it's gross in general. But you can change the general narrative and be like, hey, you know what? It's not so bad if a girl has a little bit of a higher body count.
Value man and gain that security. It's still, even a woman that makes $1 million a year that's a hoe is still going to have an issue with disclosing her body count because it's innate, it's in her biology. It's like just like a guy most of the time is not going to be okay with like, well, no offense to you, Destiny, with watching this girl get banged by dudes. Sure. You know, they're just not. It's just naturally, it's just like it's in us, right? So
wait, do you watch?
But women also don't want to watch that with their, you know, husbands or whatever. But
fuck no.
No. Okay.
we do like threesomes, but I'm not gonna fucking watch her get fucked. That'd be weird.
Yeah. Okay. So even with he's like, no, I'm for guys.
Sure, anything, whatever. Wow. Yeah, whatever the fuck you want to do. Yeah, hell yeah.
All right. So he does it. Okay. So he does it. So he does it.
The way that I see it, this is the way that I see it. I see a lot of people talk about these like one-way open relationships. I see people talk about these one-way open relationships. Okay, well, I'm bisexual, so you know.
Oh, word.
Yeah, male, female. Don't get any ideas. Okay, chill. So the way that I see it is, if I'm gonna date a girl, okay, if I'm gonna date a girl, all right. I like to fuck around, okay? It's where I'm at in life. It's fun for me. I have the opportunity to. Obviously, I'm a famous person. I don't know if I could ever be in a relationship that's only open on my end, though, right? Because one, I don't know if I'd have respect for that woman, and two, I don't think she'd have respect for herself. I don't think if you're a woman and you're dating a guy and you let your guy fuck around and you're just sitting at home all day, I don't know. That to me seems kind of sad. So she wants to fuck around. She's free to. I fuck around. We do threesomes sometimes. That's what we do.
Bruv.
Well, before we get into tackle that, all I was going to just say, just to finish my point, was women. I agree with you. There's a deep societal thing in them to not like, because women are scared to death of being ostracized by the tribe, right? So that's why they don't want to be looked at as hoes. The Scarlet Letter is a death sentence. So
I think that people in general would probably be scared to death about getting ostracized from like a tribe. But okay.
That's why another reason why too they clicked on the things that were politically correct versus they were aroused by a bunch of other things. As far as the sexuality goes, with I guess being open, or I disagree, respectfully disagree, and I think it's completely okay for a man to have a girl, he be open and she be closed. And the reason why I say that, this is my stance on it is this: if a woman is with a man, right? This only works, of course, if she's with a guy that she actually is attracted to, respect, and admires. If a woman is with a man that she loves, admires, and respects, virtually every other guy to her is invisible. Why? Let's ask it and peel it back. Why is it? The reason why is because women have a very strong proclivity to have the best guy that they can get, right? That satisfy that hypergamous need to get the best guy that they can get.
I think it's just because women prefer more emotional-based like relationships, and I think it's more difficult for women to disconnect sex and emotion. So I think that's pretty much it. So generally speaking, I think it's more common for a guy to be able to have emotionless sex than a girl. That doesn't mean that there aren't women who can have emotionless sex. There are women who can. That's it, though. I think he's trying to like justify this weird biological reason for it. But like, it's more that like women just, I guess they're more emotional creatures. I think. I don't think that whatever conspiracy narrative you're about to push is really true.
Feel that that's fulfilled. Well, I don't need any of these other motherfuckers because this guy provides me with everything I need. Security, he's attractive, he protects me, whatever, maybe he checks all my boxes, right? So all guys are visible to him. But with the guy, if he could have the baddest chick ever, he's still going to want to have sex with other women. So think about this. The female sexual strategy is accomplished. She has the best guy to herself, right? At least providing security. With the guy, though, he's not fulfilling his sexual need, which is, I want to have sex with as many women as possible, right? That's what guys want. Men want variety. I don't care what any girl says. You take the most attractive woman, he's still going to want more girls. You look at a music video, there's a reason why they have girls of different color, shapes, and sizes. Men want sexual abundance. That is their innate need. So my thing is this: if woman gets the best guy that she can get and her sexual strategy accomplished, why is it that we shun guys from going ahead and wanting to have their sexual strategy accomplished and having multiple women? And of course, if they participate in a safe way, the girl's still taken care of, whatever. I don't see an issue with it.
I don't think.
I mean, it's more about like women aren't going to put up with it. Like most women are not going to put up with it. Immature, like some women will. Most of the time, it's going to, like most mature women are not going to put up with a guy fucking around. So if you want a good woman, you're not going to be able to get your dick wet whenever the fuck you want unless it's with her. So like, you know, if you want that relationship, be my guest. You're just going to struggle to find intimacy with another person. Just saying.
There's no way. I don't think there's any way that would ever be stable in the long run. Maybe you can find like if you've got like an extremely high status guy and he's dating down far in like status of woman, I think maybe you can do it. But like
for sure,
because if we want to talk biology, right, you might argue that the woman is looking for the one alpha male, blah 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 blah. But if that woman is playing to her strengths, right, and she's got a guy and they're together as they get older and older, well, why would a 30-year-old woman be comfortable with her 35-year-old husband banging 21-year-old supermodels? She's not gonna no shot. She would be threatened every single fucking day of her life.
And that's but here's the thing. What that does is that threat makes you more, number one, it makes you more attractive, which keeps you in the leverage position in the relationship. Because I argue that the guy always has to have leverage in a relationship. That's the only way that women actually stay loyal.
But the problem is if in these types, if we're going to talk about the really big like evo psych sexual dynamics, the woman, if I don't believe this, but if we go to that area, the woman has lost the ability to compete once she's 29, 30 years old. She's done. Fair enough. So like, why would that woman ever be okay with her husband fucking women that are younger than her that she will never be able to against? Yeah. Okay. What do we got?
It's on the woman to have a child with that man. That is the key. She needs to give him children because at that point,
so she needs to lock him in with a kid. This is like, I just think that this is a really not good way to just interpret relationships.
Now,
this is horrible relationship advice.
I have a kid with this woman. I must now deal with. Obviously, this is the mother of my children. This is why it's so important for a guy, for the man to be on his shit, and the girl pick the right guy that's on his shit. Because if she has kids with him, there ain't going back.
That's where there is. One, we have more broken families in the United States than at any point in fucking history of the U.S. So guys can leave, and then two, depending on the type of girl you're into, the money.
Destiny, men only initiate about 20% of the divorces. It's the women. There's a reason why
30%. I don't know why you can't just be honest about the percentage. But just because it's women that initiate doesn't mean that there's not a level of the fault on the man. I'm not saying that it is the man's fault. But like the idea that women break up more doesn't mean that it's because the woman is the problem. It could be because men, my understanding, men cheat more. So maybe women are like, oh, fuck, I don't want a cheating piece of shit. I'm fucking divorcing you. Could be a lot of other things. But like this idea that like it's all women's fault just because it's like more women breaking up doesn't mean that there's not a problem in the relationship. Right? It could be though.
Right, the phrase.
We're not talking about divorces though. We're talking about fatherless children. You don't have to be married to have a child. And I'm willing to bet that if we look at, like, say, black communities where there's a lot of fatherless children, I doubt these people were married before they had kids, right? It's easy for the father to walk away, and a lot of times not even pay fucking child support.
No, and that's a good point. But that's why it's incumbent upon the woman to, number one, lock that.
Let's see. So let's see what some of it is. Maybe we can learn something. It seems like there's a lot of emotional and social factors. Increased economic independence alone doesn't explain why women have become so much more likely to initiate divorce. Because women having economic independence, men have that as well. So you would probably factor those at the same thing. So it's not just going to be economic independence. Let's see. For many women, the expectation they have when they enter marriage may fail to match up to reality. Experts say that they often have a higher expectation on how a partner will meet their emotional needs than men, which can lead to disappointing post-wedding. Interesting. Is there any more here? Seeking resolution. Of course, filing for divorce is the same thing as ending a marriage. While research shows women in heterosexual marriages are more likely to initiate the breakup, there are also women who didn't choose to end the relationship but want to or need to formalize the split nonetheless. Women tend to be more motivated than men to resolve their marital status. Okay, so that could be a factor as well. Maybe women tend, like, I mean, it doesn't mean it's all things. Maybe women are just annoying bitches, but part of it could be that women tend to try to find more resolution to marriage. Maybe men aren't as open to it in some instances, and so like women are just like, all right, fuck it. If you're not going to do anything to change, then or help us change our relationship, I'm just going to leave you. Or maybe they take the divorce push to force their hand. For women, however, the need for a divorce can be much more pressing. It remains a requirement that for divorce to be filed in order to make a financial application, referring to the legally binding process of sorting finances after a split. Historically, women have had a great need to do this through their... Okay. For women, however, the need for a divorce can be much more pressing. It remains a requirement for a divorce to be filed in order to make a financial application, referring to the legally binding process of sorting finances out. Historically, women have had a great need to do this due to their weaker financial position or their roles as a primary caregiver. In other words, married women tend to earn much less than their husbands and are significantly more likely to have given up work or reduced their hours to care for children, even if they were the higher earner to begin with. Okay, interesting. These are very complicated things. This means women who are separated from... Okay, I see what they're saying now. That there could be... Okay, this makes a lot of sense. They're referring to situations where men and women split up, but they don't actually get a divorce yet. But since the woman, in a lot of instances, let's say you're married for 30 years, and for 25 of them, the woman gave up their give up their job, which is what's going to usually happen because women tend to be the ones that will give up their job. They now have no financial independence in some case, in these instances, so they have to initiate a divorce so that they can start pushing for some kind of financial benefit from the situation. And I think fundamentally, whether it's a man or the woman making more money, the other person does deserve some money. If you give up like 25 years of your life where you could have pursued something in like your earlier years, you gave all that up to be with somebody. Yeah, I think that's some finances to the other person are definitely, reasonable. Okay. This is interesting. A lot to consider. Here. That makes a lot of sense. So the divorce rate isn't even necessarily a I want to break up rate. It could be I want to work on our relationship. It could be that they are they're separated, that they came to an agreement. Maybe the man actually broke up with it, but like the woman needs to file for divorce to get some kind of finances. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Security down, and then number two, have children with that man, because and again, me giving this advice to women is obviously going to put men in a more vulnerable position. When you give advice to one gender, you inevitably put the other one in a bad position. But my thing is, if you marry the man and you have children with that man, he's going to be far more likely to provide you that security while simultaneously you can fuck other girls. And I think also it's on the, like, my thing is the performance goes on the woman when it comes to having the relationship. It's her job to keep the guy and add value to his life even as she gets older. Okay,
she can do that, but how can she add that value if you guys are saying things like you don't necessarily support like the girl bossing, you don't necessarily support them like being the more masculine relationship, like aside from being young and hot, like what is the value in your world? I'm curious, like in your world, what is the value that a 30-year-old woman can add to the relationship besides already having had a kid?
Spiritual balance. So for me, I won't say, because I'm taking myself out of the conversation, but what I'm saying in general,
when I say you, I just mean your general, for you.
So in general, like what I always tell girls, right, when I give them advice and they ask us, how do I keep a guy that I like or whatever, especially in a situation where you have a variable of like other women, well, you need to become an indispensable component in that man's toolkit. And what I mean by that is every man is different. So some guys want a hot coffee as soon as they wake up, meals ready to go, clothes ironed, the children are ready to go to school. Some guys might say, yo, I need you to check my emails, be my assistant. Some other guys may need a girl to be a handy woman helping them out with the car.
It's so interesting that his entire women to him are fucking secretaries. That's interesting. Yeah, give value to your like husband's life or whatever by being his fucking personal secretary. Do you really think that about women? That's a little weird, bro. That's it's interesting. Like, I mean, my wife certainly does do those things for me. But I wouldn't be like, yeah, that's how you add value. My wife is like, a lot of what my wife adds value is the ability to talk to her and have robust conversations and to like better me like emotionally in general. And somebody that, again, I can confide in and actually get some of my stress out. There's nothing that you could do more for your partner than to be able to like, vent to them and get upset. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a huge aspect in general. Being able to be vulnerable with them, allowing them to express themselves to you. So...
whatever it may be, every guy has a weak point, and it's on the girl to find that weak point, identify it, come up with a solution, and help that man go from 100% to 100, 100, 200, 300, 400, because that's going to make him the best version. So my thing is this: for a woman to be able to circumvent, a guy having an open relationship where she's closed on her end, get the marriage, get the ring, get the kids, he's going to be far less likely to divorce you and or leave you, because men rarely break up on relationships anyway. And then if he does, there's going to be some serious penalties, which is why the divorce courts the family courts are written in the way that they do to prevent everything.
True. Although I will say, we're talking about, I think one problem you have is that you're bringing some general things like men are less likely to end relationships, et cetera, et cetera. That's probably true in the aggregate. We look at all the people. But when we're talking about one man that can juggle multiple women, we're selecting for a top to use your word, hypergamous, right? Or no, would the men be hypergamous? Or would you
no, but no, it's typically for females. But you're talking about a higher status.
You're talking
man.
about like and these are the guys that can easily step out of the relationship, right? And even if you look at the status afterwards, like let's say 35-year-old man, 29-year-old woman, and then they have 1 or 2 kids. Who's better in the separation there, right? The man is just growing and growing and growing and growing in value. He's fine. The woman is fucked. Her life is over.
That is true.
I just can't imagine, and maybe it does happen more than I know. I just don't know those friends. I just can't imagine that woman who is in your world, to use your guys' terms, or maybe you don't use it, probably, who is hitting the wall and now who's locked down with 1 or 2 kids, being like, all right, like I'm chill with you going to fuck like the 22-year-old chick from work, but I don't think you'll leave me because I make you coffee every morning.
Well, it's not about that. Remember, she got what she wanted, which is the security. A man can love his wife or his main girl and have sex with other women. It's possible. You know what I mean? It's 100% possible. And a lot of guys do it anyway. It's just that they're not honest with their girl. So my thing is this. The biggest takeaway from this is that most guys can't execute this. And I agree with you on that. Most guys can't do it. But can they, they can't pull it off because they don't have the value to demand that type of stress from their girl. Because let's be honest, it is going to be stressful. Most guys don't have the value to be able to demand it. But are men capable of doing it? Absolutely. My issue is that women are not capable of doing it. If a woman is in an open relationship with you, the guy is deficient to some degree.
Okay, I'll agree to disagree on you because I think we're going to circle the drain on this one, but
yeah. I mean, that's how I look at it. Like, because when we've interviewed girls, like when we say, hey, like, you know, when you're with a guy that you like really admire and respect, they're like, what are your thoughts? Oh yeah, I don't see anybody else. Like he's my guy. But with a guy, you know, you could be full, but you're always going to look at the menu. Like men are always going to look to other women.
Man, but I mean, earlier we just acknowledged women are on some crazy shit when it comes to societal pressure and the answers given that they think they need to give. I don't know if I buy that. They're like, oh yeah, that's my man. I don't look at any other person. Bullshit. I don't think that's true. I'll meet you and I'll say that like generally sex is like a more emotional experience usually for women.
I think I'm 35 fucking the 22-year-old and my wife wants to go fuck other people. It's a reaction. It's out of jealousy. It's not a natural desire.
But I mean, women can feel the same way about men. Absolutely. Like, why am I not enough for my man that he wants to step out and go fuck other women?
True.
Yeah, but that's not a natural. I want to do it.
That goes down to just female stupidity, not understanding the male sexual strategy. Because like women know that guys want to fuck a bunch of girls, but every girl thinks that she's special, that she's going to be able to tame the wild horse. And he's
a lot of times they do though. You can. Okay, whatever.
You gotta be loyal to her. And my thing is that the reason why you were attracted to him in the first place was because he was a wild horse that has a bunch of women. So you think he's gonna change for you? No, you're not that special because men always want variety. I think a girl is in a very strong and powerful position actually.
Well, like that's the thing is like, what if you have a woman that is that special? It's just one of those things where like you'd have never met a woman that makes you go like, yeah, I'm gonna give up every other woman for this person. That's a you problem, man. That's like a you issue. That's kind of like a you insecurity. I mean, all I gotta say, bro, is it kind of sucks to suck because, like, you know, it's worth losing to be able to fuck a bunch of girls. I mean, get it out of your system. I don't know how it's not out of your system at fucking 30-something years old. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just being fucking real with you. But like, you know, you gotta like it gets to a point where you gotta kind of fucking grow up, and like, there are women who are worth it. You just have to find them, and you have to treat them the right way. And it seems like maybe you're not doing that thing. You know, maybe you're a little bit of a problem here.
Understands male nature, adapts to male nature, and pretty much puts herself in a position where she's like, okay, I get that you're going to do this. I know that you're going to want to do this. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to allow it. It is what it is. You're my man. I love you. You love me. Because most girls, that's actually a secret weapon right there. Because most girls don't have, their hubris is so strong that they don't acknowledge that they're not that special.
Do you think that
Bro, what? This is what I'm talking about. Like, women are fucking worthless to these guys. Bro, come on. You're fucking delusional. Stop dating 18-year-olds. Stop fucking dating 18-year-old girls. Holy fuck. Date like a fucking woman that's like mature. Why do you like this is insane. What you're saying is so fucking stupid. Holy shit.
For the audience, I'm curious. Do you think that even like 15% of the audience could be that type of guy that's juggling multiple women?
No. Okay. No, most guys can't pull it off. Most guys can't pull it off.
I can almost agree, but you have to be like that's got to be like a really, really, really high status thing to hit that point.
But let's be real her. Most guys want to do it though.
Yeah.
See, I call it ego, right? Because for example, if a woman, right, is really into you, right, and let's say for example, she's upset because you want to sleep with other women, I get it, 100%. She's like, you know what? Why can't I do it too? However, if you're providing everything that she needs in that sense, why leave and go with somebody else?
Well, I mean, again, it would ideally, I think from her perspective, be the same for the man's perspective. Like, I don't know if they view like we're circling the drain. I don't want to go too back and forth, but like, I feel like the woman could ask the same question because I think oftentimes when a guy does cheat on a woman, like that is the thought, like, well, am I not enough? Now, I know you're saying that it's different from the male perspective or whatever, but I think that both ends can pursue like
for women though, when they're cheating, it's emotional. It's like I want to get even.
It always has to be. It could be.
Most of the time it is, but like
it might be most of the time, but not all of the time. I mean, it could be. My thing is that I think a lot of times being like a human being is about, I guess, giving up on some of your biological desires in some capacity. Why do we need to advocate for men to be like just thinking with their dick, uncontrollable fucking penis monsters? You know what I mean? Like why not just be like, yeah, men shouldn't do this thing. You know what I mean?
Like with a man, it's like they're just having sex.
Exercise.
Like with men,
I mean,
it's
there's
like,
a lot of men that leave their wives for mistresses and shit too. Like it's not like that never happens.
But
Like
that's true. That is a good point. But more than likely, the woman was bitchy. She wasn't having sex with him anymore. She was annoying.
See, it's the woman's fault. Like if a guy cheats on a girl, it's always their fault. Like, do you not like Jesus Christ?
She was nagging him, whatever it may be. It takes a lot for a guy to leave a woman. However, it does not take a lot for a woman to leave a man.
I don't know what you're talking about. Based on what? Based on the divorce rates? I mean, we already kind of went over that. But based on what? This idea that what? Where did you hear that from? I don't know if I agree with that. What?
They're far more likely to end relationships, and we know this. Like women overwhelmingly initiate.
We could argue on both spectrums, but let's be real here though. Who has a high divorce rate?
the divorce rate might be initiated by women more, but there could be reasons that relationships might end before marriage if the guy's more likely to end it, possibly. I don't know where all the numbers fall on that. Like women might initiate like there are also sure for initiating divorces, sure, but there are so many dynamics at play. We're talking about different people. So, for instance, that thought of like women aren't as afraid of like their guy leaving them as the guy would be of the woman leaving them if they were sleeping around. I think that is.
Wait, say it one more time, just so I can follow.
Yeah, if a guy has his woman and she's sleeping around, he's afraid of her leaving him. But if he's sleeping around, she shouldn't be afraid of him leaving her.
I don't think he's afraid of her leaving him. It's more about like men have a very strong need to ensure that the child is there. So like that's why men are so disgusted by women that are promiscuous, because like we got to go back in time.
Well, no, I think it's a dominance thing. I think men want to be the dominator. I think that there are a lot of men, and I think a lot of men are insecure in some capacity. Like I think a lot of men who are afraid to sleep with a woman that has like a little bit of a higher body count are like, bro, I don't know. I feel like a lot of men who want to like fuck virgins and shit, or like, is because they're insecure about their ability to have sex and like to be satisfying to a woman. I think there's also a dominance aspect there as well. A guy wants to be like the first to dominate a thing. I don't know if it has to do with like the baby shit. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about that. Okay, but okay. Maybe.
Right? Like if we go back through history, like paternity test is something that's relatively new in the past couple of decades. So the only way guys were able to ensure that the child was theirs was they would marry a virgin. That's why virgins are so high value. It's because
maybe I think you're kind of just making that up. I think guys like to be, I mean, I think it plays more to like the baser male desire to be like a conqueror. I think it's more about conquering something like fresh and new that hasn't been like touched before. I don't know if it's about making sure the baby's mine. Maybe. I don't know about that though. I feel like I think you've acknowledged that men like to fuck virgins a lot, and then you've decided to create a reason for it. I don't know how much that reason makes sense though.
Because it's the only way that a guy can like, no, okay, this kid is definitely mine and she didn't cheat on me. Yeah. So with guys, it's like...
If a woman is looking at that biologically too, she's not going to want a guy that fucks around, because a guy that's fucking around is going to be able to take care of 15, 20 kids.
But here's the thing. She knows that the kid is hers at least.
Yeah, but he's not going to have the resource to provide for a whole fucking village of children that he's fathered,
this is why, hold on. That's why hypergamy is so strong. Yeah. That's why women pick the best guys. Because she knows, like, it's since the beginning of time, like the strongest men that have had the most resources always had harems of women, because women understood my security overrides my emotions and my female hubris that I think I'm special. It's only in modern day times really that women think that they're equal to a man and they should have a high value man to themselves. Since forever, women have had the uncomfortable truth of understanding, if I'm with a high value guy, there's a bunch of other women that are also going to want that security from that guy. I'm just going to have to acknowledge that I'm a part of this family. So with women, they're not going to fucking...
Sure, maybe. The problem is like, if you're just like, yeah, I want to be a high value guy that gets a bunch of girls, that's totally fine. But again, that's not the issue that's happening here. The issue is that he's saying that this, like, all women fall into this category. All women are only valuable for this. All women are... Just be like, yeah, I want to have a harem of women. Okay, do your thing, brother. Like, I think that's great. But, like, you're in advocating for that, you're just shitting on women, like, the way that you're doing it. That's the problem with what you're talking about.
Guy unless he's a winner in the first place, because pregnancy is a high investment for her.
Destiny.
Yeah, I understand real quick. So I understand what you're saying from certain evolutionary strategies. Yeah. I just, in one sense, I don't always see it playing out that way today. In terms of, if we're talking for ultra high value men, right? Sure. This might be something that like top 2%, top 1% of men could do, where you're juggling essentially like a harem of women. Yeah. I can agree with that. Sure. But there are so many other circumstances where if you're a woman and you've got a guy, like him stepping out is going to be the most frightful fucking experience of your life. Maybe 30 years ago, maybe one guy could provide resources for a whole group of people, which I don't even think ever actually happened. You probably always have like groups of like men and women. It's not just going to be one guy that has all the kids, right? Otherwise, why would the other men be invested in even taking care of that household?
Well, no. I mean, that's how it's been. Like
one guy with like 19 women and all their kids. Like
so historically speaking, like since the beginning of time, like one man is procreated for every 17 women. Yeah. So what does that mean? That tells you that.
I don't think that's true at all. What? Where are you getting these statistics? I've never, like, there have been men who've been fucking a lot of girls. I'm not gonna say that doesn't happen, but like, what? No, I don't know. Maybe like rich people, poor people would get married and have like 10 kids, and like half of them would die because they would be worked to death. Like, what are you referring to? What history class have you taken? What?
that like the women were concentrating on a very small minority of men. A small minority of men were having sex with the majority of the women because women are hypergamous by nature and pick the best guys. And
What's the evolutionary strategy for the men that stuck with the tribes?
They just didn't procreate.
Yeah, but then how are they not just like gone? Why wouldn't they just leave?
Because you strengthen the tribes. Like,
yeah,
you know
but
what I mean?
from a genetic point of view, that's not a winning strategy.
It isn't, but like that's why the dominance hierarchies are. That's why men operate.
Because this doesn't. I don't think that this really exists. What he's saying doesn't really exist. I mean, like, just not in the way he's saying it. It's like a little bizarre.
On hierarchies, like there's always winners and losers. The top guys got all the girls, and then the other guys were turned into eunuchs or whatever it may be, and they like, okay, you can go ahead and go off on your own, bro. But we got the chicks here, and we're gonna go hunt without you. So you don't need like women are valuable. Men are not. Men are expendable commodities. Like if you have a couple of guys, you can make some shit happen. But if you don't have a couple women, you guys are fucking dead. So I think that's why like women are
What
almost
the fuck
always
is he
protected in
talking
society.
about?
Even today's day and age, they say children and women first because they're the future of the generation. So with men, you only need a couple. One guy can impregnate 100 women, but if you have 100 men and one woman, we're fucked. You know,
Destiny.
Sure, but what the fuck? You're speaking to it in a historical context, but what you're saying, I don't think anybody could historically back that up. The fuck are you talking about, bro?
How would you feel? This is a hypothetical, right? Let's say your wife or your girl, right, went out, you know, had a maybe like a sexual affair or whatever, and she got pregnant. She came home to you, right, and said, hey, babe, I'm pregnant. You think it's yours?
Kid?
You take care of the kid for like, let's say like 10, 15 years.
Wait, why the fuck would I do that on a paternity test?
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm saying you believe her, right?
Okay.
Let's say you find out it's not your kid after like 10 years. What would you do? How would you feel?
I feel pretty dumb for not getting a paternity test.
That's
Yeah,
I
what
feel.
is the question?
If I know my girl's going to be out there doing who
Wait,
knows
but
what.
we don't. I don't think we.
But if you're doing a situation where like your girlfriend's sleeping around and you are as well, you would have standards like safe sex, and then if they got pregnant, you would do a DNA test. We're talking about a consensual relationship where like both parties understand that like the woman's going out and fucking around. We're not just like we're not speaking like what do you refer like what? So why wouldn't you prepare for that? Prepare for that like have a precautionary like what? Your analogy is weird.
Decisions like that right now. Like we have the ability to avoid pregnancies and to check like really what would happen if she came when she was pregnant. Like we're flying to fucking California, we're getting an abortion. Like, that's what we're gonna do. That is what I came right now. That's the real thing of what's happening, right? But like I understand. I guess I feel like there's not an acknowledgement on the other side. Like I understand what you're saying here, and that there might be some reproductive strategy in the guy. But this is like I don't know why a woman would ever try to lock down a promiscuous male with children when that guy might meet a younger, hotter woman and just step the fuck out on him, and then he's gone. And now she's burdened with having to provide for that child because there's no guarantee she's getting child support. If they're not married, she's not getting alimony. If there's a prenup, she might be fucked, right? Not only is she now burdened with those children, you know, God bless them, that sounds mean, but she has to deal with that. Her future is fucked because being a single mom is now you're fucked on so many different dating markets compared to single dads are honestly have it better than a single mom who's like completely fucked. So like if we're just going by like what is like the best like reproductive strategy or whatever, I don't think a woman should ever be selecting for a promiscuous male. Like even if you could go for like that top 1% guy, I think you'd rather get like a top 40% guy that you know is not going to be sleeping around or cheating on you or looking to upgrade the second he can to another woman and then leave you high and dry with two kids. And now you're 33 and fucked.
That sounds logical. That sounds great.
No, that's not logical. That's just that would just be biology.
No. But here's the thing: like their biology doesn't allow them to do that. They always. The thing is that like even though on paper it's terrible for a woman to pick up a promiscuous guy, and I agree with you, it's a very stupid thing to do. But the thing is that promiscuous guy that has all the girls is inherently attractive, and attraction is not a choice. Women respond very favorably to guys that can get other women, and they respond. Think about it: fuckboys, assholes, dickheads, Dan Blazarian, Hugh Hefner, Andrew Tate, as people want to say nowadays, his brother Tristan. These guys are all playboys. They have these misogynistic, toxic traits, but women love it. Why? Because
women do love it. And then they grow. Usually they'll grow out of it, I guess. I mean, I was a fuckboy, I guess. I don't know. Maybe women are just dumb and think they can change every man. I don't know, but
shows women are attracted to men that don't give a fuck about them. So I get what you're saying. They should select for the more average guy that's going to be loyal to ensure their security. But they don't.
Do you think the selection? Do you think there's a difference between sexual selection and relationship selection? Because I would agree that women will fuck with fuckboys for sure, but like getting with them in a long-term relationship, unless it's like a rich guy,
if they can tie them down, they definitely will.
Yeah, but how can you tie them down? It can't be with a kid. Guys are stepping on kids all the time.
Well, okay, are we talking about today or are we talking about in the past? Like
today. Like, okay. I can understand a woman being attracted to a promiscuous guy because, I mean, if he is promiscuous, because he's already accomplished like a certain amount.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
I agree with that.
For sure.
But to try to go after that guy just seems like such a bad reproductive strategy. Like having sex with him, yes, but a relationship, unless he's already like really high status in some other way. Like you mentioned like Hugh Hefner and stuff. These people might be fuckboys, but they're not just fuckboys. They're successful too, right? These people are wealthy people. They have some resources. I can understand like that attraction there. But I feel like I know girls that will look at a guy like, I would fuck that dude. No fucking way would I ever date that guy though. I wouldn't trust like
the thing is that they fuck that guy and then they hope for something more. They realize this guy's not going to commit. Okay, fuck it. And then what happens is they fuck those guys in their peak years, in their 20s, right? We call it riding the cock carousel, right? On this side of the internet. And then they hit their 30s and then next thing you know, it's like, fuck, where'd all the good guys go? And then that's when they settle with a guy that might be a little less attractive. That's when they start to concede, depending depending on the girl's own value, or they don't. They say, fuck it, I'm going to stay single. So, and then they end up not being satisfied anyway because the guy's a pussy. But the very things that create that security that she's attracted to are the very same things that makes her lose arousal for that man.
Do you think? Okay, so let's assume I'll grant you all of this, and I'll ask you a question on the other end. I'm kind of curious.
Sure.
So if I grant you all of that, do you think that when you're pushing for women that are not as, I'll say, masculine, that aren't going after careers, that aren't going after whatever, don't you think you're kind of pushing women into that territory where you want them to act like that? Because it seems like the only way that, like, how would you break a woman out of that, like, really baser, I just want to fuck the most fuckable guy and do that till I'm 30 or whatever? Like, it seems like the way you would break somebody out of that is to encourage them to live a more, like, I'll say liberal lifestyle. Liberalism with a capital L. Like, go after a career, do some shit. Like, don't just try to like fuck, the most attractive guys in your 20s, but like try to make something yourself. Do you think that those women are more likely to make better decisions, or do you think they're going to be stuck in the same hot carousel as? Are
you talking about like the women that are empowered that go to school? And I mean, the thing is that that's the dream. That's the Sex and the City lifestyle that like kind of has been sold to women since like the 90s and since feminism really. So that sounds better. Like they tell them, hey, go to school, get your education, put off children, put off whatever. But what feminism doesn't tell women is that as they get older and earn more money, they actually decrease their chances of finding the very man that they're competing in college universities for. So I would tell a girl, your best bet is to cash your chips early when you're at your highest, value and get the best guy that you can get when you're still young and beautiful. But a lot of girls want to wait off and say, hey, I'm going to find my guy at 31, 32 after I have my law degree. Well, you've effectively handicapped yourself because what happened now is that you're older. You probably had sex with more people. You've been through some relationships. You have some experience on you and you have a degree, which earns you a lot of money. Congratulations. You've turned into the man that you want to be. And quite frankly, now most guys don't qualify for you. So I would say if you want a fruitful relationship and get the best guy that you can get and have children.
Yeah, but you could just tell those women, hey, the guy will just go for a guy that doesn't make as much money that could still provide you like some kind of security. And then we kind of solve that problem, right? It's like from a social perspective. Can we just advocate for that?
You want to get married and get a serious relationship going when you're still young and have the ability to attract that guy. But we tell women, no, put her off. And then they get to the end of the line and then, they end up on our podcast crying at 33 because they can't get a guy that they wanted.
Okay, I'll do this last time. I'll do the final word story because I know it's like it feels like if you set a woman up for that, if you tell a woman that like in your early 20s you need to find a guy who is the highest value you can get at early 20s, because that's the highest. I think the average dating age is like 24 female, 30 male. I think is like these are like consider your peak years, right?
Yes.
That if you aim for that and you go after a guy that's like that, then you're going after the type of guy that's always going to be looking for women like that. That like if you are advertising yourself at your peak reproductive years or whatever. Hopefully, when you start dating that guy, hopefully you lock him down with a kid as soon as possible, which there's a whole host of relationship problems there that we don't have to get into. But like, hopefully you get that as soon as possible, within a year, I guess, of dating. But now you've selected for the exact type of man who's looking for that optimal reproductive age woman. And it feels like that strategy is always going to keep both ends like
fantastic point. Other. That's why I tell women, if you want to be with a winner, understand that you have to share him. That's an uncomfortable truth that I tell women all the time is that if you're going to be with a winner, guess what? Every other girl wants that very guy, and there's not enough of them to go around. High value men or beautiful women are common. And I think that's an issue that a lot of modern day women have, where they think, we tell women all the time, they're special, they're beautiful, they deserve the best, etc. The reality is no. Beauty is common. Like you guys are all the fucking same. You all believe in spiritual science and zodiac.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that like you're just assuming that the only thing that women have to offer are their looks. Like that's the problem is that you have a very specific type of woman, and like that's totally cool. But you think that that's all women. You don't value women outside of anything because you think that you're like really intelligent, and that's cool. But like women can offer like you'd probably be more intelligent if you dated a woman who could push back against some of your ideology, right? That's robust, healthy conversation. You just don't really value women in any capacity other than fucking them. That's cool, but that's a you thing.
Sides and a bunch of bullshit, and quite frankly,
what's up, Tips? Right, brother?
A lot more similar than they think they are. And my thing is that you have a highly successful and
so are a lot of men, right? If you're going to make generalizations that men should do this and women should do this, you're acknowledging that people are generally somewhat similar. Like sure, but they're not the same. Well, that's a weird argument.
That's rare to come by. You're not going to have them to yourself. Get your fucking ego out the side. Understand that you need to be the number one chick, and the other girls are going to be side chicks. And you do that by adding value, having a kid with him, getting him to commit to you, and then bam, now you have some insurance policies in place where he's going to be punished for leaving you.
This is just like a sad way to look at relationships, man. I would fucking off myself if I actually felt this way because this is like really sad.
Okay, give you the last one because we'll just go back and forth. So.
No, I mean it's fine. I think it's a good discussion. I think we agreed on that a lot more than
there's a lot of like descriptive parts that I'll agree on, right? Like I know like the average like optimal attractive ages or whatever, like the 24 female, 30 for male. I guess I just get worried sometimes that when we send people down those roads, you're committing them to, in my opinion, what is kind of like an unsatisfactory life. That like ideally we are selecting each other for more than just like optimal male fucking achievement and optimal female fucking youth and beauty.
But that's the end
goal. I would hope.
That's the ultimate goal.
I don't think so. That's not the most fulfilling goal. That might be like in the most base or biological sense, like the way that we like kind of ooga booga relate to each other. But I think that we can push people a little bit more to like go after a little bit more in life in terms of like relationships, rather than like I'm trying to find like the tightest fucking 24-year-old pussy that will have my children as quick as possible.
I'll give you this, Destiny. So what you mentioned, I would consider those auxiliary benefits, but the primary benefits are what you described: the youth and beauty versus the man security and status, and then everything after that.
I think that's like a really shallow way to look at relationships. I don't think you're ever going to really be happy. I mean, like we'll see each other in like 10 years, I guess, and we'll see who's like actually happy. This like person that has like a relationship versus. I mean, I would imagine you're probably gonna grow out of it at some point, or maybe you won't. You always fuck around. That's cool. It just sounds like a very lonely, miserable fucking life. If I'm being honest with you. But okay, you know, do you, brother? That's cool.
As like auxiliary, like think of it as like extra credit, right? Like
Gotcha,
you still have to score. Like
Do I feel ooga booga sometimes? Oh yeah, all the time, bro. Like a fucking dumb fucking animal. Trust me. We've all been there, brothers. Don't you fucking question that.
Obviously reach an attraction standard. The man still has to reach like a success standard for them to even like be attracted to each other in the first place. Then from there, oh, she has a redeeming quality because she's and she has this hobby that she's not the hottest, she's a 7, but she's really submissive, she's a good woman. I'll take this girl over a baddie. Does that make sense? Like
I agree with you, but I would swap the auxiliary and primary, I guess. Like it'd be cool if she was like young and able to have kids and blah 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 blah. But like if I find like I guess the difference is that like if you and me were in the same spot and there was like a 32-year-old woman that fit like everything that I would want in life, and then there was like a 24-year-old woman who's way fucking hotter, but she was like deficient in a lot of areas, but she's not like horrible, that it feels like somebody in your position, not you, but somebody in your position might opt for the 24-year-old and I would opt for the 32-year-old. I guess that's the difference in.
I mean, I guess it depends also on your goals. Are you like trying to find a family or something like that?
Well, yeah, that is what we're talking about, right? Like those are the goals. You're trying to find a family, not just trying to fuck around, right? That's kind of the whole point of what we're talking about here, no? But yeah, okay.
Partner to share my life with, not just like the optimal reproductive strategy. I might involve kids, I might not, but
you find fulfillment more in relationships than we do for the most part. Like we could be happy without the long-term commitment. My wife, it's easier.
That's totally fine. The problem is that okay, they might actually feel that way. That's totally cool. The problem is that they keep saying they're making so everybody in like that we've seen from the red pill is like this is the way life should be, etc., etc., etc. Except maybe Andrew Tate. Like, but Sneako, Fresh and Fit, that's what they're saying. What Destiny's saying and what I say is that, like, if you're into that, that's totally fine. Not everybody's going to be fulfilled by that. Most people probably aren't, whatever. And then they're just like, no, you're kind of wrong. And then now it's like, well, maybe you're just looking for different, like, yes, we're all looking for different things. Like, we finally got there. Yes. There you go. That's it. Okay, cool. You know?
To be happy without that. But you're looking for like a life commitment.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in a relationship, I want it to be somebody. But then I also, that's kind of like the more like looking at the girl boss.
Like, he's doing both.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, I mean, he's a man. Like,
strategy is a little bit different.
Yeah,
and I acknowledge I don't recommend my lifestyle for anybody because there's a whole bunch of complications that arise from anything that involves more than 2 people. Even 2 people are really complicated. Yeah. But I feel like if I'm in a relationship, I want there to be some equal footing, and the auxiliary stuff is really important to me. I mean, I can understand the differences.
So the other thing too is that like most guys are not going to be okay with their girl being open.
Yeah, of course,
bro.
Sure.
So, but I'd also say most women are not going to be okay with their man being open.
Hold on, true. He's got to be a winner first. That's my requirement. The guy should be a winner.
But if you're gonna say that like, well, actually, if it's a top 1% man, that's fine. I would argue the same for the women too. If you're a random fucking schmuck and you're dating Beyonce, but she gets to fuck the guy, you're probably like, okay, fuck it.
She won't even date a regular guy. That's the point.
No, but I'm saying that like, I understand that wouldn't be the case, but they would be okay with it.
Maybe she would.
Because a woman's not going to date a loser, but a man will definitely date a loser that's a winner. That's what I'm trying to say.
A man will date a loser that's a winner.
No, I'm sorry. Like your example that you made, like Beyonce's with a guy that's like a winner. She's top 1% in that eye. Like she won't even look at that loser guy. Is what I'm trying to say. Like women only date a bare minimum across hierarchies or above. So like it's far more likely that the guy's going to be with a loser ass chick. Versus,
it depends
versus a woman that's a winner with a loser. It's just not
I don't think she's really a loser ass chick. I think that
as an example, I'm saying he'll date a girl that's like not 1%. Does that make sense?
No, I think he will date a 1% girl, but the percentages are different. Because I notice it's something where people talk about like men dating up or down, but I think that when you rate women on a different scale, you're still dating up. So like for instance, like I might date somebody that is like, oh, this girl, she has no money. She's whatever, she nothing special, whatever. But she's a fucking 10. It's the hottest fucking girl in the world. And I think some people analyze the situation like, oh, well, look, the guy's dating down, but because well, no, I'm not dating down at all. My equal, what I'm looking for, not me, but somebody like, I'm looking for someone that's really fucking hot. This is a top 1% girl because she's fucking hot, right? So I think when we talk about like dating up or down, I think you have to account for the different things that people are.
I agree. But what I'm saying is that like a really hot girl, a lot of the times is not going to be with a bum. Or if she is, it's going to be temporary.
But a really accomplished man is not going to be with a homely average girl. It's going to be like you don't see these guys that are 35 dating like average 35-year-olds. These top 1% men, right? They're going to be with like top 1% women, but they're top 1% in terms of looks.
Yeah, but I was just going off your example with Beyonce being with a loser.
Sure.
I was saying like a woman that's like that status level is not going to date down. But a man that's at that status level, like a Jay-Z will date a no-name chick, but Beyonce's not going to date a no-name man.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Maybe she would. I understand what they're saying. Sure.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know if I can even begin to
say date no-name guy, bro. Come on.
Do you think somebody like Jay-Z's dating a no-name girl?
He's cheated on her with a bunch of random chicks.
Well, cheated is different. Fucked a girl is different than dated a girl.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Wait, I don't know what you're saying. Fucked a girl is different than dating a girl. I think a high guy will fuck anything, of course. But dating, I think he's going to be looking for somebody that's matching the class of like characteristics that he's looking for. Unless there's like a really special circumstance, like they knew each other since high school or some shit. I mean, there's top 1% men are not dating like girls.
Kendrick are married to average ass girls. We don't even know their names.
Yeah, but I don't
Nicolas
have to know
Cage
the,
is married
I would
to a
have to know-
waitress, like-
I would have to know the circumstances because sometimes this will pop up. It's like, oh, okay, well, damn, that's really crazy. How did that happen? Oh, they've known each other since high school. Oh, they were like family.
Leo
friends,
dates
whatever,
a bunch of like no-name girls. Like
Wait, no, he dates young and hot fucking girls.
but they're nobodies.
But the young and hot, that's what he's valued. But he's not looking for me because remember the fame
You're
part.
talking about career.
The fame part.
Yeah, because you're in career with Beyonce. That's why we're.
Well, I'm sorry. When I
We got confused on that
sure,
one. That's
I'm
what it
just
is.
saying because men are valuing women for their looks here, and women are valuing men for their accomplishments
Yes,
here, right?
yes.
So a really, really hot woman is a top 1% woman. A really, really accomplished man is a top 1% man.
Agreed.
And I think these are the hierarchies that people, right? Like it sounds mean to say, but like really unaccomplished men are going after not as hot women, right? They're like lower on the tone bottle, but they're still like kind of matching. A really, really accomplished man is not going after an unaccomplished woman. She is, but he's going after a really hot woman. And in that case, the hierarchies I think are generally matching. But
yeah, no, I agree. It's like different value that they bring to each other. I think we just got confused off the Beyonce thing.
Sure, okay,
That's where the confusion came from.
Gotcha. Okay, never mind. Go next one.
Sorry, you would say something?
Well, so I guess to make it a more understandable example, if you've got like a fugly kind of dude who's like fucking whatever, a normal dude, and he somehow manages like some top 1% insanely fucking hot girl, and she's like, I'll date you, dude, but like I get to fuck other guys. I think a lot of fugly guys would be like, you know what, fuck it, dude. As long as I get to fuck you, I don't care. I think there are guys that would go for that arrangement, especially guys that are fucking virgins or whatever. I think they would. It would suck a little bit, but it would suck a little bit in the same way that like that girl who has to let her husband be open because he's a top 1% male would kind of suck for her. I think they do it. I think
guess what? The respect isn't there. And that makes for a doomed relationship because if that happens in that dynamic, I get it. Yeah, he might love because he's lower value per se, but disrespect him? Probably not.
Maybe, but I mean, I don't want to go all the way up, but I would argue that there's a lack of respect too on any one-ended open relationship. I would say the man doesn't respect the woman in that case.
That's
fair. You don't
I
need to
agree
chase
with that,
pussy your whole life. You know your relationship would be more stable if you could commit, and that if you're not both going to be open, it's just you know it'd be more stable if you commit. You know there's less of a risk of you running out. You know there's less of a risk of you knocking somebody else up. So like if there's an equal amount of respect there from the man and the woman, the man should be able to commit to the woman.
In my experience,
I think he's respecting her by being honest about what he wants.
But what does he want more? Does he want to chase pussy? Or does he want to build a strong relationship with the woman?
But let's be real though, right? Men want to fuck other women, so it's gonna happen regardless.
Yeah, but men want to shoot up heroin. Men want to drink and drive. You don't have to chase every single vice you have, right?
True.
Just giving the description that like men want to do a thing.
I mean, men
that's
have
not the justification.
That's their innate sexual strategy,
It's
like
not a flex.
heroin and having sex.
It's gonna happen, bro.
Yeah,
Heroin can feel pretty innate if you've done it a few times. I mean, like there are guys. There are people that go through their whole life and only fuck one woman, or there are people that get married and they don't step on their wives. Like, you should be able to control it.
But here's the thing: like most guys fuck only one girl or get into committed relationships because they don't really have a choice. If I left a guy to his own devices and told him, listen,
But this is one of those things. It's like, dude, I don't. It's one of those really interesting situations where I don't know. I find like this is one of the things that really bothers me about red pill too is that like men are fucking so dumb in the red pill ideology. Like men are fucking penis monsters that can't control anything and they're literal morons. And it's like, yo, they just get, well, this is just how men operate. They can't change. Well, men can change. Again, if you want to do that, be my guest. But like, men don't have to fuck around. Like, I just want you to know that it's not. They don't have to do that. Of course, some people have more desires than others. I get it. I'm there too. I get it. But like, I don't feel the need to act on them because like I'm in a relationship contract with my wife who said like you can't be with me unless you don't fuck other people. And I was like, okay, well, I want to be with you more than I want to fuck other people. Right? It's really kind of that simple. But okay.
listen, you can have your main chick while simultaneously being fuck bad bitches without your girl getting mad at you. Every guy's going to take the ladder.
For sure.
So
but that's always going to lead to more problems in the relationship.
I don't know, man. Like now that because I used to be in a poly relationship. I used to be in an open and a poly relationship, right? I'm so much happier now being committed. I don't know. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like it's the chasing fucking pussy is exhausting. It's annoying. It's like it's not what I want to do with my time. That's kind of what you're fucking stuck in this role of doing that constantly. It's fucking boring. And once you can't do it anymore, it's almost like the curse has been lifted. Okay, I'm just being honest. Yeah, you know.
Let's flip it around. Now let's take a girl. Tell her, yo, you got your dream guy, but you can also go ahead and fuck a bunch of guys. That girl's gonna say, no fucking thank you. I'm not a slut. That's the key.
Sure, but is that the biological reproductive strategy, or is she worried about the blowback from the relationship? If there truly were no consequences,
that's a reproductive strategy.
I don't know.
Women are not hardwired. Women are not hardwired to be promiscuous if they're with their guy. Most of the time, girls are promiscuous as a necessity because it's like, okay, this guy has money, so I gotta fuck with him to get because he has money. This guy's actually attractive and in good shape, or I'm gonna fuck with him to get like my nut off. This guy is a really good talker and he connects with me emotionally, whatever. So a lot of times when girls have guys in rosters, each guy is completing some kind of compartmentalization in her sexual strategy. But ideally, she would like to get a guy that has all these components, only have sex with him. Now she's secured. Now she's secured and she accomplished her sexual strategy. Now ask her, do you want to fuck other dudes? She's gonna say a resounding no because girls don't want to be hoes. But you ask the guy, he has a bad bitch. Yo, that girl gives you everything you need. You have kids with her. She's a fantastic mother. Do you want to fuck other girls? And it's not going to affect you. He's going to say yes. And that's the key difference.
Basically, you think men and women are equal.
I think in terms of sexual pursuing, I think that women tend to be a bit more emotionally connected to sex. But I think if you get like a really sexually liberalized woman, I think she wants to fuck.
But you want to.
I think men and women are different. And if you want to fuck around, be my guest. But you're going to have a hard time finding an actual good woman that's intelligent and will add value to your life if you want to fuck around. Most people who are going to put up with that, most people aren't going to put up with that. I'm just letting you know that. Like, do your thing, man. You're just setting yourself up for fucking failure at this point.
She
equal
wants a
relationship overall. You don't want to lead. You want to have an equal partner.
I mean, like, it's not going to be equal in all ends, but for the most part, yeah, I want somebody that feels more like a partner than like a servant to me.
That's where we disagree.
Sure, which is fair. But okay, interesting conversation.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. No, it was good. Definitely good conversation. I'll hit these chats real quick because we got all the girls are here.
Yep.
Oh shit. Okay.
The girls are here.
Right, we got Destiny. Isn't that a girl? These niggas, bro. Is that a girl's name? And then we got here Maverick S, all the way from the Philippines, goes, Destiny, speaking about emotional balance, how you emotionally balance your open relationship as a good thing, I want to learn from you. Okay, $50 from Ed
Just to reiterate, I don't recommend my relationship style for anybody. I wouldn't recommend any type of open relationship for anybody. No. Yeah, if you can find any, even the one-ended or whatever, if you can find a way to make work, then more power to you. But like, it's so much additional drama juggling it. There's like a lot.
I think you have an X factor that like helps you significantly versus like a regular guy. You know, I mean, we don't have to, because I think that's a whole other conversation.
He's hitting on him, a little bit gay. Yeah, I wouldn't either, and I've been in one. It's just like it's exhausting. Maybe that's why I'm so happy in like a monogamous relationship, because it's just like it's so calm. Everything's so easy. Everything is so nice.
But I think like the bisexuality like gives you like an edge where you don't necessarily like you don't have
ego attached.
Not even that's a component, but at the same time, it's like there isn't the same imperative to keep your woman.
They're hitting him with the, I'm not a real man, or they're hitting him with the Destiny. Not a real man bullshit right now. That's fucking rude. You guys are being rude.
In line, because you can get satisfaction from a gender that is like way more sexually open, that is willing to give you what you need at a moment's notice, versus like for a heterosexual guy, like he's only going to deal with women. So like,
wait, hold on. First of all, I'm like 99% is women. Okay, it's very rare.
I get that.
1% bisexual.
Yeah, I'm very, especially with the fucking monkeypox shit. Okay, Jesus Christ, I'm not trying to get fucking lesions out here. I'm not trying to die out here. Jesus Christ.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not saying.
I understand what you're saying though. There are a lot of
the fucking subtle monkeypox thing. Jesus Christ, dude.
Dynamics that make my relationship like I have access to a lot of people that because I have an influencer, you have all that shit. So yeah, I don't recommend it for anybody.
So you don't tickle the booty.
No, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I'm not.
So why are you bisexual? So I feel like the left shit just got to you.
Because if I am to have a threesome with a guy, I want to be able to, for all of us to do stuff instead of just like being scared, like touching dicks with each other.
You don't penetrate.
For guys,
we don't have to.
Let's read the chat.
The only reason I haven't said that was just to simply say that like it's different for him because he can get satisfaction from a party that is much easier to deal with. Does that make sense? Versus like as a guy, like when you're dealing with only girls, like you have to make sure you're masculine and you're dealing with her in a certain way, because women are less forgiving of fuck ups in a relationship than another guy is. If that makes sense.
I mean, maybe I'd probably. He's basing it on the marriage divorce statistics. No, we're not doing Christian today. But you're just okay. I guess that's what they're basing it on. I don't think that that's true though, because I think that their divorce statistics are like way off. We already talked about the divorce shit. But okay.
Because women look to men for leadership and authority, right? So like if you're deficient in that, well, her respect for you starts to go down, and as a matter, and after that respect goes down, arousal starts to go down alongside it. They're intrinsically tied. But like if you're attracted to, let's say, men, for example, well, men are easier to deal with. Like you can get on Grindr and do whatever you got to do, and it's done, right? Like, okay, I got my sexual satisfaction. I don't need you, bitch. So that gives you, how do I say this? It gives you a layer of security in your sexual strategy, because like you don't necessarily have to deal with women. So I think that's why it's like a unique situation, because it's like you don't need to depend on your girl for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of. Wait, that's a whole other
that's a whole other thing. All right, I may have opened up Pandora's box there.
That's all good.
Destiny, serious question. You talk with your wife about the sexual the sex she has with other men, and how do you feel about it, especially if she had a better experience with others? Dude, not trying to throw shade.
Good question.
That's from
I mean, like we talk about all sorts of stuff. Like I'll talk about my experiences, sometimes she talks about her experiences. Like sometimes we learn things from other people. Like we're pretty open sexually.
Fair enough.
Damn.
Alejandro Lopez, I can't disagree.
Personally, I just couldn't fucking do it, bro. I can't. I really couldn't do it. I don't think I could. It's more power to you, brother. You know what I mean? That's all I gotta say.
Agree that most people can't handle true freedom because it brings anxiety, or even for safety, but that is a passive person. A dominant or assertive person goes into the restaurant knowing what he wants. I'd argue it's the duality of the masculine and feminine. Okay, shout out to you, my friend. Fresh BBC Fresh. There's only one way to save this man's life. You know what to do. Destiny, what is your girl's number? We have to blow her back out. That's the only way. And once he sees her in a wheelchair, he will be free. This is
every single day.
Bro, come on, man.
Destiny, I'm going to change my name to Deezer and stream Snipe my way to Grandmasters. And that's from Neil Castelloni. Okay.
Yeah. Remember S?
Grandmaster. Oh, you play Overwatch?
Oh, fuck. That's a StarCraft reference. That's a really old reference to like 10 years ago in my stream. Yeah.
Do you play Overwatch or no?
I used to a little bit, but not much.
Nerd. Okay, never mind. Let's give Sneako and Destiny the last word.
Okay.
And then we're going to have some girls on, so we're continue this conversation
on the show, and where can you find y'all? We'll start with Sneako.
Sneako.net, Creativity Kit is dropping August 22nd.
And shout out to you for bringing Destiny, man, because this was a great episode.
Yeah. Destiny, any last?
He's like a smart Lasan.
Thanks. I don't know how I feel about that one, but yeah, I'm at youtube.com/Destiny. Follow me there. Twitter.com/theomniliberal. I should post there sometimes.
Whoa, Destiny, Twitter banner, Twitter banger. What is it called? Twitter Dodger? Ban Dodger. Wow, that took a lot to get to that fucking point. Holy shit, I'm a moron. I thought that wasn't your Twitter, Destiny. I thought it wasn't your Twitter.
That's pretty edgy. So
you know what's kind of funny? Because I watched a good amount of your content. People are like, oh, he's going to debate with you. You guys are going to argue. And I was like, guys, we actually agree on a lot of things because, you know, I ain't going to lie, I studied you quite a bit. And I already knew, like, it wasn't going to be too many disagreements. Because as much as you guys want to say he's like a raging liberal, not really.
I think that there were plenty of disagreements. I just don't think that Destiny, like, pushed super duper hard. I know that's one thing about Destiny, especially, like, I think it's normal for, like, most people. You don't push really hard into somebody that you just met, usually. And then, like, once you, like, have talked to them a little bit, you can be a little bit harder on them and be like, okay, I'm going to push you on point A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, L, M, N, O, P, you know, all that other fucking bullshit. You know.
Really, man. I mean,
you're a fake liberal, bro.
It's more libertarian, if anything. You know what I mean? If what I would say.
It's for the stream. It's for the audience.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
yeah. That's not true. If you want to jump into like the most you'll get me on this like red pill shit is going to be in like probably the dating arena because that's I think where progressives are the most like fucking delusional. But if you want to get into politics or whatever, we can start talking Trump or Ukraine or anything. Yeah, I like guns. That's not important. That's not the important. There are lots of liberal people like guns.
No, okay? that should be liberal. I don't understand how you could be a fucking I don't know, bro. How could you be like a communist? How could you be like an anarcho-communist or somebody that like thinks that capitalism is so fucking oppressive and not have a gun? I think it is. Maybe not America though. But
okay. Listen, who commits most?
You don't have to corral everybody into one fucking area.
Crime in the country, okay? Okay. And they vote liberal, okay? So fuck you, okay? I'm just kidding.
I don't think they vote, but yeah.
True, okay. No, but like seriously, no, like we don't have politics. Okay. I said if you want to debate politics, we can go really far. Welfare and all that shit, but
yeah, we don't do that here. Thing. Yeah, we typically we talk lightly light politics.
We've been got that FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago, some crazy shit. They pulled a lot of documents out of that fucking house.
They did pre-Trump. They did. We could probably talk about it a little bit.
No, I'm just kidding. We don't have to do that. I don't want your audience.
Let's talk about it with the girls.
I don't want that episode with Destiny. I'm gonna do a Fed episode on it. So bring him in. Maybe we can actually. Yeah. Because I see both sides. I see both sides. Well, what the FBI did there.
Okay. Cool. That wasn't a bad conversation. I actually thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.